The story opens with the image of a dungeon hunter, face exhausted, panting heavily. He panicked and shouted, "This is the master of a high-difficulty dungeon." A wingless dragon, Sebarumus, the giant monster before them, level 67, its whole body blazing, radiating terrifying power. It opened its mouth and formed a large fireball. The hunters cried out, "It's coming." An old man with white beard said, "I wonder if my defensive skill will hold this time." Suddenly he exclaimed, "Huh, that is." A strangely shaped monster appeared. The hunters recognized it as a goblin. The tiny goblin stood facing the giant dragon without fear. It let out a cry. Everyone wondered, why is a goblin here? The Sebarumus spat the fireball. In an instant the space became scorching. The goblin grinned wickedly. It swung the wooden stick in its hand and shouted, "Kayet." Then it launched a counterattack. The hunters couldn't believe their eyes. The blonde young man yelled, "It's crazy, it's chopping no," smashing it to pieces. The goblin defeated Sebarumus with a single blow. A monster attacking a monster, could it be a summoned beast? The white-bearded old man suddenly shouted, "Look, someone's on the hilltop." Sure enough, there was a guy up there, grinning broadly. The old hunter asserted, "It's him. He's the one who summoned that creature." Scene change. At a construction site, Kim Chulsu hoisted a sack on his shoulder and asked the foreman, "Where should I put this?" A man nearby said, "He's been smiling while working today. What's so funny?" Chulsu set the sack down, then follows the protagonist's monologue, "I'm a goblin. Everyone sees me as trash. The place I belong is obviously low-level dungeons. I'm an existence that could never escape from there. Although some people hit the lottery and changed their lives, but no matter how much experience a goblin accumulates, he's still a goblin." Chulsu was resting when he suddenly heard someone say, "Did you hear? It's true, man." Chulsu hummed and looked over. Uncle Bay was warming his hands by the fire, saying calmly, "I've been missing lately because I've been grinding Heaven's Door. I heard he reached a hidden tier." Uncle O exclaimed, "Hidden tier, life changed. He's probably rolling in money now." Chulsu pondered. Heaven's Door is a fully immersive VR game that's been very hot lately. The experience is so vivid people want to forget reality and become totally absorbed. Of course, because it's cutting-edge technology, the gaming rigs are expensive. But many internet cafes nationwide have adapted to the trend, so even poor folks like me can play easily. And the result of high demand is what? Real money began flowing into the game, and in-game assets became real-world wealth. Heaven's Door truly became a game changer. At first I enjoyed playing a lot, only at first. Chulsu spun the axe in his hands and shouted, "Take my ultimate skill." When he used the skill Stone Strike, he swung down a powerful blow. The system repeatedly notified, received 3 stones. Chulsu grabbed his head and yelled, "Damn it, I'm so pissed. Grind more." After finishing the grind, even here I'm haunted by debts. My dream of becoming a hero, falling in love with and marrying a beauty from the party, where did that go? He was so frustrated he burst into tears. What kind of heavenly gate is this? These stupid ores, no matter how much you mine. As he said that, he picked up a high-grade recovery stone. Chulsu cried out, "Aw, damn it. This, if I sell this, it's about 300,001. It's really a high-grade recovery stone." He was ecstatic, stuck out his tongue and licked the stone. "This is the feeling. It's for this feeling that I mine ores." Chulsu grinned uncontrollably, "Ahaha, hihihi, hahaha." Suddenly someone approached from the other side and said, "Oh, sorry." Chulsu froze, his heart in turmoil. She, a girl and quite pretty too. 3 hunters stared at him intently. Catherine Lee asked softly, "I see you mining here every day. Your extraction skill must be really high, right?" Chulsu replied, It's okay, what's up?" The girl explained, "I was going through a dungeon and ran into a huge ore boulder, so we couldn't move forward. My party members look impressive, but they're all idiots who don't know how to mine. I wish someone skilled like you in extraction could lend a hand." Chulsu bluntly replied, "Sadly, although I'm pretty good, my level is still low, so it's hard for me to enter a dungeon." The short man said, "We'll handle the monsters, you just follow behind." Chulsu was a bit puzzled. If there's a short guy in her party, mining should be covered, right? Hearing that, the man was displeased and launched into a long tirade. "You have a prejudice against short people, like only short people know how to mine. So according to you, short people should spend their whole lives just digging stone. If they can't help the party, they should just die, right?" Chulsu calculated inwardly that joining them could let him share experience and might yield higher grade ore. Not a bad deal. But would he really be safe deep inside that dungeon? Even though it's a game and you can revive after death, this game had something else. Seeing his hesitation, Catherine Lee suddenly grabbed Chulsu's hand, pressed it to her cheek in a seduction move. She said, "Sorry, my ideal type is a muscular man who mines ores, so I was a bit forward. If you don't want to come with me, that's fine." He immediately blurted out, "I want to go." Moments later, Chulsu already regretted his decision. He stood trembling, terrified. What the hell? In front of him was a gray wolf, level 7. Chulsu thought silently that the monster's level was lower than he expected. But damn, my level is even lower. Kim Chulsu, level 3. The wolves kept coming in greater numbers. One lunged right at him. Chulsu screamed, "Oh my god." Catherine shouted loudly, "Don't move." The girl cast the skill Flame Sand Dragon. Experience points gained were, respectively, 2748, 2855, 2976. Catherine asked, "Are you okay? Are you hurt anywhere?" Cholsu was still dazed from the attack by a level 39 mage. He stammered, yeah, thanks to you." In his mind, he thought, wiping out that pack of gray wolves in one strike, that's insanely strong. The girl exclaimed, "You scared me. That was really dangerous. Don't leave me alone." Hearing that, Cholsu fancied himself romantically. "She's telling me never to leave her. Has the love I've longed for finally arrived?" Seeing his tense expression, C1 said, "There's nothing to be surprised about, my friend." He spoke while toying with the gray wolves. "We're not the type to only play in low-level dungeons like this." Suddenly, he pulled a cudgel from his back and used the skill spinning great wheel. One blow wiped out 3 wolves, yielding experience points 1800, 1836. C1 told him that the suspicious ore can only be broken with a high-level extraction skill. "We just came to check what's inside it." He gathered items, wolf fang, wolf pelt, into the storage and explained further. "Previously, we had to skip such things out of necessity. Investing points into manual labor skills like extraction is a waste, right? So there's no other choice but to rely on people like you." Hearing that, Cholsu felt deeply hurt. "People like me? What kind of person am I?" He clenched the axe in his hand. "Damn it, are they looking down on me? Without me, they couldn't even mine that ore." Cholsu said coldly, "I can't let that slide. You think I don't have combat skills?" He swung the axe up and brought it down hard. Inside, he screamed in helplessness, "I don't have it. Damn it, I don't. I told you I don't." Because he lacked strength, all he could do was vent his anger on the rocks. The hunters nearby whispered among themselves. The short guy asked, "Hey, is the info we bought from that bald kid accurate? If there's nothing over there, we'll take a big loss." C1 answered, "It's definitely real. Otherwise, you'll pay the price for wasting our time in this crappy dungeon." Cholsu's heart surged, having to risk his life for a few coins and be looked down on. He's used to it, so it no longer stung, but precisely because it's familiar, it made him angrier. After venting, he calmed himself. "Be steady, work like always, finish the task, get paid, and leave. Today is no different, just another ordinary day." After more strikes, large cracks appeared in the cliff face. Then it collapsed. Cholsu and the hunters were astonished. He cried out, that is. Before them was a hidden dungeon entrance. Cholsu shouted with joy, "We found a hidden dungeon. Maybe there's a special reward, and it could lead to a hidden tier as well." "We've hit the jackpot." Catherine scoffed and quietly said, "We have." C1 drew his cudgel. While Cholsu was still lost in excitement, now he might get lucky like the others. The system suddenly announced, "PK mode activated." C1 struck him hard in the nape from behind. Cholsu collapsed. His HP was reduced by 480. The pain hit him and he groaned, "Damn it, I can't breathe." Catherine grumbled, "Finding this damned hidden dungeon is torture. In a low-level dungeon like this, you have to have a stupid skill like extraction to find it." She told him, "Don't blame us. We cleared the monsters from the start. You just followed behind." Cholsu was furious. He thought to himself, "They were the ones who attacked me. Those cowards knew from the start this place had a hidden dungeon, and still." He asked, "So you knew beforehand?" C1 grabbed his hair, lifted his head, and replied, "Of course, you idiot. Who would wander into this boring dungeon for no reason? But since you were useful, I'll let you die peacefully now." He threw him against the rock with a thud. The world went pitch black for Cholsu. After a while, he opened his eyes and coughed, *hat. He looked around and exclaimed, "I'm still in the dungeon. They didn't kill me, so they have some conscience." The system notified, "A high-grade recovery stone automatically revives a player at 0 HP, restoring 100 HP. Cholsu looked at the stone in his palm, split in two, and wailed, "That revived me. My 300,001, you bastards." Cholsu slammed his fist on the floor, "Damn it, my money." Suddenly, he looked ahead. The hidden dungeon entrance was still open, meaning the dungeon conquest wasn't over. He felt a bit resentful, having lost the recovery stone. Was he really going to retreat so easily? Cholsu muttered, "Damn it, I'll squeeze in there too and change my life. That guy you look down on will become a thorn in your side. Just wait and see." He sprang to his feet and charged straight into the hidden dungeon. But when he leapt in, he discovered the damn stairs and slipped. Cholsu fell freely, landing on his shoulder and back. HP decreased by 80. He kept muttering, opening the door and immediately hitting stairs. Cholsu's remaining HP was 20. He told himself that he'd actually made it inside. This was the hidden dungeon people had been talking about. The system announced, "Goblin Shrine, hidden dungeon." He sat up and murmured, "Damn, it's huge. Goblins actually sitting on thrones." Suddenly he felt uneasy. "Wait, Goblin Shrine? Don't tell me it's only filled with petty goblins." He walked around to inspect carefully. Hidden dungeons should have noticeably higher difficulty, not be like this. Do hidden dungeons that appear in low-level areas only come in this size? What a letdown. Cholsu said, "It's too quiet. How far have the others gone?" As he stepped forward, he suddenly felt his foot catch on something. Cholsu looked down. "What the hell is this?" He screamed in terror. Isn't that the short guy from earlier? What the hell is happening?" The short man lay on the ground trembling, his pupils contracted. The system displayed, "VZZ Dwarf Supreme ZV, resurrect him." Cholsu replied that he didn't have that skill. He asked him if he hadn't hit resurrect because he didn't want to miss the hidden dungeon. Resurrect sends you back to town, greedy bastard. Suddenly, a red alert appeared on the system. This is a high difficulty dungeon far beyond the player's level. Leave the dungeon immediately. Seeing this message, Cholsu was terrified. What? Suddenly, a terrified scream rang out from the other side. Kaya. He immediately recognized the voice. It was the same as before. A gigantic hand was gripping C1 and lifting him up. On the ground, Catherine was pinned under a massive foot. Cholsu thought to himself that this was supposed to be a goblin shrine. Before him was a Jiger level 80, grotesque in appearance. He panicked. What the hell is that? Level 80, are you kidding me? The monster shoved C1 into its enormous mouth. With one gulp, C1 was swallowed whole. A spray of red blood splattered below. C1's desperate scream echoed and then stopped. Cholsu felt nauseous. He clamped his hand over his mouth to keep from making a sound. Panicking, his worst fear had come true. Some games strive for realism. But Heaven's Door even recreates sensations and touch, so it recreates pain too. There is a safety mechanism, so being hit by monsters of equal or lower level doesn't hurt much. But if you're struck by a monster tens of levels higher, that's another story. Catherine, pinned on the ground, screamed, "Help me, please help me." Cholsu helplessly answered, "Help with what? Facing something like that, what can we do?" When seriously injured in the game, the pain and memories don't disappear even if the character is revived. They directly affect the player's brain and, if severe, can lead to brain death or death. Shock retire means you can't re-enter combat. Cholsu immediately turned his back and left, thinking to himself that no matter what happens, he wouldn't lose to that guy. "I'm not wrong, you abandoned me first. I'm weak, so I can't help. So at least I have to survive." At that moment, the system announced, "The Goblin King senses empathy with your weakness and cowardice." He looked up at the goblin statue on its throne and wondered, "Me, weak and cowardly." Cholsu gritted his teeth and said, "You think I want to be like that? You think I want to be weak and useless?" Seeing Catherine on the ground in pain, he told himself that if he had strength, he wouldn't have run. The Jiger stomped hard on the girl. Catherine's suffering must be horrific. Countless resentful thoughts surged in Cholsu's mind. "I also want to work for a decent company and be recognized by others. I want cool skills like other people, not just hitting rocks but hunting real monsters. Because of my parents' debt, I've never been able to do what I wanted since I was a child." He clutched his chest as tears flowed, screaming bitterly, "And yet they call me weak. Why should I have to listen to that? From the start, I did nothing wrong. Who are you to sit there looking down on me? This damned game is insane. In real life, I'm looked down on, and in the game too. Even the goblin sympathizes with me now. Fine, I'm a goblin, so what, damn it." Cholsu felt the goblin statue's smile mocking him. The system suddenly announced, "You have become an honorary goblin. Goblins will always assist you." The system offered a choice. You meet the requirements to change to a hidden class, become a goblin summoner, or decline. Reading this, Cholsu was astonished and exclaimed, "A goblin summoner class? This is a hidden class. You must be kidding me." Cholsu replied decisively, "No way, hell no." But the system returned the result. "You have successfully changed into a goblin." He shouted, "I already said I wouldn't do it." Suddenly, he noticed the Jiger approaching from behind, emitting wet, slurping sounds that made his hair stand on end. Cholsu thought to himself that it was over, no hope of escape. Damn it, at this point it's do or die. The system announced the goblin summon skill, summon a goblin to fight for its master. He raised his hand and shouted, "Appear, goblin." Immediately a formation formed on the ground, emitting strange light, and a goblin slowly appeared. Cholsu said, "Don't appear with effects like you're summoning a dragon." In an instant, a greenish goblin manifested, chittering Kayet, awaiting its master's command. Cholsu thought it already looked feeble. Oh well, use it as bait and make a run for it. He immediately pointed at the Jiger and shouted, "Go, goblin, take it down." The goblin instantly cried Kayet and obeyed. The Jiger swung its long arm, its mouth making continuous slurping sounds. Cholsu immediately turned and took the opportunity to run. The goblin stood between them and struck with its club in a powerful blow. With a boom, a massive shockwave burst forth, instantly destroying the Jiger, awarding 100 million experience points. The sound made Cholsu freeze. He inhaled sharply. The system announced that player experience increased. He jumped and shouted, "Huh." Messages kept coming, learned new skills, feed goblin, walk goblin. The summon pet's experience increased. The goblin scratched its head, looking utterly content, and made a few chirps. Kai. Seeing the system noticed that the goblin could no longer level up. The image of C1 being shoved into the Jiger's mouth, being swallowed and crushed terrified Catherine. The girl screamed, "Aaa." The manager heard the noise and rushed in, shouting, "Miss, wake up quickly, miss." The manager removed her gaming device. He froze and exclaimed, "No. This is a neural shock that prevents her from returning." Catherine's face still showed panic. Her eyes were vacant and she entered a non-revivable state. Inside the dungeon, the goblin continued its brutal rampage, dealing 100 million damage. The system repeatedly announced, "You leveled up, total damage dealt reached 100 million, you have ranked up." Many low-level monster mana stones fell on the floor. While collecting them, Cholsu said, "Hey, give me a break, goblin, I can't carry anymore." Behind him was a huge sack full of low-level monster mana stones and wolf claws. The player info for Kim Cholsu Goblin Summoner was updated. Level 31, Vitality 4, Endurance 2, Agility 0, Intelligence 1, Luck 0, Attribute Points 26. He thought that once he'd captured the Jiger he'd cleared the hidden dungeon, but his party members had all died protecting him, so even if he died, he wouldn't return. The Goblin chuckled Kayet. Cholsu wondered why the thing that single-handedly cleared the dungeon hadn't leveled up while he had reached level 31. He opened the system to check summon monster Goblin info unavailable. Cholsu wondered if a low-level goblin could be this strong, maybe it's a game bug. He suddenly yelled, whatever, if it's a bug I'll milk it as much as I can before they fix it. With this thing I won't need to grind and I could become number 1 in Heaven's Door. After leaving the dungeon, Cholsu went straight to Nara Bank. The bank clerk said, customer number 36. All items including the wolf pelt total 97,001. Would you like this transferred to your account? Cholsu thought he could directly convert items to money through the bank, how influential this game was. He replied, no, can I send the money to another account? Cholsu suddenly remembered, oh right, I have items to sell, the Jiger's membrane and its heart. After he listed them, the clerk entered the data and said, yes, adding those brings your total to. Seeing the displayed figure, the girl gasped, what? Then she ran off to find the manager. Cholsu picked his nose, wondering why she went to find the manager while the customer stood waiting right in front of her. A moment later, a cup of tea was poured. The Nara Bank manager smiled and asked if the tea suited his taste. Cholsu, a bit embarrassed, said it was cold. The man exclaimed, oh, I forgot to boil the water. He asked, but what does the manager want with me? I'm only here to convert items to money. The man replied that it was nothing much. He had a better place for his money and wanted to talk. The manager gently asked if he didn't think leaving all his money in a current account was wasteful. Our bank has very profitable investment options, so if you invest there instead of keeping money in the bank. Hearing that, Cholsu cut in, wait, invest? I know making money is important to you, but is that really a manager's job? I only have 1,000,000 won, right? The manager, a bit surprised, replied, 1,000,000 won? No, I think you should know the value of the items you brought. The Jiger's heart and membrane at the current rate are worth 2,030 million won. Cholsu froze, holy crap. Cut to another scene. He held the Goblin up high, grinning with joy and said, Goblin, thanks to you I've paid off 10% of my debt. I didn't even call you and you came running to your dad, huh? What a cute kid. Who says goblins are ugly? You're adorable. Looking at its long nose, he exclaimed, oh my, I can't lie to myself. But since we're in town, I have to stop summoning you. At that moment he realized he couldn't unsummon it. Cholsu walked down the street with the Goblin trailing behind. He thought, does it only disappear when it dies? Everyone's staring at me. A young man suddenly said, hey look, there's a goblin in town. The blonde girl replied, someone summoned it. How disgusting. Look how ugly it is, haha. Cholsu felt those mocking, critical stares aimed at him. He thought to himself, I'm not a goblin. Suddenly the Goblin cried Kayet and was blocked by a tall man. He stared at the Goblin and said, what is this? Why is there a goblin walking openly through town? That's Patton the Destroyer. The blonde girl exclaimed, it's Patton the Destroyer from the Everton Guild. Cholsu asked in surprise, the Destroyer? Sounds scary, is he famous? The girl answered, no, he just calls himself that. Waves of alarm rose in Cholsu. This is bad, calling himself the Destroyer. Only a madman would do that. Sensing danger approaching, he shouted, wait, that's not a monster. Patton drew his blade and swung straight at the Goblin. It nonchalantly raised its wooden club and whacked. One hit, damage totaled 100 million. The system announced, PK mode, pain level capped below the knockout threshold to prevent high-level players from bullying the weak. Patton spurted blood from his mouth and collapsed on the spot. Someone shouted that he just disappeared. Patton the Destroyer has been destroyed. The Goblin killed him. Panic surged in Cholsu. Shit, if people find out it's the monster I summoned, I'm done for. Someone asked, getting toyed by a goblin, how embarrassing, Patton the Destroyer. He's not even a monster worth fighting. A 4-person team appeared. Suji the Ferocious, Assassin level 28. Yoonhyuk of the Shadows, Assassin level 30. Jihyun the Reaper, Archer level 27. Minsung Swift Strike, Assassin level 28. Yoonhyuk pointed his blade at the Goblin and said, you will be held accountable for causing trouble with our guild. Cholsu worried that things were getting more complicated. His Goblin wouldn't lose, but if it killed everyone, it'd be a disaster. He suddenly spoke up, wait, let me handle this Goblin. Minsung asked, who are you? Don't meddle in our business. If you keep it up, we'll have to kill you. He hurriedly protested, meddle? No, but if you all swarm the Goblin, it'll look awful. Just then the system announced, the Goblin used the rock throw skill. Smack, damage reached 100 million. Next announcement, Minsung Swift Strike is dead. Only then did the Everton Guild realize how dangerous the situation was. They all shouted to attack the other guy too. Cholsu fled in a cloud of dust. The Goblin, seeing its master bolt, followed close behind. Cholsu's mind was in chaos. How did things end up like this? I have a max level Goblin and a bright future. I thought life in Heaven's Door would finally be smooth sailing. Suddenly a door opened ahead of him. An old man with white hair and beard shouted this way. Cholsu asked, who are you? The man barked, there's no time to explain, hurry up. the wooden door slammed shut. He hadn't expected it. The man was Seungryul the Cunning, a level 26 warrior. He'd set a trap, waiting for him to walk into it. He shoved him into a corridor. Cholsu shouted, "Damn, you told me to go this way." He replied, "This is the road to your grave." Now he realized he'd been tricked, damn it. He sprinted at full speed to escape when the system panel popped up. Cholsu yelled, "What the hell, I'm busy running already and now this." System notification, Goblin King, surprised that you were cowardly and didn't dare attack. After putting the opponent off guard, you gained 1 goblin point. He cried out, "Cowardly, it called me cowardly. At first you called me weak and ordinary, and now you call me cowardly." He pondered inwardly, "From the start I did nothing wrong, so what made me become weak, ordinary, and so cowardly? It was because those who added me to their party betrayed me and suddenly attacked me." The angrier he got thinking about it, he stopped and shouted, "Listen, Goblin." It chirped Kayet, ready and awaiting orders. He said, "We've been looked down on as weak. From now on, we will destroy the Everton Guild." Cholsu broke into a wicked grin in true Goblin style. Kayet CCC. At the same time, members of the Everton Guild chased Cholsu, running along the rooftops. Jihyun the Reaper said, "Do you need to come along to help eliminate him?" Yoonhyuk of the Shadows, "I think I can handle it alone." He replied, "Don't be careless about that Goblin. Patton the Destroyer may be the weakest among us, but it could kill him in an instant. There's something unusual about that Goblin." Suddenly they heard a terrified scream from below. "Aaa." Yoonhyuk immediately stopped and shouted about the scream. He jumped down and saw a man's body lying on planks. He immediately recognized Seungryul the Cunning. Suddenly Yoonhyuk felt a chill up his spine. The goblin stood right behind, its gaze radiating horrific killing intent. Yoonhyuk swung his blade instantly, chopping hard backward. Force erupted with a thunderous boom. The goblin stood amid a swirling cloud of dust, grinning cheekily with no sign of fear. Yoonhyuk screamed, "How can it be unharmed?" Suddenly he recalled Minsung's death and thought to himself, "Did I just missy that earlier? That's terrible." The goblin raised its club to strike back. Yoonhyuk unexpectedly felt a crushing pressure bearing down on him. He thought he was going to die. The goblin unleashed a very powerful downward blow. Yoonhyuk raised his blade, trying to block. He felt something opposing his attack. Suddenly Jihyun the Reaper appeared. The girl raised her bow to attack. Yoonhyuk shouted, "What are you doing standing there? Do you want the goblin to kill her?" He realized that Jihyun the Reaper was confronting the goblin. How could a low-level monster like it deal millions in damage? Yoonhyuk was certain they were cheating. Not knowing who was messing with him, he immediately activated the assassin's absolute cruelty skill. His body flared with crimson energy. Yoonhyuk's eyes filled with murderous intent as he said coldly, irritating. System notification, absolute cruelty reduces your speed by 90%. From now on all attacks will be critical hits. Seeing Yoonhyuk's mana drop to 280, Jihyun yelled, "What are you doing? It's just fighting a goblin. Why use that skill?" He replied, "Don't worry, it's just like a passive skill. Except how the hell does a passive skill consume more than half your mana?" Yoonhyuk activated a skill, Reverse Grip Stance. Blade adds 30% physical damage but reduces critical rate by 50%. He said, "We'll take him down with one strike, then the next one." Jihyun replied, "Ha, fine, finish him quickly before anyone else sees." The girl used the Archer's Gale Arrow skill. A dazzling blue light appeared, radiating a strange power. Jihyun said, "I don't want to have to watch you pour everything into that skill just to hit a goblin." System notice, Gale Arrow has removed all movement slow effects from characters within the area of effect. All attacks will be critical hits plus 30% physical damage, slow effects removed, assassin passive grants plus 20% critical damage. Damage increases proportionally with movement speed. Yoonhyuk began his assault, enough playing around Goblin. He aimed at the goblin and swung a powerful slash, but suddenly it felt like he was cutting through air. Yoonhyuk thought to himself, wait, could it be? The goblin stuck out its tongue and grinned wickedly. Immediately there was a loud thud. Yoonhyuk was knocked backward and slammed into the wall. He was completely crushed. Cholsu asked coldly, who finished whom in a single blow? "Why didn't you say it could take me out once maxed?" Jihyun was utterly shocked, crying out, "What just happened? Could this goblin not be just an ordinary monster?" Cholsu laughed, "Hehehe, of course, I summoned it." The goblin giggled at CCC in agreement with its master. Jihyun stammered, "How can a goblin have this kind of power?" Yoonhyuk of the Shadows is supposed to be the strongest in the Everton Guild. Cholsu put on a fierce expression and replied, "That's your problem. The important thing right now is that I am very, very angry." Jihyun frowned and asked, what do you want? What did we ever do to you?" Cholsu challenged her, "Do you really not know what's going on?" A lecherous look crossed his face as he shouted, "It's your fault for being too attractive." Jihyun screamed, "Aaa, you pervert." The girl overreacted. He hurriedly explained, "Wait, that's not what I meant. You attacked first, so me and my treasure got tense." Hearing the word tense, Jihyun yelled, "Your treasure is tense, Aaa." Cholsu broke out in a sweat. If anyone else sees this, they'll misunderstand." He said, "Goblin, stop her from crying." It responded Kayet and stepped forward. By then a large crowd had gathered on the street below. Someone shouted, "Did you all hear that?" He pointed at the rooftop. Look over there, it's those people from before. Cholsu looked down, worried, so everyone's come. He hurriedly urged, hey Goblin, finish up and let's get out of here. But it seemed too late. People had already seen the Goblin covering the girl's mouth. They immediately shouted that a Goblin had destroyed the Everton Guild and was assaulting a surviving woman. Maybe next it'll be us. Cholsu froze. Damn, I only meant to take revenge on the Everton Guild. Now stuck in this mess, I can't run. An idea flashed through his mind. Cholsu shouted, Goblin, stop, let that woman go. Hearing this, people below exclaimed, did that boy just tell the Goblin to release the girl? One person marveled that a boy in starter gear dared confront a monster that even the Everton Guild couldn't handle. The Goblin obeyed immediately and released Jihyun. Cholsu burst into tears and shouted, stop it, it's over now. People below misunderstood what they heard and turned it into. He said today would be the Goblin's last day. The crowd murmured in awe, hey you over there, I don't know who you are, but those in the back shouted in unison, good luck, crush it, we support you. Seeing this, Cholsu froze, panic rising inside him. What the hell now? Why is everyone supporting me? They should be mocking me. Then he realized, wait, they don't know this Goblin was summoned by me. It made sense. Earlier I did say, let me handle this Goblin. I don't want the Everton Guild to get hurt. Cholsu immediately jumped in front of the girl and shouted, let this woman go. Jihyun, moved, cried out, oh Cholsu. He spoke sternly to the Goblin, it's over now. In his mind, he imagined saying those words. So that means now I'm the hero saving the beauty from the monster. Instinctively, Cholsu pretended to cover his face and sobbed hoo-hoo-hoo. He peered at Jihyun through his fingers and suddenly blurted, you. Seeing his strange face, Jihyun suddenly went cold. Cholsu growled, you wouldn't want to die in agony like your allies, would you? I won't kill you if you keep quiet about me and this Goblin. The girl immediately answered, fine. I promise I won't tell. He smiled satisfactorily and said, all right. Cholsu suddenly shouted, Goblin, you're just a monster and you dare invade this village and bring suffering to the people. He tried to act as heroic as possible, proclaiming loudly, I will. System notice, skill activated, walk the Goblin. A golden chain wrapped around the Goblin's neck. Cholsu pulled on it with all his strength, shouting that he would not forgive it. Very quickly, he had the Goblin under control, and jumped down to the street. His face showed a cool, heroic swagger as he walked, looking every bit the hero. Everyone was amazed. A skill that can control a monster with a light chain. Who would have thought in this trainee village there were people who could use such an advanced skill? The Goblin obediently followed behind, squeaking a few kayet sounds. People marveled that one pull made the Goblin submit. Little did they know it was actually just a walk the Goblin skill. System notice, the Goblin's mood has improved thanks to walk the Goblin. Cholsu said sternly to everyone, go home quickly, it's dangerous, I can handle this. Jihyun looked down from above. Someone said, no wonder the Everton Guild lost. The estimated level of that guy must be over 50. Other players hearing this were stunned. 50? So it's not that the guild is weak, it's that nobody here stands a chance. Cholsu said, I can't win, but with my skill I can force them to retreat. He quietly gathered his energy and used the feed Goblin skill. A sausage appeared in his hand. Cholsu hurled the sausage out past the city gate, shouting loudly, this will be your funeral day. The Goblin happily squealed kayet kayet and immediately ran fast after the sausage. Cholsu shouted, now close the main gate. As the Goblin stepped outside, the city gate slammed shut immediately. Other players exclaimed, it's over, then what? Cholsu wiped his brow and asked, is everyone all right? The crowd cheered joyfully. While he did it, he drove the Goblin away. Wow. He breathed a sigh of relief. Everything was settled. He almost ended up the crazy guy who destroyed the entire guild. Suddenly, a voice behind him said the other guild members had died and been teleported back to the resurrection altar at the Paschal Sanctuary. I'm the only one who knows about your relationship with the Goblin. Cholsu fell silent, wondering to himself about that woman from earlier. Jihyun said sternly, I promise I'll keep my word. Suddenly an idea flashed through his mind. Aha, I can use her. Cholsu replied coldly, I heard in Paschal you receive infinite lives, even protection from monsters and other players. That's why it's called a sanctuary. Suddenly he threatened her, you'll keep quiet, right? If not, I'll kill you and watch over you at the resurrection altar, then kill you again and again by dealing more damage than the health you recover. I promise. Hearing that, Jihyun grew frightened. She shouted, no, no. Cut to scene. Cholsu lay down and said comfortably that although it wasn't as planned, it felt great to be in a nice room for doing a good job. He stretched out his legs on the large bed, murmuring proudly. Suddenly he remembered the image of Catherine being crushed. Back then I had no power. If I had, I would have saved her. She's so hot. Cholsu sat bolt upright. Oh shoot, I almost forgot. The Goblin points I got from that Goblin King. He opened the system to check. Kim Cholsu, Goblin Summoner, Goblin points 1. I chose this class because I oddly resemble goblins and now I'm awarded points for being called cunning. At this rate, the goblins will take me as kin. He moved on to the shop. Most skills were locked. Cholsu muttered that advanced skills were locked, so maybe he only had one option left. He He wondered what assemble meant. As soon as he clicked, a notification appeared. You have used the gather goblin skill. In an instant, a goblin appeared right in front of him and leaped to bash its head into his face. Cholsu yelled, "Holy crap, what the hell is this? Is this a summon monster skill?" The goblin jumped on the bed, hopping and squeaking kayet kayet. Cholsu panicked. If someone finds you here, we're doomed. Ah, what should I do? Outside the door, a voice asked, "Are you okay, adventurer?" Cholsu cried out, "The innkeeper NPC? Ah, I'm fine," he whispered to the goblin. "If you don't want to die, go now." Seeing it raise a wooden club, he hurriedly said, "Okay, put it down, sorry about earlier." Night had fallen. Cholsu sighed that although it did nothing, it was mocked and attacked for no reason. He placed the goblin beside him, stared at it for a long time, then said, "You really are like me. This world is full of bastards." The next morning, Cholsu went down to the tavern. The server said, "Welcome, sir." The Everton Guild members were already waiting there. Upon seeing him, Patton said, "So you're the bastard from yesterday who saved a guild member." Cholsu replied quietly, "Ah, yes." He felt a bit uneasy. "It's crowded here. Without my goblin, I feel nervous." Yoonhyuk suddenly spoke up that there's no reason he should have helped them after identifying them as enemies. Still, he said thanks. Cholsu thought to himself, tone down the thanks and the bulletai stare. Seeing Jihyun stare at him, Yoonhyuk reassured her, "Don't worry, Jihyun the Grim Reaper." Clearly, he had no intent to fight. Cholsu thought inwardly, "Of course, my goblin isn't here. You were all deceived by it." He changed the subject. "As I said, the reason I helped you, even though you wanted to kill me, is because there's something I need." Yoonhyuk smiled slightly. As expected, he guessed right. He said, "Whatever the reason, we owe you. The guild won't forget the favor. We'll help you as much as we can." He answered frankly, "No matter how much I farm in this trainee area, I don't get much. I'm already above level 30 and I want to move to the next zone quickly. You all know how to do that, right?" Yoonhyuk asked, "Are you talking about Fjorandel, someone who knows how to get there?" Suddenly someone spoke up, "That's me, I know the way there." The one who spoke was Seungryul the Cunning, a level 26 warrior. Cholsu thought to himself, "This guy is." He grabbed his sleeve. Seungryul hurriedly said, "I'm sorry, really." He cleared his throat and continued, "Seeing you handle that goblin alone, you must be pretty strong, maybe even stronger than us." Patton grabbed his head and swore, "Damn." Cholsu thought inwardly, "Of course not. But if that guy had attacked me yesterday as he said, I'd have died in one hit." Seungryul the Cunning said the trainee area, also known as Lev, consists of 5 ordinary dungeons. The grass zone is where slimes appear, the geological dungeon, the dark forest zone, and so on. These dungeons can be entered at any time and are known as field dungeons. But if you want to leave Lev, you must clear the conquest dungeon. Cholsu asked, "Defeat the conquest dungeon boss." Seungryul explained that unlike field dungeons, conquest dungeons have fixed open and close times. They have time limits and a set number of attempts because they're the area's final dungeons. So it's a place you must reach after leveling enough in the current zone. Yoonhyuk stood and said the Lev Conquest dungeon only opens once a month. The reason we gathered here is to clear it. Cholsu asked, "So what are you all doing here?" Yoonhyuk did not hide it. He replied, "Yes. Yesterday was the day the Conquest dungeon opened, but that bastard goblin ruined everything. We'll be trapped in Lev until the next conquest." Hearing this, Cholsu blurted out, "We're going to be stuck here for a month." He muttered, "Damn, I'm making over $200,000 plus drops from level 80 monsters. My goblin could easily clear tougher dungeons. But thinking about being stuck in this town for a month means no income." Cholsu tugged Yoonhyuk's sleeve and shouted, "Don't joke. 1 month? There has to be another way. You mean I have to waste my precious time?" He replied, "Yes, everyone here is annoyed about wasting time. Pay back the favor and go home quickly." Cholsu stood with his head down, dejected. Jihyun watched him for a moment, then ran outside. The Everton Guild members left. The goblin hid behind a wooden crate, chuckling Kayet CC. It suddenly glanced to the other side, sensing something strange. Across the starry sky, a blazing red spatial portal suddenly appeared. System notice, the conquest boss system has opened. Seungryul the Cunning shouted, "This is..." Patton was astonished. No way, there should have been at least 30 days until the next conquest. Yoonhyuk couldn't believe it either. The conquest boss had appeared. Inside the tavern, Cholsu had also received the notification. The conquest boss system had opened. He thought to himself, "It's already open." Patton said, "It's really open." They all looked at the blazing red portal before them. In just one day, the Lev Conquest boss dungeon had opened. Yoonhyuk asked, "How many people are in there?" Seungryul the Cunning replied, "Those who were ready cleared it yesterday and have already moved to the next zone." He exclaimed, "So this time it's just us." Cholsu growled from the back, "Told you, you tricked me. I should have realized when you said I'd have to wait a whole month. You all betrayed me so you could go first." He shouted, "And yet I still trusted you." Jihyun protested, "That's not true. You misunderstand, we didn't." Yoonhyuk said, "It's okay. So are you coming or not?" Cholsu shouted, "Of course, I won't just sit and watch you guys walk in and grab the loot. I really want to tell the protagonist. Has anyone said this yet? You're stubborn." Yoonhyuk said sternly, "All right, let me explain quickly before we go in. Based on the information we received, there's only one shrine that leads into Lev's conquest boss area. That means you could encounter the boss immediately upon entry. Be careful. Of course, I don't think it's too dangerous. As long as it's below our level, being cautious won't kill anyone. Seungryul the Cunning, a level 26 warrior, and Jihyun the Reaper, a level 27 archer, were ready. Patton snorted. Maybe our guild leader isn't here, but the guild is. This boss should only take 10 seconds to handle. They all let out a few shouts. Yoonhyuk smiled. Let's go, Everton. The group marched heroically into the dungeon. Chulsu trailed right behind. He instructed the Goblin, if they find you with me, we're screwed. So wait here until I call. It obediently hid behind a tree, chirping a few times, Kayet, Kayet. Remembering the last time with C1, he thought inwardly that anyone could betray him like that. I won't let that happen. He held a high-grade healing stone ready, which restores 100 HP to a player when their HP reaches 0. Chulsu told himself he also had a high-grade healing stone. Still he worried. Wait, didn't I already use it? Chulsu dashed in, damn it, whatever. He had barely passed through the gate when he froze. Chulsu shouted, so this is it, the conquest boss. A colossal level 40 behemoth was chasing the Everton guild members, who fled in a panic. He yelled, what the hell? It's a hidden dungeon. System notice, this is a hidden dungeon, the domain of the behemoth. Yoonhyuk asked Seungryul the Cunning, what's your plan this time? He replied, I have no idea. His cool demeanor was nowhere to be seen. Jihyun called loudly, Kim Chulsu, don't just stand there, run to the gate. He snorted like I'm joking. You want to flee the hidden dungeon? Don't you know what the hidden dungeon's rewards are? Yoonhyuk replied, who doesn't know that? It's just that that thing is level 40. If it hits us, our characters won't just die. Chulsu hesitated a bit, but it's only a 10 level difference. It shouldn't be as bad as being unable to revive. He told himself, at worst I'll lose some HP and faint. Does everyone think getting top tier rewards is easy? You don't know how good the hidden dungeon's rewards are. Chulsu mustered his courage and shouted, fine, you guys run. I'll go alone and take all the rewards. He cast the summoner Goblin skill Gather. He shouted, Goblin, I choose you. The Goblin was standing outside, gazing at the glittering starry sky. He chirped softly, Kayet. Inside the dungeon, the behemoth was charging in at the speed of light. Chulsu roared, I said hurry up and come out, damn it. A punch from the behemoth slammed into his face. System notice, Kim Chulsu has died. Patton saw this and yelled, shit. That idiot and the one who hit the Goblin yesterday are the same person. Yoonhyuk said, who cares about him? More importantly, the gate is closed. They all looked ahead. The heavy iron gate had already fallen shut. Patton shouted, what? Only a conquest dungeon would close early like that. This must be a hidden dungeon. Seungryul the Cunning said sternly, we underestimated this place. Ordinary dungeons have a very low mutation chance. Conquest can also spawn hidden dungeons. That's why we're facing a hidden conquest boss, a level 40 behemoth. We have no choice but to fight. Chulsu lay on the gaming rig, clenching his lips and shouted in frustration, AAA. Even though I'm over level 30, I was killed in one hit. Even knowing it's level 40, on Kim Chulsu's player info, Summoner Goblin level 31, Vitality 4, Endurance 2, Agility 0, Intelligence 1, Luck 0, Attribute Points 26. He suddenly remembered, damn, I forgot to spend attribute points. But I can't summon the Goblin now because the gate is closed. The treasure was right in front of us, just a little more, damn useless Goblin. Am I really going to lose all the rewards? Back inside the dungeon, Yoonhyuk shouted, Everton, start the hunt. Chulsu sprawled on the ground, suddenly opened his eyes and thought inwardly, what? Jihyun cast Archer's Tailwind Arrow. Immediately, allies' running speed doubled. Seungryul the Cunning surveyed the situation and said, Yoonhyuk to shadows, Minsung to speed. The two would attack first and look for its weak point. He judged that with Jihyun the Reaper's speed buff, the enemy wouldn't have time to react. The behemoth roared violently, Roa an ear-splitting sound. Yoonhyuk and Minsung combined their skills, the 16-strike combo. Every monster has at least one weakness. They did the 16-strike combo twice. That means over 30 hits to the body, and we can find its weakness by seeing which wound is the deepest. The behemoth still stood towering, roaring repeatedly, Roa Roa. Yoonhyuk asked, found it yet? Minsung replied, not yet, we can't deal any damage. I know this move is for finding weaknesses, but it should still deal damage. Yoonhyuk agreed, I agree with you, so there are only two possibilities, its defense is too strong. Or, before he finished, the two had to face a new attack from the behemoth. Yoonhyuk grabbed his dual blades, leaped, and launched a counterattack. Quite a few small wounds were inflicted. Damage dealt totaled 1,800. Even after using the skill Peerless Sword, Yoonhyuk realized, yeah, that's it, the smaller hits did nothing. The level 40 behemoth has 28,200 HP out of 30,000. It has the skill Despise Weaklings. It's a passive ability. Attacks dealing less than 5% of max HP are nullified. Patton suddenly said, Yoonhyuk Shadow, you're the only one who can deal that kind of damage, to take on a level 40. Seungryul the Cunning countered, no, he's not the one with the strongest ultimate here. Given the situation, someone else can do it better. Jihyun the Reaper, a level 27 archer, stepped forward at once. She used her ultimate, Reaper's Arrow, channeling HP into her bow. The more HP spent, the higher the damage. The girl said confidently that anyone would treat her like the guild leader if they knew she had this skill. Patton shouted Jihyun the Reaper, though he didn't know what that was. It'll probably take time, I'll stall for you. He yelled AAA and activated the Battle Roar skill. He taunted the monster with Battle Roar. The behemoth charged and attacked immediately. A roaring roar resounded with the strike. Chulsu thought to himself, this idiot, he taunts the monster when he should be running to save himself. With a thud, the behemoth's punch landed, dust billowing up. Patton stayed standing, laughing arrogantly, that's nothing, I can get stronger. Seungryul the Cunning warned, don't let your guard down, Patton the Destroyer. For this plan, we can't afford any mistakes. Seungryul the Cunning and Patton formed a small team using a linked skill. Damage is shared with linked targets. The one with higher HP takes more of the damage. Chulsu thought inwardly that their levels were low, and none of them had a hidden class. Yoonhyuk said that while the two warriors distracted the monster, the assassin team, Suji the Berserker, Minsu Sharp-Eye, Hyunsu Bloodthirsty, plus Yoonhyuk Shadow and Minsung Swift would break down its defenses with passive skills. The assassin passive, Strike Weakness, has a 1% chance to hit a weak point and reduces the enemy's defense by 2%, stacking up to 5 times. Chulsu thought, how are these guys so strong? Patton and Seungryul the Cunning attacked head-on to draw the behemoth's attention while the assassin team concentrated and struck from behind. Jihyun stood farther back, raising her bow to boost the party's power. Chulsu cursed under his breath, damn it, they'll kill the boss. He clutched the healing stone, calculating that he wouldn't receive XP or rewards if he died. Patton suddenly saw the behemoth falter. He cried out in surprise, you bastard. Why are you looking that way? System notice, the monster has targeted another player. Worried about the group's plan, Patton roared, you should be hitting me instead. The behemoth slammed its fist into the ground with a thud. On the other side, Chulsu slowly stood up and said, I can't just watch these noobs fight. Since I'm the highest level here, I'll help them. He used a high-grade healing stone to restore 100 HP when a player's HP reaches 0. Chulsu smiled, the protagonist always shows up last. System notice, the behemoth has targeted Kim Chulsu. The behemoth used a wide area destruction technique. One strike wiped out the assassin team. Minsu Sharp-Eye is dead, Suji the Berserker is dead, Hyunsu Bloodthirsty is dead, Minsung Swift is dead. Someone bellowed, you bastard, why didn't you resurrect sooner? The assassin team was blasted forward and collapsed right in front of Patton. He looked at the scene and immediately screamed, how dare you let my allies get hurt? Seeing Patton so agitated, Seungryul warned, no, don't drop your guard. But it was too late. Patton activated the warrior's great strike skill. He attacked the behemoth, it immediately countered. Patton couldn't withstand it. He took 3,890 damage. And due to the linked skill sharing damage with linked targets, the one with higher HP takes more damage. Seungryul was also hit for 2,456 points. Internal injuries weren't light either. He swore, you idiot. System notice, Patton the Destroyer has died. Seungryul the Cunning has died. Chulsu stood stunned, what have I done? This isn't my fault, I only resurrected myself. Yoonhyuk returned. He thought to himself that monsters always target healers and ranged players more than tanks. But because of the monster's taunt skill, Battle Roar, it instead targeted Patton the Destroyer for that hit. The moment an unexpected player resurrected, the monster's target priority reset. The assassin squad couldn't react and were wiped out. Even the tanks weren't spared. Jihyun asked worriedly, what should we do? Yoonhyuk Shadow, should I shoot? System notice, Archer skill Reaper's arrow uses HP to draw the bow. The more HP used, the higher the damage. Jihyun the Reaper, remaining HP 46%. Yoonhyuk replied, calm down, Jihyun the Reaper. If you shoot now, the plan will fall apart. We haven't even maxed stacks of the assassin passive. The assassin passive Strike Weakness has a 1% chance on hit to hit a weak point and reduce enemy defense by 2%, stacking up to 5 times. The behemoth has 3 stacks. Yoonhyuk felt it still wasn't enough to finish it in one blow. He moved immediately. I'll lure it, whatever you do, don't cancel your skill. Without her finishing blow, we won't have a chance to win. Jihyun tried to hold on, the girl was exhausted and let out a gasp. Chulsu asked, hey, do you need my help? Jihyun snapped, what can you do without a goblin? Just don't get in the way. Her look said you're just a nuisance to us right now. Chulsu thought inwardly, why is she looking at me like that? Because I don't have a goblin? It's your fault anyway. Because of you I couldn't bring a goblin, it's your fault. He forced a weak smile, and she's still arrogant while relying on me. Fine, I'll let you handle it until you all die. The behemoth roared and its gaze shifted. System notice, the behemoth has chosen Jihyun the Reaper as its target. Yoonhyuk thought, of course, it prioritizes our archer, our ranged player. He rushed in with his blade, growling, where are you looking? I am your opponent. Yoonhyuk assessed it was a reckless move. He continuously activated his skill, Twin Blades of Fury. He struck the behemoth, dealing 1,920 damage. The behemoth enraged and immediately stopped attacking Jihyun. Yoonhyuk stared at it, not done yet. This is who you should be fighting back against. He gathered his energy and launched another move, Twin Blades of Fury. The blade flashed a streak of lightning bright light. He slashed straight across the behemoth's chest. The way to make it furious is to deal massive damage to it. Yoon-hyuk exclaimed, so it only sees me as a threat after 3 full power strikes. The behemoth roared wildly. System notice, the behemoth has targeted Yoon-hyuk's shadow. Level 40 behemoth HP, 22,460 out of 30,000. Yoon-hyuk calculated that although strike weakness only had 3 stacks, the previous blow made up enough. Now it's just about stalling for her. He flicked his chin and asked, what's wrong, are you pissed? Yoon-hyuk activated the assassin skill Shadow Step, which dodges all physical attacks for 3 seconds. Take these next 3 seconds. But the system notified not enough energy. He froze what? Before he knew what to do next, the behemoth landed a heavy blow on him. Cholsu is stunned. System notice, Yoon-hyuk's shadow has died. He screamed, you idiot, so cocky just now and now this. You should have stayed, I shouldn't have resurrected. Jihyun shot back loudly, what are you serious? You think I'm stupid, trapped here drawing this bow? Your resurrection ruined everything. Cholsu strained his neck and asked, so you mean you idiots could have killed it if I hadn't resurrected? The girl yelled, no, you moron, if I had 10 more seconds I could have killed it easily. He swore, damn it, I'd rather let you all die than watch you get the rewards without me. The behemoth roared, making them both jump. System notice, the behemoth has targeted Jihyun the Reaper. The girl raised her bow at once, now's not the time to argue. She hadn't finished charging, but this was the only chance to shoot. Seeing Cholsu open the system menu, Jihyun asked, what the hell are you doing? He suddenly remembered something. Wait, I have a question. You can't move while charging, right? The girl was suspicious. What are you going to do? When Cholsu grabbed her, Jihyun shouted, don't get near me. He hoisted her onto his shoulder and ran like the wind. Jihyun screamed, oh my god. Cholsu said, you said you only needed 10 more seconds. The behemoth immediately chased after the two of them. The girl was astonished. Impossible, how are you as fast as Yoon-hyuk's shadow? Cholsu thought to himself that he had dumped all his attribute points into agility. While an assassin wouldn't put everything into agility and he might not be an assassin, his movement speed could rival theirs. Anyway, that earlier argument gave me 1 goblin point. Does it only give me this point when I act unlike a human? Damn you, Goblin King, are you saying I'm the one at fault here? Jihyun shouted ready. Cholsu urged, shoot. The girl snapped, don't rush me. Do you think it's easy to aim while moving this fast? If she misses, we're all screwed. Cholsu threatened, don't say that. I'll make you pay 100-fold for my lost HP and the high-grade healing stone. The behemoth suddenly gathered its energy. A circular shockwave of force erupted with a boom. At the same time, Jihyun activated the archer skill Reaper's arrow. System notice, Jihyun the Reaper has 1% HP remaining. Cholsu shouted, finish it. Suddenly the behemoth used a wide area skill, World Eradication. It swung its arm down with tremendous force, the ground exploded with bangs. Dirt and rocks flew up in a cloud. Cholsu froze, so it had been hiding this skill. This was an 8-directional attack. Jihyun had only 1% HP left, and I just resurrected with only 100 HP too, meaning if we get hit we'll both die instantly. Jihyun aimed the arrow and cried out, too much debris. At this rate I can't hit it. A strange feeling surfaced in Jihyun's mind. She blurted out, my brain just flashed this thought. A solution for this situation? Cholsu replied, no, it's just a memory of me playing games with friends. But close your eyes for a second and you're done for, damn. At that moment, a hand reached into the secret crevice. Goblin 999 appeared, grinning Kayet CCC. Seeing it, Cholsu shouted, you bastard, you showed up early. It's probably been a week since I used it. Assemble up. Jihyun broke out in a cold sweat. What did I just see? It just damaged the dungeon's space to get in. Could be a shadow skill. Goblin 999 cast the Goblin shield skill. It lunged forward to block in front of Cholsu, facing the great iron strongman without any fear. He shouted loudly, your final words are shouted like that, hidden boss. Ahead was a goblin, Jihyun on his shoulder. Cholsu said confidently, this is it, the climax has come. The archer girl completed her move, the Reaper skill fired arrow with full force. Massive damage of 22,524. The great iron staggered, a large hole torn in its body, then it collapsed backward with a crash. System notice, you have cleared the hidden dungeon, the great iron's altar. Jihyun still couldn't believe her eyes, we won, we really cleared the hidden dungeon. System notice, you have leveled up. Jihyun the Reaper Archer leveled from 27 to 31. Kim Cholsu, Goblin Summoner level 31, increased to level 34. His face showed some dissatisfaction as he kept shouting, rewards, spit out the reward. System notice, all dead characters have been resurrected after clearing the dungeon. Yoon-hyuk asked, is everyone okay? Patton sat up and replied, I can still taste blood in my mouth. But luckily it's over. If its level had been higher, we'd really be screwed. Seungryul looked sly and seemed unwell. His eyes didn't move at all. Patton said, wait. Seungryul stopped breathing. Someone suggested, hit him hard and he'll wake up. Yoon-hyuk hesitantly asked, so, can someone explain what happened? Cholsu saw the members of the Everton Guild staring at him and yelled, don't come closer, hey. Jihyun thought to herself, why is he like that? The girl stammered, about that. Right then, system notice, you have leveled up. Kim Cholsu, Goblin Summoner level 31 increased to level 34. He seemed displeased, repeatedly shouting rewards, spit out the rewards. Seeing the notification displayed, you do not meet the requirements for the hidden class. Jihyun wondered, I'm still not eligible for the hidden class. Cleared the hidden dungeon, still not enough huh. Cholsu thought, as soon as we meet the class promotion condition by gaining the trust of the Goblin King. Then he realized that to level up you must clear a special condition inside the hidden dungeon. Once the condition is met, we can level up without fighting the boss. Besides, it would have made more sense to defeat the boss after receiving the hidden class. I'm curious what that class is. Cholsu pushed that aside, now's not the time to think about it. For now I need to grab the dropped rewards quickly. His eyes fixed on the pile of items, here they are, gotta snatch them up. Jihyun stopped him, wait, the two of us did kill it but everyone fought it together, we should discuss and split the rewards with them. Cholsu roared. Jihyun sighed, he's been like that for a while. Yoonhyuk asked, who is he Gollum, has he been like that all this time? Cholsu knelt on the ground, mumbling until his tongue twisted. Security, mine. Jihyun corrected him, treasure. Yoonhyuk explained, the dungeon boss has been defeated. It's true you helped us twice, now that we've met our goal we're not that greedy for the rewards. Hearing that, Cholsu felt a bit relieved. He exclaimed, really? But suddenly there was a crackling behind him, someone stepping on the stones. Turning around, they saw Sly Seungryul drawing his sword. He had activated a cunning skill. Cholsu hurriedly shouted, I told you we shouldn't fight him, Yoonhyuk, darkness. Perhaps Yoonhyuk didn't anticipate this either, he spat, damn it. Seeing Seungryul about to move, he yelled, damn it. I knew you'd do this, haven't you betrayed me once but twice? Yoonhyuk replied, it's fine if we deal with you now. If you wanted to use force, you'd still be standing here. Just take all the rewards. The dropped items included 3 common materials, 1 refined material, and a special item, the Great Bow. Yoonhyuk hesitated, but isn't that bow the special item? Cholsu asked, so what about this? He replied, you're not an archer, what would you do with it? Light a fire? He thought to himself, yeah, I know. The special Great Bow can't be sold, it's for archers only. He knew he couldn't sell the special item nor use it without that class. Still, Cholsu greedily hugged the bow, I want it anyway. Everyone wants that, even their mothers would have one. Yoonhyuk said, don't be greedy, give it to Jihyun the Reaper. A thought flashed through his mind. Cholsu said, fine. I'll give you this weapon, but you have to give me something in return. He exclaimed in surprise, what? He laid his cards on the table. This is a non-sellable item, so it's priceless. Who would lose out if I take this item? You'll have to buy it from me, hoo ha ha ha. Sly Seungryul broke into a sweat. Don't tell me the reason he endured until we revived was just to sell that item. Cholsu laughed uncontrollably, yuhahaha. Yoonhyuk thought to himself, how despicable, reminds me of that goblin earlier. Goblin 999 was hiding in the pile of rocks at the moment, because they were currently a team. Jihyun slung the bow over her shoulder. The girl cried out, it's heavy. The special Great Bow is non-sellable and reserved for archers. This is the bow the Great Iron used before it was corrupted. Cholsu said sternly, thanks for the deal, Everton. Yoonhyuk coldly replied, I've thought it over a long time. It's no wonder you're hated. Where will you go after you leave here? Cholsu grinned sheepishly and answered, am I being that obvious? To a place without those people. The Everton Guild quickly regrouped and left. Yoonhyuk muttered, idiot. But sounds good, shall we go then? Jihyun turned to look at him with grateful eyes. Cholsu snorted, called his goblin, and it appeared at once. The two of them quickly left the dungeon. The Everton Guild and Kim Cholsu had cleared the hidden boss raid. He felt regret at losing the bow, but after all he couldn't use it. Instead he received something more useful. He opened the usable item inventory and examined a thief's glove. You can steal anything, but only once. You cannot steal items from someone higher level than you. You cannot use this item against the user. He took out a small iron chunk. This was the real jackpot, a refined material. Cholsu licked his lips. Before, he was just a player who mined. Those fools only focused on special weapons and didn't recognize the true value of this. Who cares about that special weapon? This is everything I need. He looked at the ruined material and the refined material and grinned with satisfaction. You're the ones who betrayed me first. Scene change. Cholsu went to Fiorindal, Phoenix El Bassar. This place is incredibly bustling, he exclaimed. Wow, so many high-level players. He watched an adventurer in heavy armor ahead and marveled, I've never seen anyone wear that set before. How much must they have grinded? Cholsu's expression was like, I can smell it, the scent of money. He told himself that first, even though he had debts to pay, he needed to upgrade his gear. Even if it was a hidden boss, dying to a monster 9 levels lower was unbelievable. He looked at his outfit. If right, he'd been wearing this armor since level 3. It's just a starter set, requires level 3, defense -1. Wait, how can defense be negative? Suddenly a goblin tugged at his trousers, chittering Kayet Kayet. Cholsu snapped, what is this? He shouted a threat, I swear, if you cause trouble in this village. But he froze mid-sentence as a huge white long-haired great cat appeared. Cholsu yelled, a monster. Damn, why is there a boss-level monster here? Goblin, protect me. The goblin immediately stepped in front of its master, squeaking a few times, Kayet CCC. A girl exclaimed, oh my, I've never seen anyone summon a goblin as a pet. Irene, a level 76 summoner, rode atop the white great cat. The girl looked at Cholsu and asked, is that your summoned monster? He broke out in a cold sweat thinking someone rides it, so this monster is also a summoned pet. Seeing his fear, Irene reassured him, don't worry, Michelle is very well behaved in the village. Cholsu stammered, but it drools like that. He judged inwardly that this person was very strong, no need to fight to tell. The Everton Guild was the same. Most guilds don't have the capability to fight her. Irene suddenly asked, hey kid, could you tell me its name? He replied, Kim Cholsu. She said, no, I mean the kid next to you. Earlier I heard you call it Goblin. You still haven't named it. Goblin 999 flailed its legs and arms, squeaking Kayet Kayet. Cholsu was a bit surprised. Who cares about that? Who would name a summoned monster? And also she called it kid. Irene laughed heartily, haha, a one-sided relationship can't last. The girl said, look at your summoned monster. It's showing anger toward its master for not bothering to name it, after hearing your command to protect me. Hopefully next time we meet you won't be so thoughtless, Kim Cholsu. Irene ordered her pet, come on, Michelle. Cholsu stammered, thanks for the advice, because I don't need it, me and this guy have no problem. Let's go, Goblin. Goblin 999 squeaked a few times, Kayet Kayet, and obeyed its master. He immediately went to an equipment shop. The man looked at Cholsu with great surprise and said, wait, your gear, dogs would scorn it, wearing junk would be better. That was NPC Humphrey with a sharp tongue, a potential candidate for guildmaster of the Mouthful Guild. Cholsu hurriedly explained, that's why I'm here to buy something better. He browsed a while and offered an item, this set is too good for you, this should fit. The system showed the info and Cholsu calculated 350 gold is about $40. Even if I have a max level summoned monster, if a lone summoner like me dies, we're done, so I need at least a small amount of defense. He chose to buy it. Humphrey snorted and said, at least you have some sense, use it well. I used high quality materials for an idiot like you. Damn, what a cursed mouth, everything he says stinks. Cholsu put on the armor and exclaimed, wow, this armor is beautiful. But he quickly discovered, damn, I can't move. Humphrey shouted that someone like you should just stay put. The sturdy armor requires a stat, Vitality 24. Kim Cholsu only has Vitality 4, the armor is too heavy for you, you can't move. He thought, damn it, I dumped all my points into agility to fight that great iron, I'll have to sell it. Humphrey grumbled, you want me to buy this scrap armor? I'll buy this sturdy armor for 30 gold. Hearing that, Cholsu felt strangled. What the hell, you just sold it for 350 gold earlier. Shit, did the NPC just cheat me? Suddenly he saw a yellow exclamation mark appear above the man's head. Cholsu asked curiously, but what's that exclamation mark above your head? Humphrey cried out suddenly, not here, I can't find it. As he spoke, he rummaged through his tools looking. Cholsu was a bit puzzled, what on earth is he doing? Humphrey looked utterly panicked, my hammer is missing. Without it, I can't forge anymore. Cholsu said, but you have many. Goblin 9999 let out a Kayet. Humphrey explained, that's not the same, I need the old hammer. It must be in the aqueduct dungeon near the village entrance. Find it for me. System notice, Humphrey's trouble quest, go find Humphrey's metallurgical hammer. Reward, permission to process materials for forging armor. Cholsu then realized, oh, it's a quest. It allows me to process materials to forge armor. After a moment of thought, he understood. That's why boss dungeon materials are so expensive. So that's why those materials cost so much. He had ruined material and refined material in hand. Cholsu calculated that if he could process these into equipment, that would be fantastic. He smiled slightly and asked the aqueduct right. System displayed, you have accepted the quest, Humphrey's trouble. Cholsu crossed his arms confidently and said, I don't need to worry about others. Teammates only add burden. With Goblin 999 carrying the team, I'll clear the dungeon easily, under 30 minutes. Suddenly Humphrey yelled from behind, what are you standing there for, you idiot, go find my hammer. Cholsu startled and turned around. System showed quest condition, if the foul-mouthed Humphrey dies, the quest will fail. He shouted, why the hell are you coming with me? Cholsu thought, if his death means quest failure, why must I drag this level 13 anchor along? What an unexpected variable. Humphrey barked, why aren't you leaving? What are you staring at? Don't meddle in things that aren't your concern. He frowned, thinking that since he'd invested all points into agility, his movement speed was decent. Skip the trash monsters and just handle the boss quickly. Cholsu replied, I was about to leave right now. Let's go. He dashed off, calculating that he knew this type of quest. Annoying NPCs follow the player, then stand in place once the player is far enough away. He'd use that to leave the guy at the entrance. Suddenly, the system announced Humphrey with the foul mouth is under attack. Cholsu froze, what? Over there, Humphrey was surrounded by mutated zombies and slimes. He roared, dare to challenge Humphrey? Cholsu yelled, no, don't fight, retreat now. He loudly called, Goblin. Goblin 999 rushed in like a gust of wind. It screamed Kaya. A wooden club whizzed past Humphrey's face. The damage totaled roughly 100 million, wiping out the zombies and slimes. It chuckled CCC. The floor was strewn with zombie claws and mutated slime goo. Humphrey arrogantly said, "Of course they can't stand against me, Humphrey." Cholsu said coldly, "Something's coming." He immediately glanced over those signs. He grabbed his hammer and ran off toward that direction. Rage rose in Cholsu. Should he just kill this guy? What a nuisance, recklessly charging in with no sense of fear. He calculated, leave the goblin to guard him and rush to the boss alone. No, if the NPC dies while the goblin is near, it's over. There's only one choice. Cholsu ordered the goblin to change tactics. From now on, we'll clear out all the trash monsters. Kaya. Humphrey ran a bit and met a horde of giant rats blocking the way. He shouted, "Monsters, how dare you nest in Phoenix Elbasar and steal my hammer? I'll wipe you all out now." He swung his hammer and charged, shouting loudly, "Behold my secret technique." Goblin 999 charged in as the vanguard, slaughtering the foes. Humphrey swung his hammer with all his might until dizzy, hadn't used such strength in a long time. Goblin, with damage around 1 million, swept through the pack of large rats. Cholsu watched the fight and said, "Excellent. It'll take longer than expected, but this is much safer. That damned old man still won't die." Humphrey saw him smile and asked, "Hey, you dare to belittle me?" Cholsu replied, "This isn't belittling." He bellowed, "Before being a blacksmith, I was a proud warrior." NPC Warrior Humphrey, level 13. Warrior skill war cry provokes monsters. Humphrey roared, "You bastard." A skeleton suddenly moved. It held out a long cry, "Uaa." Humphrey proudly declared his roar awakened the ancient slumbering spirits. Before them stood an army of skeletons. Skeleton King level 35, Skeleton level 31, Skeleton level 33, Skeleton level 33, Skeleton level 33, Skeleton level 33, Skeleton level 32. He said gleefully, "Now I'm really in the mood to fight." Cholsu was furious, so with that move he woke every monster we could have passed without fighting. He shouted, "This stupid quest was made for me to finish right now, isn't it? I'm so angry. This is the last time you pull this nonsense." Goblin 999 spun a stone on its fingertip, then suddenly clenched it until the stone split in two. It screamed Kaya and hurled it straight at the enemies. Cholsu said, "If you do that again, quests or whatever, I'll kill them all." 3 hours later. After a long stretch, Cholsu felt truly helpless. The crazy old man kept disrupting things. The stuff he carried was hidden dungeon level. He replied flatly, "I'm still Humphrey." System notification, Kim Cholsu, Summoner Goblin level 34 increased to level 37. Suddenly he felt a strange sound when he touched the wall. Cholsu asked, "What's that sound?" Humphrey shouted, "Get out of the way, there's a trap." Suddenly a flash of light lit the corridor, and 3 arrows shot out simultaneously. Cholsu, terrified, hurriedly held the goblin in front of him as a shield and yelled, "Ah. Luckily, the goblin managed to block all 3 arrows. He exclaimed, "That was close. How did the trap suddenly activate?" Cholsu quickly had his answer. Humphrey had stepped on a mechanism right under his feet. An arrow was lodged in his chest. His HP dropped to a critical low. Foul-mouthed NPC Humphrey, level 33, muttered, "KH letter 1EF1C, you cowards. You trash only know how to run to survive." Hearing this, the vein on Cholsu's temple began twitching violently. System notice, foul-mouthed Humphrey has been afflicted with a negative status, poison. His life points kept falling from 180 to 20 and then to 0. System notice, foul-mouthed Humphrey has died. Scene change, Cholsu ran like a madman, shouting at the top of his lungs, "I'll kill you. You crazy greatsword man, even if you're dead I'll kill you again." The loud cry for Humphrey caught someone's attention. Jiho looked down from above the road and said, "Finally found you." Kim Cholsu, he skidded to a stop in front of the smithy and called out loudly, "Humphrey." He exclaimed, "How your equipment?" Seeing Cholsu lift the goblin in front of him, he growled, "What now, you piece of trash?" Cholsu smiled and asked, "That's all you wanted to say as your last words?" Humphrey replied casually, "Thanks for finding the hammer." Cholsu pouted, "That's all you have to say." Suddenly the system announced, "Quest completed, Humphrey's grievance. Find Humphrey's smithing hammer, 1 smithing hammer. Materials are now sufficient to craft equipment." He read it and shouted, "What, the hammer already appeared?" Humphrey replied, "It dropped when the zombies appeared. Didn't you see it? Are you stupid?" Cholsu felt slapped in the face. "Why tell me now?" He retorted loudly, "I just want to tell you one thing, you're nothing but trash. Got it?" He turned to the forge, it blew the fire hot, and began babbling. The quality of gear is proportional to the blacksmith's sweat. High-purity steel was heated red-hot, and Humphrey hammered forcefully. His face serious, he said, "Watch carefully." The finest materials in the hands of the best smith would be reborn. The new product was coming out of the forge. Humphrey snorted, "A good piece of equipment has been made. This is what they call a pearl on a pig's neck." Cholsu grumbled, "You said quality correlates with sweat, but I don't see any sweat." He snapped, "So the quality is low." But when Cholsu put it on, he was astonished. This is it. Materials rarer than secret dungeon drops from hidden raid boss loot. His first rare armor, everyone who saw the set was immediately attracted. System detailed description, armor made of rare blue steel, level 36. durability 24, when attacked 1% chance to trigger celestial earth shatter. Humphrey said sternly, "This time I'm not taking money, don't overthank me, it's disgusting." Unexpectedly, thick-skinned Cholsu replied, "I was going to do that anyway." Suddenly, the system announced, PK mode activated. Cholsu sensed a murderous intent charging toward him. He instinctively leaned to one side. Sure enough, from behind a cold blade flew toward him. Cholsu cried, "Eek, what you want to PK? Why attack me suddenly?" Jiho said, "Yet you avoided my surprise attack. Indeed, you can almost put her into a near-death state." He explained, I invested a lot in agility. Ah, wait, not that." Suddenly remembering the main point, Cholsu shouted, "What are you doing all of a sudden? Who is the she you mentioned?" Jiho replied, pretending not to know. The last person she grouped with was definitely Kim Cholsu. "You act like you don't know her, huh?" Planning to ignore the name Catherine. Then he launched another slash. Cholsu clutched his head in panic, trying to search his memory. Ah, wait. If it's Catherine then. There was a mage with that name back in the mine at that time. Cholsu hurriedly explained, wait, I can't believe it. I don't know what she said, but I'm the victim. She was the one who betrayed first, you two-faced liar." Jiho exclaimed, "What, the victim? While you were living normally like that? And she became a vegetative state and can't wake up, and you say you're the victim?" Cholsu froze and asked, "A vegetative state? What do you mean?" He was in turmoil. He remembered Jiger's injury and knew she had suffered a heavy shock. But could it be so severe as to leave her vegetative because of me? No. Cholsu yelled quickly, Jiger, it's Jiger's fault. I had nothing to do with it. The man cut him off. "Whether you're at fault isn't for you to decide, because she ended up like that." The position of the Seem-Yong conglomerate's heir is now shaken. As he said this, he struck hard, hitting Cholsu directly. But the result astonished him. He thought to himself, nonsense, there's no injury at all. Cholsu then spoke to negotiate. "Look, let's start over and talk this through slowly. The daughter of the Seem-Yong chairman, are you not feeling well?" He put on a sly face in true Goblin style. The Goblin also squeaked, Kayet, echoing its master. Cholsu knew the Seem-Yong conglomerate well. Cars, mobile phones, semiconductors, etc. A corporation famed not just in Korea but worldwide. And merely being hired there is seen as a mark of success. And the chairman's daughter was lying unconscious in a hospital room, having fainted while playing a game with me. Jiho, hearing this, blurted out, "So the young lady was attacked by an level 80 monster in a hidden dungeon?" Cholsu answered, "Yes, perhaps. The shock might have rendered her irrecoverable. I think that's possible." He wondered, "But how did you get out of there? Weren't you only level 3 at that time? If the young lady was nearly level 40 and ended up like this, it's hard to accept that you walked away unscathed." The accusation left Cholsu dumbstruck. He stammered, that is, I shifted to a hidden class, so I was lucky to escape. I was just lucky. No, actually she should have been the one to switch classes." He sighed inwardly, ridiculous. Even after countless dedicated doctors treated her, she's like this. If it were me, I'd have been dead long ago. Could nothing be done? Jiho kept looking at him suspiciously. A level 3 player claiming to have switched to a hidden class and escaped safely. I've heard hidden class isn't omnipotent. Cholsu scratched his head and changed the subject, asking him, "Is the chance of the young lady waking up very low?" Jiho snapped, "Watch your words, she's still alive, just unconscious. Even the best doctors tried their hardest, but the answer remains the same. There's no clear reason why she won't wake up. For now, there's nothing else to do." Cholsu sighed, "So we can only wait like this until she wakes up." An idea flashed into his mind, and he proposed, "In that case, why don't we try treating her with the very thing that caused the injury, namely the game?" Jiho thought for a moment, then pushed up his glasses and said softly, "Go on." Cholsu cleared his throat and hesitantly replied, "Well, I once read an American article. Someone had been defeated, actually logged out of the game. After losing consciousness, that person, or rather that player's family, no, that's wrong. While everyone had given up hope, the person suddenly regained consciousness in heaven's door, so the article said. Of course, the odds are very low, extremely low, like 1 in 9,900,000, something like that." He thought inwardly, "That's a lie. Now I'm lying to these desperate people. Because this girl once lied to me too." Cholsu took Jiho's hand, speaking earnestly. "Instead of just passively waiting for her to wake, shouldn't we at least grasp at every last straw?" He stared at him for a long time, probing every tiny reaction. His cold, sharp gaze made him visibly uneasy. Scene change. Catherine stood there, beautiful-faced but empty-eyed. Cholsu exclaimed, "I can't believe the chairman allowed this, permitting her to log in while unconscious. These people must be truly desperate." He felt a little worried, but if they discovered I'd deceived a conglomerate like Seem-Yong, they'd surely have me eliminated without anyone knowing. He walked around Catherine muttering, "Regain consciousness thanks to the game. Nonsense, I've never heard of such a thing." Cholsu reassured himself, "At least I'll be the one who tried to save her." That huge corporation wanting to save their heir whom everyone had given up on, would they ignore someone who'd gone this far? If she's revived, it's a huge success. If not, I still benefit, right? Goblin 999 chirped Kai-et in agreement. Cholsu reached out to touch Catherine's chin, calculating, pretend to try to save her for a while, then after some time return and say, "Everyone brace yourselves for the worst." Cholsu suddenly burst out laughing, "Oh my, hahaha, I'm a genius, aren't I? So for now I guess I have to take her along." Looking at Catherine standing motionless, he complained, "But she can't even walk on her own. How am I supposed to drag her?" After thinking for a while, he found a way. Cholsu cried out, "All right." Goblin 999, excited by its master's mood, chirped Kayet. Seeing the girl move, he looked satisfied. Indeed, system-wise, simply pulling her would make her follow. That would do. But after walking a short distance, he noticed countless eyes staring at the two of them. He felt uneasy. Are they looking at me? Is this really okay? Goblin 999 seemed delighted, laughing loudly. Kayet, CCC. Passers-by were furious. A woman shouted, "Look, he's having a goblin drag a female player away. How terrible, hope he just dies." Hearing this, Cholsu felt something was wrong. He turned to protest, "Oh, it's a misunderstanding. I know her." A nearby woman yelled, "Is that how you treat someone you claim to be close to?" A man beside her said, "If I were close to you, would you do the same to me?" Cholsu froze. "What? Damn it, I'm backed into a corner. This is no different from that village before." At that moment, someone called from the other side, "Over here." Seeing the white-bearded man who looked somewhat familiar, he asked, "Sir, are you?" The man hurriedly replied, "There's no time to explain. Follow me quickly." Cholsu snapped, "Explain, unless you want to die." The two went into a dead-end alley and he said, "I didn't expect to run into you again." The sly, despicable one, he corrected himself. Seungriel. Now he knew that indeed the goblin was the boy's summoned pet. He answered frankly, "Thanks to it I escaped danger, but I can't trust you lot. Tell me, what is the Everton Guild plotting here?" Seungriel sneered craftily and explained, "Don't get me wrong, last time was just a gathering to fight a boss. We don't usually move around together like that." Cholsu felt a bit relieved and said, "Is that so? Well, that's good." Goblin 999 beside him occasionally chirped Kayet. He changed the subject. "You're the kind of spy who gathers information for Everton, right? Give me some info. I still don't know anything about this area." The man put a finger to his mouth and hissed softly, "To explain Fiorandel, we need to move somewhere else first." He turned down a different path, this way. Cholsu felt this scene seemed familiar. The system announced PK mode had been activated. He punched him a few times, Seungriel's head swelling like a pig's. He spilled everything. About Fiorandel he wasn't very sure either. However, boss spawns here don't appear monthly like in Rev. Certain conditions must be met for them to appear. Seungriel wondered, "Are you that obsessed with dungeons? I noticed you flip out even with the slightest delay in a dungeon run." Cholsu grabbed at an excuse. "It's about the money. Strong dungeons pay well, right?" He calculated inwardly and kept quiet about exploiting the bug, might get accused if he mentioned it. Seungriel said sternly, "However eager you are to enter high-level dungeons, things need order. You've only just set foot in the Fiorandel area. Coincidentally, Phoenix Elbasar has a royal capital where the game's main quests can be accepted, so high-level players often frequent it." Hearing that, Cholsu shouted, "Right, the main quests. If you complete the quests, you'll naturally advance to higher-level areas. Why didn't I think of this sooner? Damn it." Excited, he said, "Brilliant, let's go, Goblin." The two set off vigorously and quickly. Suddenly, he noticed the leash in Goblin 999's hand was missing something. Cholsu froze and screamed, "Where's that little brat, you bastard?" Not far away, two thugs stood blocking Catherine. The beefy one said, "I don't know why a pretty girl like you is with that guy, but we could make you feel a lot better." The skinny one exclaimed, "Man, look at her gear. Kicky, it's all expensive stuff, huh?" The beefy one licked his lips, probably went to the bathroom and left her online with no resistance. The two closed in on Catherine, "So you're the ones in the wrong. Call the guards to protect this girl. That would feel a lot better, right?" At that moment, Cholsu ran like a madman, panicking, "Oh no, she's unconscious. Even a little damage could really kill her." This time he couldn't shirk responsibility. Suddenly he got a call from Jiho, who asked sternly, "Is the young lady safe?" Cholsu, panting, replied, "Huff, huff, of course." Jiho suggested, "Let me see her face." Habitually, Cholsu answered, "Transfer the money first." Then he hurriedly corrected himself, "No, right now she and I are handling something important." Jiho asked, "What's got you so out of breath?" Cholsu shouted, "Aw damn it, I'm." Jiho asked, "Look at what, you maniac." He turned off the system. Jiho saw the notice. The message had been disconnected. He cursed that bastard. The man beside him said quietly, "Ignore it, it's probably nothing." Jiho bowed his head and said softly, "Sorry for the disturbance, Mr. Chairman." Gimun Doryong is a level 76 knight. He asked Jiho, "You know Catherine is the Seemyung conglomerate's heir, right? What could an ordinary person like him do?" In real life, this man is Han Gimun, chairman of the Seemyung conglomerate. Jiho asked puzzledly, "Why entrust her to someone like that? If she can be treated in the game, wouldn't it be better for us to care for her?" Gimun sighed, "Treat her. Doesn't everyone know it's hopeless? Even if the chance Catherine suffered an accident is very small, what difference does it make? She's a child born into the Seemyoung family, living her whole life according to what's arranged for her. The only thing she ever chose for herself was entering the Heaven's Door world. For her, it was an escape and the only place she felt free. Isn't it better to see the final scene there than stare at the hospital ceiling? Meanwhile, Cholsu was sprinting at full speed searching for Catherine. He complained, "Damn, this game even simulates panting. How am I supposed to search? This village is huge." Suddenly he remembered, wait, thinking back. Even though I did nothing wrong, I received a goblin point. He opened the system to check. Oh, the locked skills have been unlocked. The goblin skill shop had a new skill. Cholsu was quietly pleased. Let's see, what's this? A skill to share stamina with the goblin. Sacrifice your own life points to restore the goblin's stamina by the corresponding percentage spent. He found it strange. Restore stamina to someone without losing HP. Cholsu opened the next skill. Throw the goblin in a chosen direction. He thought it over. Throw the goblin. Nice, this could be useful. Cholsu activated the summon goblin skill and grabbed its head. He then used the throw goblin skill. With a whoosh, goblin 999 shot up into the sky. It surveyed the surrounding, then pointed to a corner and cried out, "Kayet, Kayet." Cholsu laughed loudly. So it's here, Catherine. He sprinted quickly in that direction. Grinning widely, he chortled, "He, Catherine, I'm here to take you. From now on we'll be together forever." As he arrived, Cholsu saw two thugs standing next to the girl. A mediocre swordsman level 44 and a brawler level 46. Seeing him, they shouted, "Ah, so it's that dumb-faced guy from earlier. Still won't give up, huh?" The swordsman said, "We're the ones hooray making her happy, you ugly." Cholsu snarled, "So what? I didn't drag her along to make her happy. Who are you guys?" The brawler replied coldly, "We're a handsome duo who rescue girls in danger for fun." He shouted, "Bullshit, you lot are the reason she's in danger." One sneered, "Ugly face and a big mouth, huh? Now die, you ugly." They teamed up and attacked Cholsu. He snorted. Goblin 999 immediately sprang into action, shouting a few kai at CCC. The two thugs were sprawled on the ground. He laughed uncontrollably, "Ha ha ha, see, stupid people die. How does it feel to lose to an ugly guy, huh? Ha ha ha." A guard nearby heard the laughter and asked, "What's that sound?" Then quickly headed toward the noise. Over here, Cholsu was still laughing, "Ha ha ha," while tying a rope around Catherine's neck. Suddenly he looked ahead, his smile vanished. Shit. The armed guard charged in, accusing loudly, "You've killed two people and kidnapped a woman, you bastard. Do you think you'll get away with such crimes?" Cholsu hurriedly raised his hands to explain, it's a misunderstanding, they started it." He calculated inwardly, "No matter how it looks, I'm highly suspicious. They'll never believe me. If an NPC guard catches me, I'll be jailed, locked up for days, waste of time. I can't let that happen." Fortunately, it seemed there was only one guard now. I have to deal with him before others show up. Goblin 999 cried Kayet. Suddenly, crafty Seungriel appeared, slinging an arm over his shoulder with a friendly smile. "Oh, you're here. I've been looking for you." Cholsu said, "You're that loser. Why are you here again?" He leaned close and whispered in his ear, "If you kill an NPC guard, you'll cause uncontrollable chaos. If you don't want NPCs hunting you forever, cooperate with me now and I'll handle the rest." Seungriel slowly stepped up to the guard and said, "Tusk, you've had it rough, dear guard." The man cautiously asked, "Are you part of his group? What are you planning? What are you hiding behind your back?" The man cautiously asked, "Are you part of his group? What are you planning? What are you hiding behind your back?" Seungriel draped an arm over the guard's shoulder, shoved a small pouch at him. "Take this and pretend you saw nothing." The man replied in surprise, "Oh, you're giving me all this gold." He immediately grabbed Seungriel by the collar and dragged him away. "You bastard. How dare you bribe an honest man like me?" System notice, favorability decreased. You have committed a crime. Cholsu was a bit astonished. After a moment's thought, he exclaimed, "He got arrested instead of me. Could he really be a good person?" Scene changed. Cholsu stood before a fortified castle. He loudly asked the gatekeeper why he couldn't enter. The man replied, "If they say no, then accept it." Cholsu wondered, but this is where the main quests are accepted in the royal capital. A young man in a yellow coat advised him, "Don't waste your energy, the gate won't budge." Cholsu turned and asked, "Who are you?" He replied, I'm a god." Cholsu noticed a glowing yellow exclamation mark above the man's head. He thought to himself, "This crazy guy gives quests." The self-proclaimed god stroked his chin and said, "The first thing you did was make a scene demanding the gate be opened. You must be new to this city." Cholsu stood frozen, his gaze hollow and his face stupid. The man smiled and continued, "I like that look in your eyes, that of an adventurer. I've decided you will help me with a quest, the Lost Ruins, prove your ability." Cholsu pressed accept without hesitation. He looked pleased. "I'll get you into the castle, kid." System displayed main quest notice, prove your ability. Bring a golem core shard from the Lost Ruins as proof of your ability. Golem core shard 01. Reward 250G. As soon as he entered the castle, Cholsu realized he'd been tricked. he exclaimed. He should have told me this dungeon was like this, damn NPCs. Cholsu took a look around. Lost ruins, seems what's lost is the damn lives of others, right? He calculated that with his lightning-fast playstyle he could easily avoid these traps, but this time he had to move with her and be careful not to let her get hurt. Cholsu said, I don't like you, but I won't let you get a scratch. He ordered the goblin, I'll go ahead and summon you when needed, so hold her leash tight. He immediately took a ready stance, exhaling with a puff. Then he shouted and dashed off. At the other end, Cholsu shouted, now goblin. He cast the summon goblin skill. Goblin 999 immediately flew over. He stood before him and cried out, Kayet. Cholsu forced a wry smile, the summon skill. Goblin 999 held the rope in its hands on this side, while Catherine remained at the far end. The girl was being pulled taut by the rope. Staggering forward, summon skill only summons the goblin dam. Seeing Catherine about to fall, he shouted, ah no, she's falling. Do something, goblin. Goblin 999 cried, Kayet. It suddenly yanked the rope hard, propelling Catherine up high. Seeing this, Cholsu screamed, you bastard, you're crazy. He was so scared he covered his face, leaving only the whites of his eyes visible. Oh my god. Bang. With a thud, Catherine collapsed to the ground. The girl showed no sign of emotion. Cholsu urgently called, hey, Catherine, wake up. She can't die here because of me. Please come on, wake up, Catherine. Scene change, Han Gimun tightened his tie, holding a cane, shouting loudly, you're home late from playing with friends. Friends at your age are fleeting. I've said many times they're useless relationships with no value. Short schoolgirl uniforms, makeup like a bar hostess. Are you going to choose to live like those pitiful girls? Catherine knelt on the ground, hands clasped, begging, I'm sorry, I won't do it again, I won't do it again. He growled, if you live in such a shameful way, what will people think of me? Today I'll fix that rotten attitude of yours. The girl, terrified and in tears, cried, I'm sorry, mother, save me. Mrs. Han stood outside the door, looking in with helpless eyes. Catherine screamed, mother, father is trying to kill me. Do something, please do something, mother. Gimun beat and scolded her, you're the only stain on me. Cholsu called out loudly, Catherine, but the girl didn't move at all. He asked fearfully, what do we do, goblin? It chuckled Kayet. Cholsu interpreted, what, you mean someone like me could never get near a beauty like this unless I perform mouth-to-mouth. He thought for a moment, mouth-to-mouth, but this is a game. They simulate touch but not breathing. Cholsu sighed, right from the start it's impossible. Whether I try or not, she's dead, so I'll act like I'm saving her while she dies. The good Samaritan law or whatever, could she revive from the shock? He lifted Catherine, thinking inwardly, this surely isn't a kiss to satisfy my lust. I'm performing emergency aid, but just as he was about to touch her lips, Jiho suddenly called. He had said the lady was, then saw Cholsu's puckered mouth. Jiho shouted, hey, you bastard. Startled, Cholsu cried, butler. Jiho said coldly, is this the thing you promised to show me later? I'll kill you. Cholsu hurried to explain, no, the lady is fine, she really isn't dead, okay? The manager replied, I know, I'm logging in to work right now. The medical team is monitoring the lady in real time and sending updates, and the lady's armor is a top-tier item for her level. The system displayed details. Rare item, white spider mage dress, requires equip level 34, intelligence 28. A dress woven from durable, soft white spider silk, its defense rivals steel. Unless the lady entered a hidden dungeon, otherwise she wouldn't suffer a fatal injury. Cholsu breathed a sigh of relief, she's not dead. Jiho said the reason I check often is I'm worried a filthy hair from you will touch the lady. So now show me the lady. Cholsu immediately closed the connection screen. The manager saw the notification that the whisper chat had ended and stood there stunned. Inside Heaven's door, Cholsu said, can you hear me, Goblin? From now on, run at full speed to the boss room. Goblin 999 laughed loudly, Kai at CCC. They encountered a large stone orb and immediately used a roll to dodge its shadow. Catherine was used as a sled. Cholsu and the goblin stood on her and sped forward while the stone orb chased closely behind. Next came crossing a broken bridge. Goblin 999 swung the rope, flinging Catherine across as support, and Cholsu then stepped along the rope to cross. Next was a giant stone man. They finally reached the dungeon boss. Cholsu used the girl as a shield. The golem struck a very strong blow, thud, and Catherine was flung to the side. Seeing this, he suddenly realized, damn, in his excitement he had accidentally used her as a weapon to hit the boss. System notice, goblin points increased by 1. Cholsu shouted, damn it, you dared to hit my trap disabling tool. He ordered the goblin, finish it quickly. Catherine sat on the ground, her arms suddenly twitched. The golem and goblin 999 lunged into a chaotic brawl. Booming explosions rang out, smoke and flames billowing in a haze. The goblin was still full of energy. It thrust its wooden staff straight through the golem's body. With a thud, the golem collapsed. Goblin 999 landed on the ground extremely lightly. Cholsu stood with his arms crossed, looking relaxed. He clicked his tongue, no pressure in this dungeon. Now I just need to grab that so-called golem core and get out. But barely had he finished when the golem rose. Its shattered body immediately reformed. Ruin's golem upgraded to stage 2, level 45. Seeing this, Cholsu was stunned and shouted, "What the hell? It's even bigger, it even leveled up after reviving." He clicked his tongue, "Huh, screw it, smash it for me, Goblin." Goblin 999 rushed forward at once. The monster quickly launched a lightning-strong punch. Two powerful shockwaves collided, causing a thunderous boom. Cholsu exclaimed, "Alright, this time for sure." But the opponent very quickly regenerated the damaged part. Ruin's golem upgraded to stage 3, level 50. It seemed every time it was hurt it recovered and grew much stronger. The golem changed target, its punch aimed at Cholsu. He shouted, "Don't cheat, you bastard." Cholsu immediately cast the summon goblin skill. It dashed at the foe. He ordered, "Hey, don't break it, try blocking the hit. If you smash it, it'll just grow bigger." Goblin 999 positioned itself in front of him. Cholsu quickly warned, "I said block, not take the hit." He lunged to the side. Behind him there was a loud boom. The golem continued to plow the ground with a series of pounding punches. Cholsu kept having to jump to dodge, exhausted. He thought to himself, "Damn, if I don't destroy that so-called golem core, it will just keep reviving and growing stronger, which means the golem core is its weak point." He suddenly recalled how the Everton Guild people found the weakness of the great machine. Unlike them, he had no way to locate its weak point. Cholsu ran while calculating, should I just smash blindly? What if it levels up to 100? What if it becomes stronger than my goblin? On the other side, Catherine still sat motionless, the golem steps growing ever closer. An image of the Jiger's foot in the hidden dungeon flashed through the girl's mind. Catherine's pupils suddenly flickered. She made a small sound, then suddenly screamed, "AAA." The ruin's golem delivered a very strong punch toward Catherine. A deafening crash echoed as earth and dust and smoke billowed everywhere. Seeing this, Cholsu was horrified. He shouted, "Catherine, she'll be okay. At this damage level, surely it won't be a fatal blow to her, right?" The golem kept striking down. Cholsu couldn't even see Catherine anymore. Suddenly, a voice rang from behind him. "What's going on here?" Catherine, leaning on her magic staff, stood right behind Cholsu. She asked loudly, "What are these monsters? What's this about?" Startled by the voice, Cholsu thought inwardly, "She's regained consciousness." Seeing him silent, Catherine barked, "Why am I here, and who are you?" Cholsu exclaimed, "How is this possible?" System notice, the escape magic skill has been activated. Catherine still seemed shaken. She asked, "What do you mean?" "Of course a fragile mage should have an emergency escape skill. Now explain to me what's happening here. I almost died just now." Cholsu broke out in a cold sweat. She really had regained consciousness. She probably doesn't remember what I did to her, right? He told himself that no matter what he'd done, the important thing was that she was safe. Besides, she was awake now. She should be thanking me, not freaking out like this. Cholsu smiled, "I saved the heir of the Simyong conglomerate, and I'll get a huge reward." Catherine's loud shout cut through his thoughts. "Hey, do you want to die? Aren't you going to explain?" Cholsu put on a friendly face and said, "Yes, you want to know what's going on, right? A young woman was attacked by monsters in a hidden dungeon and knocked out. With the chairman's permission, I took care of the lady attentively and wholeheartedly until she regained consciousness." As he said this, suddenly he felt his body shoot upward, spinning like a top. Then he crashed down to the ground with a thud. Cholsu swore, "Damn it, hey, why didn't you warn me it was the monster about to attack me?" Seeing the ruins golem, Catherine ran as if chased by demons, screaming, "What is that thing?" Cholsu wondered why she was running for her life. Was she just trying to escape? What was wrong with her? Catherine's face was terrified. She muttered, "I'm scared, I'm scared, I'm scared. If my father knew I was playing Heaven's Door, he'd kill me. I'm so scared, I'm so scared, I'm scared." Her mind shaken, the real-world Catherine, who had been motionless, suddenly screamed, "I'm so scared." Hearing her terrified cry, Jiho rushed over. "The lady has regained consciousness." The doctor said, "Well, she's come to, but did something happen in the game? She's very frightened right now." Jiho clenched his teeth and cursed under his breath. That bastard Kim Cholsu. He remembered Cholsu's sleazy face and lecherous chuckle and felt nauseous. What the hell did he do to the lady? The doctor suggested, "Can we pull the lady out of the game now, like power off the device or something? She's regained consciousness. We can't miss this opportunity." Jiho replied that disconnecting while sensations are being shared is too dangerous. The logout mechanism hasn't been designed during dungeon resolution. If the lady if that bastard Kim Cholsu is in the dungeon right now. I'll personally check. Inside the dungeon, the system announced, "The golem is using the stone fire missile skill." The golem's two arms suddenly launched like rockets, pursuing Catherine. The girl screamed in panic, "Ah!" At that moment, Goblin 999 appeared. Its wooden staff swung with roughly 1 million damage and shattered the stone fire missiles. Cholsu exclaimed in surprise, "What is she doing? At that speed, she can't escape." Seeing Catherine sitting on the ground, he asked, "Hey, are you okay?" The girl didn't answer, muttering, "I'm scared, I'm scared, I'm scared, I'm scared." Cholsu moved closer to inspect her. "What's wrong with her? If we do nothing, things will only get worse." He ordered the goblin to knock her unconscious. Goblin 999 immediately complied. Cholsu thought to himself that she had nearly died just now. But at that very moment, Catherine suddenly stammered, "Help, I don't know if you have any connection to my father's company, but I'll pay you. I'll pay you more than my father, just save me." Cholsu replied, "What are you saying? Of course I'll save you. We'll get out of here safely, so don't worry." Catherine shouted, "Not that. Will you run away with me, or will we all be killed here? No matter what we do, that damned Semyung company, those damned employees. My father, my mother, my whole family, no one. Save me." Cholsu stood frozen, watching the girl clutch her head, her face full of anguish as she said, "I don't want to be beaten anymore." At that moment, Jiho called, shouting, "Kim Cholsu, you bastard, I've had enough. If you don't show me the lady, I'll come find you myself." Goblin 999, seeing him raging, raised its wooden club. Cholsu hurriedly stopped it. "Stop, Goblin, forget him, just buy me some time from that damn golem." It cried Kayet and obeyed. Cholsu turned to Jiho and said, "Hey man, you're putting too much pressure on him. Do you think this guy would eat her or something? If you're going to suspect each other like that, why even ask him to help?" He dragged Catherine in front of the screen. "Look, see, smile with those bright white teeth, okay?" He pulled her before the screen again. "Look, see, smile with those bright white teeth, okay? I only helped her recover, you know. The lady is fine, relax, man." Jiho examined Catherine's face closely, thinking to himself, what's going on? The lady isn't afraid or unconscious at all. So what was that earlier? Could it be? Jiho pushed his glasses up and replied, "It's just a misunderstanding. The lady wasn't well and you're in a dungeon, so get out of there quickly. And your responsibility is to get the lady out safely." Cholsu protested, What the hell are you saying? I'm running a dungeon." Then Jiho ended the call. Cholsu muttered, "Sorry, but you can't just hang up like that, old man. Such a lifespan reduction." He told Catherine, "Hey you, listen. You'd better keep your promise and give this guy more money." Unexpectedly, the girl answered, "I was lying." Cholsu growled, "You little bitch." He threatened in a low voice, "It seems you've misunderstood something. I need a lot of money. If you don't pay, I'll say you've already regained consciousness and demand compensation from the Semyung company." Catherine replied fearfully, "I'll find a way. I can sell my gear. Can you keep the secret? All my equipment is top tier, so it's valuable." Hearing that, Cholsu snapped, "Are you kidding me? How much can that junk sell for?" "About 10, Catherine answered. 10 billion. That was a weighty statement. He sprang up, clapped his hands, and called Goblin. "Time to work." Goblin 999 responded, "Kayet ready." Now he noticed the golem had reached level 170. He poked the goblin and said, "Damn, it grew 4 arms. I told you to stall, not to hit it. It only knows how to say Kayet." Cholsu swore, "Haha, you bitch." The golem began to counterattack with terrifying power. Cholsu immediately fled. "Damn, it's level 170 now." The golem began its counterattack with overwhelming strength. Cholsu immediately ran away. "Damn, it's level 170 already." Suddenly the system announced, "Magic freeze skill." The golem was instantly restrained. He exclaimed in surprise, "What, it's frozen, can we take it down now?" System explanation, frozen status, target has been frozen, duration will be reduced against high-level monsters. It was Catherine who acted. She shouted, "What are you looking at? Stop starring. Are you planning to fight a level 170 monster? Run now, it will wake up any moment." Everyone immediately fled at full speed. Very soon after, the golem broke free of the freeze magic and let out a long roar, "UAAA." Cholsu and Catherine sprinted toward the door. He shouted, "There, we can escape through this door." Suddenly, something stepped on the rope, and it quickly tightened. Catherine was abruptly yanked back. The girl screamed, "What the?" then tumbled to the ground. Catherine yelled, "Ah no, wait." Cholsu froze. The girl's cry rang out, "Please save me." The girl's cry rang out, "Please save me." He shuddered. The horrifying image from before suddenly flashed through Cholsu's mind. "But this time it's different from then. Back then I ran because I was powerless." He whimpered, "This time I can save her, it's just that monster back then was only level 80, but this one is level 170. Anyone hit even once knows what happens." Cholsu lowered his head and ran. "She still has doctors treating her. What do I have?" Catherine fell into despair again. No matter how much she screamed, no one turned back to save her. "Even my mother abandoned me behind that door. What about you?" "No one saved me." The golem's foot was about to crush her. Suddenly there was a loud explosion. Beams of light streaked across the golem like a woven net. A young man in a yellow coat appeared like a powerful whirlwind. He charged straight at the golem with his sword, delivering a flurry of strikes, then landed on the ground. Cholsu watched in horror. This blonde youth was an NPC, a god. He shouldered his sword and laughed heartily. "You held out well. From now on, leave it to me." Cholsu thought to himself, why is this NPC here? Seeing NPC God's recent action, Cholsu gritted his teeth, cursing inwardly with bitter regret. Damn, why didn't I realize it sooner? The moment the player felt preordained and an NPC suddenly appeared, standing tall in the middle of the battlefield. Isn't this mission supposed to be one you must lose? Sometimes quests like that exist in this world. From the start, no matter how hard someone tries, it's designed for the player to fail. A wave of helplessness rose in Cholsu's chest. Maybe that golem's core doesn't even exist, he thought, his eyes heavy. No matter how we attack, that damned core will only grow stronger. If a confrontation is set up so the player knows nothing and naturally loses, then in a grand cutscene an NPC will appear and overwhelmingly crush the enemy. Isn't that the perfect way to showcase an NPC's power in the story? Cholsu sneered slightly, but the smile was full of bitterness. In his previous life, even when hit by a level 50 enemy, he never felt any real pain. The system has built-in safeguards to prevent unexpected accidents like an invisible safety net. But now, facing the giant golem, NPC God tightened his sword, eyes blazing, and roared, "How dare you reduce my subordinate to this?" Seeing that showy display, Cholsu felt a surge of anger. He thought sarcastically, "I don't like this guy, but now he's the only one we can rely on." Immediately, like a whirlwind, NPC God charged at the golem, shouting, "Prepare yourself. Die." They clashed, sword light flashing, the earth trembling through 200 exchanges with no clear winner. Cholsu stood still, heart pounding, hopeful and anxious. Then a terrible explosion sounded behind him. He jolted and turned, eyes dazed. It turned out NPC God had been knocked flying by the golem and rolled across the ground. He propped a hand down, struggled to stand, muttering carelessly, not even worth warming up for." Seeing that battered figure, Cholsu widened his eyes, thinking in bewildered anger, "What's wrong with this idiot? Why is he delivering a victory line when he lost so badly?" But before he could steady himself, NPC God lunged at the golem again, continuing the fight for several hundred more exchanges. After only a few blows, he was punched away by the golem again, this time crashing straight into Cholsu's back. He still muttered in a hoarse voice, "Not even worth warming up for." The system suddenly displayed a message, "NPC God level 70. Cholsu gaped and shouted angrily, "Damn it, wait, level 70? Chaotic thoughts flooded his mind. Players who normally receive this quest are usually level 30 to 40. The golem started at level 40, so even if an ordinary player tried their hardest to win, they'd lose when it returned at level 45. Even if they defeated it again, it would come back at level 50 with the result unchanged. By script, a high-level NPC should appear and easily defeat it, right? But this time everything was completely reversed. NPC God, the one expected to save the day, was being thoroughly beaten by the golem. Cholsu turned to the golem, now sitting cross-legged and laughing haughtily. A chill ran down his spine. He thought despairingly, normally no player would ever make the golem reach level 170. How did it come to this? Meanwhile, NPC God stubbornly advanced, muttering, just warming up." Cholsu couldn't take it and roared angrily, "Why do you keep repeating that final line?" Then he froze as a thought flashed like lightning. Wait, wasn't this NPC supposed to end the quest? If the core isn't destroyed, the golem won't die. So when NPC God appears, has its core already been exposed? NPC God continued charging at the golem, eyes blazing with determination. Cholsu watched intently, heart racing. He thought, if I had to guess the core's location, it's definitely there. At that moment, NPC God lunged in crazily, muttering, just warming up. Suddenly, something hurtled toward him from behind at terrifying speed. A massive explosion erupted where NPC God had been aiming, dealing enormous damage, 9999. Cholsu's eyes widened. It was a rock thrown by a goblin. System message, Goblin used the stone throw skill. Cholsu muttered, voice trembling with excitement. The core's location must be where NPC God was aiming. Immediately after the throw, the golem's body began to shatter. Pieces of its form fell away, causing huge explosions that shook the ground violently. NPC God planted his sword in the ground, panting, still muttering, not even worth warming up for. If it weren't for me, you'd all be dead. Watching the golem collapse, Cholsu breathed out, feeling a weight lift from his heart, yet still muttered, "Is it over?" NPC God smugly continued, "Anyway, everyone's safe now, and that's good." Cholsu rolled his eyes, thinking wearily, safe? He looked ahead where the dust was clearing, and a small figure emerged. Catherine stood there, her eyes tired. Chaotic thoughts spun in his head. Safe, are you sure? The three left the dungeon, each step heavy. NPC God strutted ahead, his face proud as if he'd performed a great deed. Meanwhile, Cholsu and Catherine quietly followed, embarrassed. He rubbed his face and sighed, how humiliating. I'm worse off than when I was betrayed. NPC God suddenly spoke loudly, just as I thought, thanks to me you survived this, which proves your talent. Now listen, I have a personal connection with Alphonse, deputy commander of the kingdom's knights. Don't ask too many questions, I have my own troubles, understand? Cholsu gritted his teeth, thinking irritably. Who knew this loudmouth would be useful? At least he eases the awkwardness. NPC God turned with a confident look and shouted, all right then, next time you meet me, don't get too excited to be working with me, because I am God. He laughed smugly and walked away. As he disappeared from sight, a yellow exclamation mark appeared above his head. Cholsu frowned and muttered, that personality is just sick. He glanced at Catherine, she still stood there expressionless. Anger rose within him and he clenched his fist, shouting, I know what happened earlier was my fault. Suddenly a deep voice called from afar, I knew you had regained consciousness. Cholsu looked up in surprise. It was Gimun, Catherine's father. He wondered inwardly, who is this man? Seeing the high-end gear he'd never seen before and his overpowering aura, he wondered, is he just a wealthy man or a true master? Catherine's complexion went pale and her eyes darkened. She stammered, "Father, why are you here?" Gimun stepped forward, voice stern. "I knew you had woken when you started convulsing. I've been worried about you day and night. Do you know that? I thought you'd improve as you grew, but you still put on these harmful stunts." He turned to Cholsu and smiled. "Thank you, young man, for taking care of Catherine. It seems everyone's faith in her has been rewarded. I will make sure you receive a proper reward." He reached out to Catherine. "Let's go, child." Seeing Catherine frozen, Cholsu thought bitterly, this cowardly girl is beyond saving, at least spit in my face once. He saw her on the verge of collapse but not begging for help. He told himself, running away was my fault. I know I'm untrustworthy, but this time maybe I can save her. He shouted, "Wait!" The two turned back. Cholsu stepped forward decisively. "Even someone like me knows who you are. You are Han Jamin, chairman of Semyoung Group, famed for your kindness, right?" Catherine stood stunned, saying nothing. He continued, "Such a remarkable person. Why do you look like the world's ending?" He pulled her toward him. "I won't let you leave like this." But then he froze. It was only imagination. He remained standing there, watching the two of them walk away. Torn thoughts. How can I save her? In what right? I'm cowardly, quick to break promises. Who is the hero here? He cursed himself. You're only fit for goblins. Kim Cholsu, suddenly someone shouted. Do you know the Night King? One of the three who completed the Great Museum. Everyone chorused. That's Lord Han Jamin. Chairman of Semyoung Group, Gimun smiled and waved to the crowd. Someone else asked, who is the girl with him? He chuckled, just a member of the party. He looked at Catherine, voice low. Remember this, how I appear to the world matters, and how they see you when you're with me. Cholsu walked on, head bowed, his heart heavy. The crowd pushed and shouted, move aside, you're blocking my way to Lord Jam. He thought, right, she is Semyoung's perfect daughter. Compared to me, she's a princess. He comforted himself, why should I feel guilty? I'm paid, that's that. Suddenly a voice called out, Cholsu. He turned and saw Seung Ryul, who gritted his teeth. You were locked up here all this time. Seung Ryul gave a wry laugh, not like a drain, an actual drain. I hid here after being captured, but it was interesting. I saw things you don't see outside. Cholsu shouted, that's a crime, you know that. Seung Ryul added, by the way, the girl with Chairman Gimun shows signs of having been beat. Cholsu froze, then shouted, wait. Not seeing Gimun stop, he roared, old man stop. He stepped forward, are you kidnapping people in broad daylight? He stepped forward, are you kidnapping people in broad daylight? Cholsu clenched his fist. He shouted, does being a chairman put you above the law? That girl is my girlfriend, we slept together, did all sorts of things. Catherine gaped, face flushing, what? The crowd murmured. Gimun remained calm, you must have the wrong person. Excuse me. Cholsu pointed and said, if she's not my girlfriend, what is she to you? An old man courting a young woman, you're a dirty old goat. The crowd nodded and whispered. Suddenly Seung Ryul appeared, panting. I'm Patrick Seung Ryul, steward of Semyoung Group. This is Miss Catherine, the heir apparent, awake at last. Catherine stood motionless, thinking, what the hell is happening? The crowd erupted. Catherine is Gimun's daughter. Cholsu stepped up to Gimun, be honest. You will deny she's your daughter later, won't you? Gimun ground his teeth. Bastard. Cholsu continued, I'll expose you for abusing your daughter. Gimun stamped his foot and shouted, don't be fooled, they're trying to blackmail me. Catherine burst into tears, her gaze like the world collapsing. Gimun bellowed, I, Han Gimun, chairman of Semyoung, will kill all of you. He activated PK mode, his power erupted. But at that moment, a small soldier carrying a wooden mallet charged to face him. Immediately after, a horrific collision exploded. The blast thundered through the air, shaking the space. The atmosphere thickened, stones and dust flew everywhere, obscuring vision. He panicked and clapped his hands over his ears, cold sweat running down his spine. In his head, he thought with a wicked smile, this scene is perfect, very good. Suddenly, the ferocious goblin changed direction, its red eyes locked onto Cholsu, and it charged like an arrow. Seeing the immediate danger, Cholsu couldn't help but scream in a mix of anger and fear. Goddammit, stay away from me. He took a step back, heart pounding, thinking, if these people find out I'm on the same side as the one who took down the chairman, it's all over. Before he could think further, and with the goblin only a few steps away, Cholsu as quick as a flash activated the goblin throw skill. He grabbed his small companion and hurled it straight up with all his might. He shouted at the top of his lungs, voice hoarse from tension, Goddammit, go away. After throwing it, he exhaled and muttered inwardly, phew, that was close. But immediately after, he turned and startled at the chaotic crowd. With a sullen look, he shouted, what's going on? I don't know who they are, but they just stormed in like maniacs. Are they crazy? The scene gradually calmed, but the crowd began to whisper. A middle-aged man asked curiously, what just happened? The man beside him, eyes still fixed on the spot of the collision, replied, they just took down the champion king with one strike. How terrifying. Another cut in, voice full of amazement, and that guy suddenly flew up into the sky. Hearing the chatter, Cholsu smirked slightly, a fleeting smug smile. He thought, ha, I was the one who threw it. Then he turned to Catherine and stepped forward with a worried, slightly awkward expression. He bent down and reached to help her up, voice gentle but hesitant. Hey Catherine, get up, girl, wake up. But Catherine's expression darkened, her eyes cold as ice. She pushed his hand away, voice trembling but resolute. Let go. Then suddenly she grabbed her head and screamed in despair, tears streaming. Let me go. I said let go. Who do you think you are? You can't save me. Don't pretend to care whether I live or die. Hearing those bitter words, Cholsu only gave a faint smile. A mischievous gleam flashed in his eyes. He moved closer, gently lifted her chin, voice low but provocative. Don't order me around. Whether I ignore you or worry about you is my choice. Waiting for a knight on a white horse, wake up you bitch. He paused, eyes cold as he continued. This place is full of trash like me. Even if you don't know how many crimes your father committed, at this very moment he is being punished by heaven. Now it's your turn. The hyenas have scented the meat and are drooling. You're great at stabbing people in the back, right? So don't just kneel and beg. Give your father a punch to the nape. Cholsu's words, sharp as a blade, drained the color from Catherine's face, but as soon as he finished, he suddenly stared closely at the girl before him, his face flushing as he muttered. Oh no, up close she isn't my girlfriend after all. Oh, how embarrassing. He forced a laugh, trying to cover his embarrassment. Ha ha, forgot, I left the gas on at home, I have to go back right away. With that, Cholsu spun and ran off like a man chased by ghosts, leaving Catherine stranded amid the crowd. At that moment, Seung Ryul stepped forward, extending a calm hand. Then, miss, if you have something to say, now's the time. Catherine quietly stood up, her gaze sweeping across the crowd. She hesitated for a moment, then slowly spoke, voice full of resolve. I am Catherine. Outside the virtual world on television screens, a breaking news banner appeared. Gimun, the two-faced chairman of Semyoung Group. A gentlemanly figure in public, but a violent father at home. The bruises on Catherine's body were revealed along with her heartbreaking declaration. I want to die. The world was shaken by her story. Catherine stood at the center of the storm, openly declaring she was Gimun's daughter and revealing the abuse she suffered since childhood. At first there was suspicion she was faking her identity, but when the evidence was posted on social media, all doubts vanished. The truth spread like wildfire. Images in Semyoung's stock price plunged uncontrollably. Gimun suddenly announced he was ill, but everyone knew it was a sham. Cut back to the scene. Having heard the story, Cholsu slammed the table and shouted in panic. Goddammit, I'm so worried I can't sleep. What if that old man hires a hitman to take me out? Seung Ryul, sipping his tea calmly, said, please keep the noise down in the restaurant. Cholsu narrowed his eyes angrily. You want to die? Speak properly. Seung Ryul smiled and continued. Images of you clashing with Gimun are spreading on social media. With Semyoung teetering like this, if something happens to you, who will people suspect first? Cholsu smirked. You mean you? Seung Ryul shook his head. No, Gimun. Cholsu grimaced and muttered curses. Goddammit, I was crazy to take on a huge corporation, and I haven't been paid a cent. Should have kept my mouth shut and stayed alive. Seung Ryul remained composed. Search for it. What you did is worth more than money. Cholsu snapped. I'd sooner trust a runny nose than trust you. Then he looked at Seung Ryul's butler outfit, curious. Hey, are you really dressed like a butler? Where did that suit come from? Seung Ryul scoffed. From a private house, where else? A guard then stepped forward to escort Seung Ryul out. Cholsu watched and shook his head. This guy's hopeless. Suddenly, a notification board appeared in front of them. Cholsu startled and shouted, Are you a Semyoung lackey? Jiho, the butler, pushed his glasses, briefly surprised but kept his composure. Don't call people that. He continued, voice low, I contacted you to thank you for helping the mistress wake up. I had no idea she'd been through things like that. I served her for years and didn't realize any of it. Cholsu made an irritated face. So after doing that great deed I get no reward? The chairman's stingy. I mean, even if it was a misunderstanding, kicking me out without a penny. Jiho sighed, sorry, but I no longer work for Semyoung. I couldn't stay at a company whose family treated her that way. Cholsu widened his eyes. Oh my god, so you're unemployed too? I'm losing sleep here. How is the girl who stabbed her father in the back going to be okay? The only one protecting her quit on his own. Jiho clenched his fist, voice full of resolve. You're right, not just the mistress. The whole world out there worries about her. People fear she might be harmed for slandering the chairman, so I took her with me. He pointed to Catherine, live streaming on YouTube with 360,000 viewers. She wore a police cosplay outfit, smiling brightly, asking the audience, should I do a reaction dance? Jiho continued, I used my entire severance to support her streaming. This fame will make her safer. If one day she stops streaming without warning, it means something's wrong. Cholsu muttered, what do you mean do you like it? How could a corporate heiress endure this for so long? Jiho smiled, late as it is, the mistress has awakened. No, she's taking back everything that was stolen. Thanks to you, Kim Cholsu. Cholsu embarrassedly shouted, what's with the familiarity? Speak normally, you pervert. If you want to thank me, pay me. Jiho smiled softly, I already sent a gift, not money, but you'll like it. The mistress prepared it herself. Cholsu interrupted, wait, money though, I need money, but the call had already been cut. He muttered to Catherine, I was going to finish earlier, you know. She paid no mind, still focused on the livestream. Thanks, viewers, our 10,000 loves. Oh my, what should I dance to? Jiho looked at her, eyes thoughtful. Maybe the young lady isn't meant to be the company heir, but is destined to become a star. A one-person corporation, truly remarkable. Cholsu returned to the game and approached the mailbox NPC. The NPC Rachel smiled. I'm Rachel, how can I help you? Cholsu propped his hand on the counter. Pouty, any parcels for me? Just one box, probably golden armor or some expensive gear, be careful with it. Rachel smiled gently. Of course, for Mr. Kim Cholsu, the item has been kept safe. She stepped to the shelf, searched, and brought out a box, but suddenly a notification popped up. Cursed item, merely touching it can make a person lose their mind. Rachel held up a whip, eyes cold as she looked at Cholsu. Hey, who are you to order whether to take it or not? Cholsu angrily swore. Goddammit, I never asked you to hold it. The notification continued. Cursed rare item, crimson blood whip. Crafted from the hide of the blood drake soaked in blood. System warning, if used without lifting the curse, the user will suffer random status effects and the summoned creature will go berserk. Cholsu widened his eyes and muttered, what is this curse? If I use it, will I go mad like that NPC? He cursed under his breath. Goddammit, did Catherine give me a cursed item right before parting? He turned back to find NPC God, who had a golden exclamation mark above his head. God repeated, next quest, clear out the goblin village. Eliminate the troublesome goblins. Simple quest, can you handle it? Cholsu leaned in, activated the goblin summon skill, holding his little companion in his hands. He whispered again, after seeing these guys, huh? NPC God continued, clear out the goblins. They're easy, you're capable. Cholsu looked at the little goblin and sighed, fighting goblins is your destiny, can you handle it? The goblin only chirped cack once, as if protesting. Cholsu frowned, thinking, did this thing just sniff at me? On the carriage ride to the goblin village, Cholsu held the goblin's hand, irritated. Hey, talk to me a bit. But the goblin jerked his hand free and chirped cack again. Cholsu snapped, Goddammit, are you acting like some monster? I threw you because I had no choice. Stand still or you'll get discovered and we'll all get killed. Unbeknownst to him, a shadow from afar was silently watching. The little goblin sprawled on the carriage, picking its ear as if unconcerned. Cholsu yelled, you never listen, always causing trouble. Do what you want, you piece of trash, I hate you. But as soon as he said that, he remembered someone's words about unrequited feelings falling apart. He clenched his fist tightly and muttered, whatever, I don't want to talk anymore. The goblin suddenly let out repeated cries, as if protesting. Cholsu opened his mouth, but a loud noise from outside the carriage cut him off. Another goblin jumped onto the carriage, shrieking. Cholsu panicked and shouted, what the hell is this? Seeing the intruder, Cholsu's goblin companion gripped its wooden club tightly, eyes flashing with alertness. Beside him, Cholsu yelled, voice full of excited panic, kill it, kill that goblin. At that moment, a horrific explosion sounded from behind the carriage, shaking the whole frame. The driver panicked, shouting hoarsely, what was that sound? Inside the carriage, the enemy goblin had just taken a hit but was still alive. This drove Cholsu mad, his face flushed as he screamed, what the hell did you do? Goblin, it's still alive. Before he could finish, that goblin suddenly lunged straight at Cholsu. Its whole body clung to his head like a wild animal. He jolted, eyes wide, before he could react it bit down hard on his head. A notification popped up, received 173 damage. The goblin tore at his hair and scratched him wildly. Cholsu cried out in pain and desperation. Damn it, do something about that goblin, my goblin. After a fierce struggle and soaking sweat, Cholsu finally pulled the creature off his head. He panted, furious, shouting, damn it. But at that moment, his companion goblin still gripped its wooden club, turning to look at him with a ferocious gaze as if about to attack him. Cholsu panicked, stepping back, voice trembling. No, don't hit me, you bastard. Suddenly, the carriage curtain was yanked back forcefully. The driver and NPC jumped down, eyes anxious, shouting what's going on. Adventurer Cholsu, still stunned, pointed at the goblin and yelled, monster. There's a monster climbing on the carriage. The NPC followed his pointing finger, his gaze stopped at the companion goblin that was being held. He frowned and said calmly, turns out it's just a goblin. We're likely near the goblin village. Don't worry, I'll take it down with one shot. Cholsu urgently screamed, frantically pointing ahead. Wait, in front, look ahead, shoot the one in front. The NPC immediately raised his gun, but the bullet missed the target and flew straight into Cholsu's head. A notification appeared, received 580 damage. He clutched his head, hissing in pain, not the front, you idiot. While Cholsu staggered from the pain, his companion goblin suddenly lunged from behind, swinging its club forward. Luckily, Cholsu ducked low in time and avoided the killing blow. He sprang up furious, shouting, damn goblins, why are you causing this mess? Somebody help me. His cry for help unexpectedly stunned the attacking goblin. It stopped attacking, eyes panicked, trembling as it pleaded. Please save me, I only came because I thought you were capturing my kind. I just wanted to rescue him, I didn't mean to hurt anyone. Hearing a goblin speak human words, Cholsu was startled, eyes wide, shouting, damn, is that goblin talking? The carriage continued to rattle along the bumpy road. Inside, Cholsu gritted his teeth at the speaking goblin and muttered, what the hell is this? A goblin that communicates like a person, but in the end it's still just a talking goblin, what's the difference? The goblin was now bound by its legs, dangling like a kite in the wind, crying out desperately, please save me, I only wanted to rescue my kin, I didn't mean to harm anyone. Cholsu paid no heed, voice cold, want to die? One of you bit my head and you dare say that, I have no grudge against you. But fine, I'm going straight to the village and wipe all the goblins out at once. After some travel, the driver announced, we're here. Cholsu looked outside, taking in the scene ahead, muttering, this place is. Before him was a dark tunnel leading to the goblin village. The driver said in a steady voice, this is the road to the goblin village. Cholsu jumped down and asked, do we have to go on foot from here? The NPC shrugged lazily and replied, you could continue, but I'm too lazy. With that, he turned and left in an instant, leaving Cholsu standing alone. Cholsu carried the talking goblin, looked at the tunnel ahead, and muttered, the road to the monster village is surely full of traps. Sparing this one turned out to be the right decision. The goblin broke out in a cold sweat, voice trembling, so you spared me? If you intend to kill anyone, please kill me instead. The other goblins are innocent. Our attack was a mistake. Adventurer, if a human were in danger, wouldn't you save them too? Cholsu decisively pulled the goblin up in front of him, eyes as cold as ice. No, I'm not saving you. His terrifying expression sent the goblin into a panic, crying out, we don't hate humans, we're a peaceful species. Cholsu sneered and challenged, then why did you attack our village if not to cause destruction? The goblin hurriedly explained, it's the opposite, it's your people who have been tormenting us. Hearing that, Cholsu pondered inwardly, come to think of it, I'm doing this because it's my quest. I don't really harbor hatred toward them, I haven't seen them do anything truly evil. Goblins are usually branded as vicious monsters, so I assumed killing them was normal. But if a goblin dies, who would mourn it? Suddenly, two small goblins ran out of the darkness, one screaming, Daddy. Cholsu froze, thinking, wait, Daddy. The talking goblin immediately shouted, Tina, Mason, don't worry about Dad, run away. Cholsu cut him off, pointing ahead, shut up, throw stones at them. His companion goblin immediately raised a hand to stop him. No, wait, but it already had a stone ready, clenched in its hand, and hurled it forward with terrifying speed. The two little goblins froze, eyes full of fear. The talking goblin, just released by Cholsu, bared its teeth and ran swiftly toward the two children, leaping up to shield them. Luckily, the stone hit no one. Cholsu stepped forward, voice low, that's enough. The goblin, surprised, asked, what? Cholsu continued, I won't kill you. There are humans willing to beat their own children to save themselves, but a goblin like you who would risk your life to protect your family can't simply be labeled a villain. The three goblins embraced, the two children sobbing from fear. Seeing this, Cholsu thought to himself, is God kidding me? They're even better than me. After that, Cholsu was led into the goblin village. The other goblins looked at him with wary eyes. He frowned, thinking, damn, just as expected, see a human and they're on guard. Then he corrected himself, no, they're not being cautious. A few goblins approached and curiously asked, where are you from? Another buted in, go away, you're ugly as sin. Cholsu gritted his teeth and thought, I'm not a goblin. The talking goblin, turns out to be the village chief, stepped forward confidently and said, calm down, my friend. Before I got on the carriage, I hesitated too. With that face, who would guess you're human? Hearing that, Cholsu cursed under his breath, maybe I should just kill them all. He turned, trying to stay calm, hey, can I leave? I feel uneasy. The chief laughed heartily, don't worry, really. Cholsu frowned, no, what I'm worried about is accidentally killing all of you. The chief waved his hand, come on, I've told you 100 times, don't do that. I'm a wounded adventurer, so if I don't invite you to a meal, I won't be at ease. They entered the village dining hall, and before Cholsu was a gruesome plate crawling with insects. The dish's name, Help Goblin, a deadly poisonous flavor. He shouted, the name clearly says it contains deadly poison. Another goblin brought the plate of food for the kids and barked, guests here, don't run around. The kids kept playing while Cholsu stood stunned at the plate, thinking, good thing this is a game so I can't smell it. What the hell am I doing among these monsters? Suddenly, a goblin bumped into him, sending the plate flying straight into his face. Cholsu cried out in pain, cursing, damn it. The village chief laughed loudly. Cholsu angrily shouted, stop laughing, you bastard. I told you not to laugh. Another goblin asked curiously, why are you two together? It's the first time I've seen a human and a goblin so close. Cholsu wiped the food off his face coldly, close my ass. This is my summoned pet, I just control it. The village chief wondered, what's a summoned pet? But if it travels the world with an adventurer, isn't it the most successful goblin ever? He continued, my family and this whole village probably can never leave this place. Cholsu thought they looked pathetic. This is just a low-level dungeon and they'll never get out. The chief's wife stepped forward, patted her husband's shoulder and said, stop sounding so gloomy, I'll get some snacks, wait here, you two. In that warm scene, Cholsu spoke up, why so down? Look, you're a goblin with a good wife and a peaceful family. As for me, a human, no wife, no friends, no courage or sacrificial spirit like you. I even doubt my own worth. If I can do it, there's no reason a goblin like you can't. He raised a like button in encouragement. Come on, fellow goblins. Suddenly, two goblins ambushed from under the table and another above swung a sickle down at him. The chief laughed, thank you for the kind words, sir. The sickle from above slammed into the table but caused no damage. A system window appeared. Kim Cholsu, Goblin Summoner level 37, Strength 4, Stamina 2, Agility 32, Intelligence 1. Luck, none. Dodge depends on agility. Cholsu turned bewildered. Huh, what's this? A level 18 goblin looked at him, eyes full of fear. He glanced around and spotted a cockroach on the table, shouting, "Gross, you're doing all this to protect me." Unbeknownst to him, a goblin under the table was preparing to attack his leg. His companion goblin casually threw a stone at the cockroach but missed. The stone went through the table and hit the goblin under it, causing it to cry out in pain. Cholsu lamented, too bad, couldn't catch it. A level 8 goblin clenched a knife and lunged to attack. But as soon as it peeked out, Cholsu launched a strike, dealing 459 damage. It cried out in pain. Cholsu knew nothing and just yelled, "Damn it, you rotten cockroach." After the missed hit, he felt something brush past and muttered, "What was that?" "Something just whizzed by me." He stood up. "Time for me to go. I want to stay, but it's an emergency." The chief's wife muttered, "What should we do, chief?" The sweaty man repeated, "What do you mean, what should we do?" Then the whole group called in unison, "Adventurer, please go carefully." Faced with such enthusiasm, Cholsu frowned, thinking, damn, who knew these goblins were actually decent. He turned and loudly said, "Sorry, I couldn't say goodbye." He stepped outside and muttered, "That's that." But in another corner, a stranger who had just killed a goblin said coldly, "See, I knew you were around here." He tightened his grip on his sword and advanced toward Cholsu, voice threatening. Found another goblin. Seeing the goblin flattened on the ground, Cholsu's eyes widened, igniting with fury. He gritted his teeth and growled, "James, you were the one who cooked for me earlier." Hong Min Chial, a tall man with cold eyes, turned to Cholsu, skeptical. "What's this? It can speak human. Are you a player? What are you doing in this dump?" He glanced at the 3 goblins before him and smirked. "Ah, I see, you came to kill those guys too, right? Quite a crowd." He stepped forward confidently and grabbed Cholsu's hand, boisterous. "Need me to lend a hand?" Cholsu's expression changed instantly, lips pressed tight, eyes blazing. He roared, "You dare lay a hand on my comrade." Without hesitation, he activated PK mode, pointed forward, and ordered decisively, "Go, goblin." On command, Cholsu's companion goblin immediately kicked the goblin beside it, as if shifting the blame. The kicked goblin panicked, shouting, "What, you want me to charge in?" By reflex, it lunged forward. But as it neared Hong Min Chial, he delivered a powerful kick that sent it flying dozens of meters. The goblin fell, writhing in pain, whispering weakly, "Bastard." Seeing this, Cholsu angrily shouted, "Damn you all, that lunatic, not you, him." His companion goblin burst into gleeful laughter, baring sharp teeth. Cholsu glared and barked, "You did that on purpose, didn't you?" Faced with Cholsu's strange behavior, Hong Min Chial frowned and asked, "Hey, what the hell are you doing? Calling a goblin a friend wasn't enough, now you flip on PK and attack me. Do you know me? Any grudge?" Cholsu clenched his fist, voice trembling with anger. "You're the one who randomly attacked my friend first. What grudge are you talking about?" With that, he lunged forward, throwing a straight punch to Hong Min Chial's face that dealt 78 damage. But the punch didn't faze him, only earning a disdainful sneer. In another corner, a loud explosion rang out as something slammed into the wall amid billowing dust. Zeros, another guy, had a goblin by the throat, unpredictable in temperament, sometimes complaining, now bloodthirsty and merciless. Hai One Nim sighed in exasperation beside him. "Honestly, who can't see it? Isn't there any goblin stronger? They all die from one hit." "What kind of boring quest is this?" She waved her hand, annoyed. "Finish quickly and let's go back." Suddenly, Cholsu appeared before her, doing a ridiculous handstand. The sudden appearance startled Hai One Nim, who screamed, "What the hell? Oh my, is that a person?" Hong Min Chial stood above and shouted down, "Someone deal with this lunatic who says goblins are friends and now is swinging at me." Hai One Nim frowned and asked, "What? Goblins are friends? And then you turned on PK and killed it too?" Hong Min Chial shook his head, "Not me. He switched on PK first. He's got fancy armor, but it didn't help. He ran and fell. Deal with him, I'll finish clearing the goblins over there." Looking at Cholsu's odd face, Hai One Nim remarked, "No wonder he's friends with goblins. Guess we have to kill him to complete the quest." Zeros intervened, "Handle it quickly before things get worse, then finish off those goblins." With that, Hong Min Chial turned and moved deeper into the village, beginning the massacre. He muttered, "Stupid quest, kill the goblins and be done with it." He swung his sword and severed the village chief's wife's head, instantly forcing her to log out. Cholsu's companion goblin stood there, pointed forward, let out a few excited chirps, and then laughed like it had hit the jackpot. Hong Min Chial tightened his sword, voice cold. "Even if it's a game, can you laugh while watching your own kind die? If your own child died, you wouldn't even blink, would you? You goblins are like that, living by any dirty trick you can." He stepped closer and continued, "You know, that's why there are quests about rounding up goblins to beat to death. Isn't that what you deserve? Just die." The expression on Cholsu's companion goblin gradually turned mad. Another explosion from deep within the village made Hai One Nim wonder, "What's that now?" Zeros glanced and shouted, "Hong Min Chial, take it easy." Cholsu, lying on the ground, suddenly covered his face and laughed maniacally. "Ha ha, you said the goblin killing quest is boring, right? If it's boring, go play with that goblin." Above, his companion goblin had taken care of Hong Min Chial in no time. Cholsu smirked and added, he's the strongest goblin boss in this village. Without hesitation, Hai One Nim lunged up and delivered a straight kick at the goblin. But it easily blocked, clamped her leg in its mouth, and emitted excited squeals. Zero shouted from below. Use warrior skill, burst bulb, hit it hard. Hai One Nim broke free of the hold, landed lightly, and looked at the cloud of dust before her. She muttered, see, this goblin took my kick with its mouth. Zero's taunted, you said there were no strong goblins, now you're so scared you're going crazy. Hai One Nim ground her teeth angrily. Who said I'm scared? I'm just surprised it's strong. It'll lose for sure, what is there to be afraid of? Cholsu cackled like a madman, strolled over, draped an arm over the unconscious Hong Min Chial and said, this guy's legit. Wake up and say something, my friend. You lost so badly you fainted. You'll be roasted when we get back for losing to a goblin. Hai One Nim spun back furious and screamed, shut your mouth, you pervert. Cholsu looked her dead in the eye, taunting, you people only betray each other, but we goblins don't. Isn't that why killing goblins is a way for you to brag? Then hang goblin heads on the wall as trophies. Hai One Nim yelled, I've never displayed that stuff. Zero's ordered, don't waste energy arguing, deal with this goblin first. With that, he unleashed a terrifying surge of power that made the air tremble. Cholsu stood aside thinking, idiots, this goblin won't obey me anymore. If you hadn't provoked it, it wouldn't have gone mad like this. He shouted, take them out quickly, goblin. At the command, the goblin's expression suddenly changed. It rolled onto its back and let out a few high-pitched squeaks. Cholsu angrily barked, going crazy again, you planning not to follow my orders? Suddenly his eyes widened as he thought, it won't obey. What if I beg? He ran over and knelt abruptly before the goblin. Flattering, please spare my life. O mighty supreme goblin king of infinite powers and humongous awesomeness. If you don't intervene, I'm surely dead. The goblin just curled a lip, smug, but still didn't move. Cholsu gritted his teeth, thinking, bowing to a low-level goblin, how humiliating. But if I can't make it obey, I can't do anything. Pride won't fill my stomach. He continued, voice trembling, I bow and beg pardon for being rude to your excellency, the goblin. From now on, I won't throw things at you recklessly or give orders carelessly. I'll fast and save every bit to offer you the finest meals. Hai One Nim stood dumbfounded. You called it a friend a moment ago, and now you're kneeling and begging? Zero's warned, hey, move aside, or do you want me to erase you? At that moment, something hurtled into Zero's face, dealing 9,999 damage. He was knocked out instantly. Hai One Nim froze, while Cholsu smirked with glee. Ah, turns out my prayer worked. System notice, the great Goblin King is exceedingly pleased with the cowardly abandonment of humanity. You have gained 1 goblin point. Cholsu stood up, looked at the players with satisfaction, and said, sorry about that. Hai One Nim shouted, hey Hong Min Chial, stop joking, this isn't funny. She turned toward Zero's, now collapsed after slamming into the cliff. Her eyes wide as she thought, what the hell is this? Zero's got killed by a single hit from that goblin. Ridiculous. Who puts a one-shot death mode like this in a goblin hunt quest? There's no way to win. She spun and ran. Cholsu laughed loudly. Oh, you were so eager to kill earlier, now you're trying to run. Cholsu's companion goblin stepped forward, grabbed Hai One Nim by the ankle, and sent her face first to the ground. Cholsu walked over, raised his hands to the sky, and muttered like a madman. Oh goblin comrades, the era of being oppressed for being goblins is over. There will be no more quests that allow humans to slaughter us, no more hiding in cramped, dark caves. His face grew crazed, his voice echoing, our savior has descended right here. He proclaims that humans are traitors who stab in the back our enemies and must all be killed. He turned to the goblins and shouted, rally all goblins in the village, the moment to strike back has come. Immediately, every goblin in the village surged toward Hai One Nim. Her eyes widened, filled with terror as the horde of monsters roared and advanced. At the Phoenix Citadel of Elbasar, on the towering battlements, 2 guards were lazily leaning against the railing. One suddenly turned to his partner, teasing, make a 3-word poem about goblins. The yawning partner replied casually, go go. Is that so? The other swore angrily, you idiot, stop that filthy joke. Suddenly the guard sensed something wrong, his eyes narrowed, voice trembling, what the hell is that? In the distance before them, a dark mass like an ancient army was surging forward, tiny green shapes moving at terrifying speed. The guard asked, voice breaking, could they be? At that moment countless goblins arrived, eyes mad, screaming like wild beasts. Leading the chaotic horde was Cholsu, standing proudly on a rock, raising his hand and shouting thunderously, hear me, goblin comrades, we will utterly destroy the human city. 3 hours earlier, Cholsu's expression became deranged, his eyes flashing with manic light. He muttered in a low, murderous tone, humans are the enemy, we must kill them all. He turned to the village goblins and shouted, gather all goblins, the moment to counterattack has come. The goblins screamed in unison with excitement, damn them, kill them all, kill them all. Cholsu slowly stepped up to Hai One Nim, who was now tightly bound, her eyes full of panic. He curled a lip, voice cold, wait, don't kill her. If she dies, she'll return to the village respawn shrine. Would a traitor to her teammates get to die so peacefully? He glanced at her and continued, your teammates, 1 dead, 1 unconscious, no one can hit the respawn button. Do you want to taste the same pain they did? Hai One Nim trembled, clenched her fists, and swallowed back tears. She kept calm, but her eyes revealed anger and fear. Cholsu, with a vile expression, stroked his chin and laughed hoarsely. Up close you really are something. Let me ride you and see. The words made Hai-Won Nim widen her eyes and scream in horror. What? Back in the present, Cholsu was actually straddling Hai-Won Nim's back, raising his fist high and shouting, "Ha, kill all those humans for me." He leaned down toward her, warning, "Don't be stupid and log out. Your money and weapons are in my hands." Tears rolled down Hai-Won Nim's face. She cried silently but still shouted, Okay, I know, I'll give them back when this is over." Cholsu sneered, "Fine, when the goblin era comes you'll be raised like a pet." She yelled back, full of indignation, "I refuse." In the city, a man burst into the Adventurers Guild, panting and shouting, "Goblins are attacking. Call the explorers, hurry." But his frantic cry didn't make anyone pay attention. Everyone in the guild continued their business calmly. Dad said, hands on his hips, asked, "Are you kidding? Who's attacking?" The leader of the Wrathfire Guild, Dad said, smirked sarcastically, "Goblins, little shrimp-like things." The man stammered, "It's true, they're swarming in groups out there, a lot of them." Min sighed lazily, "Good grief, let the guards handle those shrimps." Irene beside him asked, "Goblins?" Horace Villiver leaned against the wall and mocked, "An in-game event? Sounds kinda fun." Charlotte interjected, "Don't stick your neck in. If you get dragged in you'll miss the next dungeon run and it'll be a pain." Horace Villiver curled a cold smirk, "Ha, at least let me protect myself." Charlotte spun around and shouted, What do you mean?" Suddenly a shadow streaked past outside the window. A goblin burst through the glass and flew into the hall. But as soon as it hit the floor, Horace Villiver trained his gun on its face. A shot rang out, sending the goblin to the other world. Horace Villiver calmly said, "Well, real goblins, huh?" Charlotte glanced at him, thinking, does he have eyes in the back of his head? Dad said, gripped the sword on his back and muttered, "Good heavens, I thought someone was playing a prank." Immediately after, a horde of goblins smashed through the doors and stormed the hall. People shouted, "They're really attacking." Dad said, the knight assisting the Wrathfire leader, swing his sword in a mighty arc, turning the goblins into dust in an instant. He muttered, "This breach must be something serious. These damned pests wouldn't be a problem even if there were 100 of them." Min, the vice leader, gaped at Dad said's power. He activated his Seer Professor skill and was startled. Out there it's not hundreds but tens of thousands, maybe even more. A vast number of goblins flooded in like a tsunami, overwhelming the hall. The adventurers, swallowed by a sea of goblins, shouted, "What kind of insane numbers are these?" Amid the chaos, Horace Villiver remained calm. This city is truly in danger. He, the branch leader of Armstrong, turned to the woman beside him. "Don't tell me you're just going to stand there, Deputy Commander." The woman, an alchemist and Deputy Commander of Armstrong, pushed her glasses up and replied coldly, "Go ahead and watch." Horace Villiver laughed loudly. "No, I don't like that. Ha ha." She sighed, at a loss for words. After a moment of observation, Irene stood and muttered, "Totally different from the last time we met players. These goblins aren't cute or charming at all this time." She waved her hand, "Let's go, men." The entire hall shook violently. Irene's summoned beast appeared, smashing through the floor and letting out an earth-shattering meow. Cholsu stood among the goblins, laughing loudly. "Ha ha, let them taste hell." In the town, civilians were chased and slaughtered by goblins. Suvli, the pink-haired girl, ran shouting, "Don't come near here." But along the way she collided with a level 8 goblin and flattened it. She wondered, these are so weak. She turned to her companion, "They are only impressive in numbers." The man beside her nodded, "Indeed, goblins are vermin." The remark made the goblins hesitate, a flicker of sadness in their eyes. The people shouted, "You terrible goblins, who do you think this is?" The three immediately launched fireballs, attacking the goblins and causing a massive explosion. The bald leader laughed excitedly, "Ha ha, you're just trash, at most level 20, sweep them all away." Seeing his underlings wiped out, Cholsu wiped his face and exclaimed, "Oh my, what kind of skill lets these people dare to fight back?" He turned to the companion goblin sitting proudly on a chair, using the Great Petition technique. He knelt down. And in a flattering voice, "O great goblin deity, our comrades are oppressed, morale has hit rock bottom. Please show your divine might." Hai-Won Nim, standing nearby, cursed under her breath. "Damn it, just quit the game already." Cholsu continued, "Please grant mercy and hear my plea." The goblin on the chair held its belly and laughed mockingly, wielding a wooden club, its right leg propped on the chair, looking arrogant. The three continued to hurl fireballs, exterminating goblins. The bald leader laughed loudly, hunting like this is a blast. This pack of goblins is really fun." But he didn't know the Great Goblin King was approaching. When the Great Goblin King appeared, the bald leader muttered, "Wait a minute." The three were flung aside by a single gentle strike from it. The Great Goblin King landed, emitting excited screeches. The three were knocked unconscious and returned to the respawn village. Cholsu laughed excitedly, "Insolent humans, this is what you get for looking down on goblins." Hai-Won Nim looked at the Great Goblin King and marveled, "Is that really a goblin?" The goblins, bolstered with renewed morale, screamed and charged toward the three unconscious people, torturing them without mercy. Cholsu had to intervene. "That's enough. They're already dead. Go deal with the rest. But his words fell on deaf ears. The goblins continued their frenzied assault. A few dragged Suvli away. Cholsu shouted angrily, "Wait, where are you taking that girl?" He jumped off Haiwan Nim's back and rushed to stop them. "You bastard, let go now." But the goblin didn't listen. It opened its mouth and bit down hard on his hand, making him cry out in pain. Cholsu clenched his fist and muttered, "These bastards have gone mad now." Still unsure what to do, like a gust of wind, God tore through space holding his sword and lunged forward. With a single straight slash, the goblins' heads were severed, blood spraying wildly. Kim Cholsu stammered, You're an idiot." God, ignoring that Kim Cholsu was still dumbstruck, asked him, "Strange, huh? Why did those goblins push all the way here? Do you know what the hell is going on?" Kim Cholsu stood there blankly. "Ah no, I don't know anything either." Receiving Kim Cholsu's utterly useless answer, God only held his sword across his chest and muttered, "What a hassle. The adventurers are still holding their ground, but the number of goblins is too great. Even if each does the smallest damage, at this scale they can't keep it up forever. If this battle drags on, it'll only get worse. We have to finish them all in one strike." Kim Cholsu understood God's intention and immediately called after him. "Wait, isn't it because the goblins couldn't just sit there taking hits forever that they fought back? Right? At the start the game gave quests to kill goblins sitting still. I remember God himself saying the next quest was to purge an entire goblin village because the description labeled them evil monsters. People believed it without checking. Isn't that kind of hateful? Saying evil goblins must be killed, doesn't that sound stupid? Damn it, it's just that none of you ever tried talking to them. Still, changing someone's prejudice is too difficult. God didn't bother to listen to a word of Kim Cholsu's. He firmly said, "Talking to goblins is a waste of time. Their heads are full of greed." Anger flared up. Kim Cholsu shouted angrily, "Stop joking. What the hell do you know? Goblins have villages, marry, raise children. They live no differently than us." God coldly sought justification. "They are only pretending to live like that. Goblins are monsters born from the abyss. They have no families or children. All their words and actions are meant to deceive adventurers. But I don't want to wipe out their entire species either. They have a right to exist. However, if their numbers grow too large, it will threaten world peace. So they must be culled bit by bit." Kim Cholsu couldn't believe what he was hearing. "Don't spout that nonsense. Even so, have you thought about those who are about to die? If you'd ever eaten a warm meal they cooked, you wouldn't say that." God gently shattered his illusion. "It's poison." Kim Cholsu flinched, remembering the taste. That could be, but aside from poison in the goblin soup, there wasn't anything particularly strange. He recalled the snake. That snake was terrifying. Did they go this far because of me? Hey, thinking back, that snake did have some odd traits. These conflicting thoughts left Kim Cholsu unsure what was right. He turned pale with anger and realized everything seemed odd. This is a game. In a game, monsters are just created. There's no giving birth or family life. It's all their acting. Those bastards dared to lie to me. God saw Kim Cholsu fall silent for a moment and assumed he had understood everything, and said, "If you understand, then hurry up." But when he turned around, he saw Kim Cholsu running back the other way. "Where do you think you're going?" Kim Cholsu sprinted over to Haiwan Nim. She was tearing at her hair, unsure what to do. "Looks like I just got into something bad. Is it too late to run now?" Like a gust of wind, Kim Cholsu sat upright on her shoulder and ordered, "Change plans immediately. Summon goblin skill. All goblins listen up. The Messiah has just declared that this is enough. All goblins stop fighting immediately. Hurry up." Fortunately, as he spoke, Kim Cholsu opened his eyes to see that the goblins paid him no heed. Kim Cholsu panicked. What the hell is wrong with these guys? Why is nobody listening all of a sudden? He angrily yelled at the goblins, "Don't you obey Saint Messiah? All goblins stop." Just then, a soldier stepped forward and called out, "Hey, what is that guy doing with the goblin?" Kim Cholsu broke into a cold sweat. "Damn it, this is a disaster. I don't understand," he stammered. No, it's a misunderstanding. This is." He leaped backward and by reflex slammed his goblin hard onto the ground, just a preparatory move for the next skill. The soldier relaxed the few inches of sword he'd drawn. That reverse throw was impressive. "I almost thought you were the mastermind staging this with the goblins." Kim Cholsu could only think, just a supporting character and they're judging me like I'm the lead. The soldier turned away and cheered, "Well then, help kill more goblins." Only then did Kim Cholsu relax. That was close. A few seconds later, his goblin scrambled up from behind, rubbing its aching head. Seeing the goblin getting furious, only one thought ran through Kim Cholsu's mind. "I'm dead." He hastily explained, "Wait, it's not like that. I didn't throw it, I slipped and fell backward." But the goblin ignored his excuse. It grabbed a heavy rock nearby and swung it up. Kim Cholsu could only curse. "I really want to vanish. What the hell are you using that for?" He pulled Haiwan Nim, who was standing beside him, close to use her as a living shield, while she still didn't know what was happening. As expected, Haiwan Nim took the full knockout blow from the goblin. Her nose bled like a waterfall. Kim Cholsu felt guilty. "I will never forget your noble sacrifice, goblin number 2. Then he threw her away and angrily scolded the goblin. "Damn it, you threw her at me on purpose. You're a summoned pet and you dare." In his anger, he reached behind him, No more, you're going to be taught a lesson. An object flew up into the sky, perfect and picturesque. Irene saw the majestic sight and murmured, "A rock, that big-eared goblin is the one from before. What the hell is it doing here? A rock, that big-eared goblin is the one from before. What the hell is it doing here?" Then she noticed what Kim Chulsu was holding behind his back. "That blazing red whip, what is that? Don't tell me this idiot plans to use the radiant blood whip without removing its curse." Irene's guess was correct. The item was cursed. Unless the curse was lifted first, the user would suffer random effects and summoned beasts would go berserk. Kim Chulsu paid no mind to such details, raised the whip and lashed out. "I kept wondering why Catherine gave me this. Now I get it. She meant for me to beat you to a pulp, right?" A horrifying scene unfolded among the three. Goblin stood frozen, Kim Chulsu blinded by rage, and Irene hurried from afar to stop him. A terrible explosion occurred. The guild master stood among the goblin corpses and exclaimed with glee, "These damned monsters gathered in such numbers. What a satisfying slaughter." Min pushed up his glasses and warned, "Sir, this isn't the time to be pleased. Our blood reserves are hitting rock bottom. Several guild members and other adventurers have been downed, right?" Hearing that, the guild master sneered without mercy. "If you can only handle this trash, that's all you're worth. Anyone who dies in battle gets kicked out of the organization, understand?" Horace Philliver, 2 guns in hand, unleashed continuous fire into the goblin horde. Worse, every bullet aimed straight for the center of their foreheads. He paused and exhaled. "The 100th one got a bullet to the brain. Practicing shooting like that should be enough training, huh?" Charlotte suddenly spoke up. "Don't get me wrong, you fired exactly 100 rounds, but only killed 99. Don't think I'll just count goblins roughly." Contrary to her tone, Horace Philliver laughed confidently. "I don't doubt the vice captain's skill, but did you count that other one?" Charlotte glanced confused. "Which one? Where?" The moment she looked back, a goblin appeared. As expected, Horace Philliver sent it to the afterlife with a single bullet. The goblin fell, blood spraying. Horace Philliver raised his hands in satisfaction. "Charlotte, this fountain of blood is just for you." Charlotte had nothing left to say to him. Did he shoot the last round into the air? On this side, the guild master watched his members fight the goblins and complained. "Why pick them off one by one like sorting vegetables? If you're monster hunting, do it properly." Within seconds, his body underwent a dramatic transformation, and rings of searing flames appeared around him. The goblins recoiled in fear at the sight. Suddenly, one goblin acted oddly. Min keenly observed, "Wait, there's something wrong with that goblin in the group." The other goblins turned to look at it, their eyes exuding a fierce killing intent. Min hurriedly called, "Guild master, something's very strange." But the guild master, confident in his own ability, paid him no heed. He launched himself into the air and activated a skill. Flame Knight Heavenly Fire Cannon incinerates everything. The guild master dived down to the ground, and a colossal explosion flattened the surrounding area for miles. Amid the thick smoke and flames, Horace Philliver emerged like a god, unaffected by the fire. "Dragon, goblins, or whatever else, run into me and it's a slaughterhouse." But before he could revel, a strange leg appeared before his eyes. Horace Philliver gasped as a complete goblin stepped out from the blazing fire. He was utterly horrified. What the hell is this? Tension was no less on this side either, as Irene raced against time to reach Kim Chulsu. But by the time she understood what was happening, he had already cracked the whip. The whip struck the goblin at that very moment. A stream of blazing red energy spurted forth. Irene's face went grave as she blurted, "It's too late. Why did you do something so reckless? There's no more time to waste. We have to cancel the summoning now." She was about to continue when she froze at the sight of Kim Chulsu's troubling condition. Abnormal status, unconscious. Irene was truly speechless. He's unconscious. At that moment, the red stream of energy dissipated, and a goblin with a completely different form and aura appeared. Irene quickly analyzed the situation in her head. When a summoned beast goes out of control, all stats are massively amplified. It's called berserk. Fortunately, at this level I can still manage it. But contrary to her expectations, before she could grasp what was happening, the goblin lunged at her at lightning speed. But contrary to her expectations, before she could even understand what was happening, the goblin had already darted beside her at breakneck speed. She marveled, too fast, not a weak summoned beast, it's not over yet. The most dangerous thing about the berserk state is that it no longer recognizes its owner. As Irene turned, the goblin lunged to attack Kim Chulsu as well. Fortunately, Michelle appeared in time, bit down on Kim Chulsu, and tossed him up to the lamb bird on high. Summoner skill, summon lamb bird. The goblin, seeing its toy taken, snapped up in anger to grab it back. Irene returned to full combat mode. Now the obstacle's gone. She ordered Michelle. Michelle attacked just enough to wake it up. Michelle obeyed and flew up, intending to strike the goblin. But she had underestimated the goblin's burst power, as it leapt up and slashed straight into Michelle's arm. Irene shouted in shock, "Michelle." The current situation left her no time to grieve or be distracted. The goblin launched itself at her to attack. Irene dodged and used the summoner skill, Summon Earth Gigas. Seeing the towering mound of earth, the goblin rushed in and pounded it fiercely, and the mound instantly shattered. Irene panicked. Am I seeing this right? The damage just now was, if we don't cancel the summoning immediately, someone will die. So she ordered, "Get out of there now." Seeing her flee, the goblin wanted to fly up and continue the attack. But this time it was smarter. It flew up to gain momentum and slammed down hard to smash the ground. Then it picked out the smallest sharp stones in its hands, and as if crazed, hurled them into the air. The lamb bird was terrified at the hail of stones. Irene comforted it. Lucky this time, the lamb bird ran at full speed. The lamb bird performed an aerial maneuver, and indeed avoided every stone. The goblin wanted to show everyone that 30 is far from over. It grabbed a bag full of dirt and rocks and spun in a circle to gain force. Finally it let go, and hurled the bag with a perfect trajectory aimed at the bird. Irene couldn't believe it. Lamb bird, it's been a long time. I told you to stop being such a dull man, didn't I? She could do nothing but grab his hand and pull him into an embrace. The goblin then seized Michelle's leg and moved toward the guild master. Seeing its strange behavior, the guild master had no idea of the danger he was facing. You want to get what's coming to you. He as always activated his skill, Fire Knight Eternal Flame. Seeing that Yeeman couldn't stay silent, guild master, that thing took your eternal flame and is still perfectly fine. It's nothing like the enemies we've faced before. This is the moment for me to unleash a move to help you. Unfortunately, the guild master wasn't one to analyze skills. He refused the vice guild master's help. If others step in, it's as good as admitting defeat. Shut your mouth and sit there and watch, just like you've done all along. Yeeman went pale. I've been just sitting here the whole time. A genius with an IQ of 160, and I'm just sitting watching. It's all because that guy won't let me do anything. When the guild master's eternal flame struck the goblin, an earth-shattering explosion rang out. A figure was blasted far away, and all the guild members stood frozen. Horace Philliver tugged the corner of his mouth. Did you see that just now? Charlotte stammered. Yes, I saw it too. Yeeman trembled as he analyzed the scene. Maximum damage. If a hit exceeds a player's max HP, they can't withstand the pain and are immediately removed from the battle. Yeeman cried out in despair, Guild Master. At that moment, a large steady hand patted his head. The Guild Master appeared behind him like a god and reassured, just by looking you can tell it's dead as hell. Why scream like that? Yeeman immediately stopped crying. How are you still alive, sir? The guild master, unconcerned, asked, Hey genius, earlier you were spouting strategies and such, right? So is there any strategy to deal with a monster that can deal maximum damage in a single hit? Other things aside, when it came to his field, Yeeman immediately switched to serious mode. He adjusted his glasses and professionally analyzed. Normally the top strategy is running is best. Winning is certainly impossible, but you can at least land a decent hit. The guild master heard that and obediently said, Can't win, huh? But you say we can land one good hit, right? Then we'll use just that one hit to finish them. Seeing him heft his sword, Yeeman shouted from behind, Before I give the order, absolutely no one is to attack recklessly, understood? With that, he ran while running calculations in his head. The guild master's strike won't do a bit of damage. Moreover, that monster only needs to land one move to instantly kill. What kind of beast is so terrifyingly strong you can't even determine its level? The guild master's power-up skill, Eternal Flame, pierces armor and deals direct damage to the foe. If that move can turn the tide in a single blow, there might still be hope to win, but of course it can only be used once. Over here, the goblin paid no attention and glanced over, clenching its hand into a fist, and charged up to attack again. Yeeman thought helplessly, I admit charging a boss like this alone is utterly insane. But this stubborn, prideful guy won't back down until he's had his revenge. Fine, I'll throw one really strong hit. If it doesn't work, we'll retreat. Thinking that, he pressed the professor's skill activation button. The traps were disengaged and reacted, sprouting up into antenna-like columns and deploying the inverse field, the professor's laboratory. Within the lab space, everything obeyed his command. Waves surged and seized the goblin. System update, Eternal Ice freezes opponents in a wide area for up to 8 seconds. Higher levels shorten the duration. Done, Yeeman shouted. At that moment, the guild master slowly strode forward with his sword, gloomily trying to look cool, muttering, Thought this might be the end, huh? I'll admit it's terrifyingly strong, but I'm far stronger. With that, he activated 9 lives, survive a lethal hit with exactly 1 HP, usable once per match. Berserker skill, lower HP increases damage drastically. Immediately, the guild master unleashed an attack dealing over 300,000 HP. The goblin screamed when hit, but in less than a second, it was grinning again. Yeeman broke into a sweat. It can still move. Oh my god, how did it recover in under 2 seconds? The goblin without hesitation swung its club to strike. But the guild master was saved by the professor's locator skill, teleporting the player to any spot. Cooldown is 1 minute. Yeeman lost patience and yelled, The level gap is too huge. Charging in will only get us senselessly killed. What century is this that anyone would be stupid enough to risk life and death for this game? Hearing that, the active adventurers reconsidered and looked at each other. Yeah, true, you saw that just now. Dealing 3,000 damage and it's still standing. If you get knocked into it and get wiped early, that's humiliating. Leave this dumb event to the goblins as cannon fodder. Who drags a god-tier boss to fight us? I'm logging off. Same here, I'll log back in later when it's over. I'm done. One by one, they logged out. Horace Philliver also suggested, Let's bail, the whole group's unbeatable. Charlotte agreed. First time you said something right, huh? Of course, even if you want to keep fighting, I won't allow it. But as they were about to log out, she suddenly realized and angrily yelled, "Wait, don't tell me you Horace Philliver hadn't logged out," waving and laughing. "I was fooling you." System notice, due to high player volume, a 10-minute login lock after logout has been activated. Charlotte screamed in frustration, "Wait 10 minutes. Before she finished, she was forcibly disconnected and vanished. Over there, the guild master grinned with pleasure. What dream of leaving? See, it took damage from our hits, right? Its HP must have dropped by half. Quitting now would be a terrible regret. Yeeman couldn't take it and screamed, still not giving up. Stubborn as hell. Freezing movement is single use. Locator needs a minute cooldown and we haven't even analyzed its attack patterns yet. As he yelled, he fell silent. Unable to finish his sentence, them, picking up stones, hurled them straight at his face. Horace Philliver lunged forward and fired back. The blast whizzing past and leaving the guild master frozen. Too fast, couldn't react in time. Horace Philliver cheerfully stepped up, joking, "Lucky shot, saw danger so I fired randomly. Never thought I'd hit. Sorry if I ruined someone's solo boss hunt." Before he finished, the guild master cut in. "Since that guy in my guild jumped in, this isn't a solo honor fight anymore, right? Just don't get in my way." Horace Philliver smirked reassuringly. "Don't worry, I won't interfere, then I'll just join in." No sooner had he said that, than he charged ahead and attacked before the guild master. As he neared the goblins, Horace Philliver leapt into the air, and with his marksman skills unleashed continuous fire at it. But it was like mosquito bites on steel. He couldn't help but exclaim, "This is ridiculous, wait, it's not taking damage at all." The goblin spotted him and turned around, but as it faced them, the guild master with his flaming sword appeared behind it. A rear strike shaved off another 400,000 HP. Watching the distant explosion, Yeeman bewilderedly asked, "What on earth is happening? In a fight with odds lower than winning the lottery, why are you all still stubbornly refusing to retreat? What kind of people are you two who don't know how to fear death?" Even buried in a sea of flames, the goblin just jumps out casually. Over here, Kim Chulsu jolted up in panic, clutching his head and groaning, "Terrible headache, what the hell just happened?" Suddenly his eye snapped open. He squeezed something in his palm, wondering, "What's this squishy thing? Kinda nice, Seeing this, Irene recalled when she fell with him. The falling damage was brutal. "Oh my god, what awful luck, looks like this lunatic's awake." Hearing her voice, Kim Chulsu turned and shouted, "Aren't you the one who went with that royal cat boss that day?" The two goblins he was squeezing squealed in annoyance. "Stop squeezing us." Irene ordered, "Do you know that goblin is following you? Dismiss its summon immediately." Kim Chulsu refused and stood up retorting, "Why, what's wrong with that?" Irene snapped angrily, "Don't you know what you just did? You used the cursed radiant blood whip without lifting its curse and smacked that goblin right in the face, didn't you? You were unconscious, so you probably don't remember, but it's going berserk, smashing everything in sight. Having something that injures others unintentionally like that, have you ever thought how much it's suffering? For that goblin and for all the players here, please dismiss its summon immediately." But after her whole lecture, she only got "I don't know." Irene lost her temper and shouted, "What?" Kim Chulsu snapped back, yelling, "I don't know how to dismiss its summon. This game has no dismiss summon button. I've never seen that feature since I started playing." Irene, incredulous, asked, "What, your class is summoner, right? If you can summon it, there has to be a way to dismiss it." Kim Chulsu insisted firmly, "There's no way, there's no way. What more is there to say? I'm the one who most wants to dismiss it." Irene questioned incredulously, "Hey, what kind of talk is that? What if that goblin gets hurt?" Kim Chulsu curled his lip and smiled, "Hurt? You want me to name it? You judge everything from before to now. Accidental harm to others is unfortunate. Deliberately hurting others is what's despicable. In my life, there are only two kinds of people, those who have hurt me or those about to. If those guys get hurt a little, all the better, right? Worry about keeping yourself safe. That goblin, its mind isn't hurt and its body is fine. It's tanky as hell and still screaming with excitement." A flash of light suddenly flared. Kim Chulsu turned his head back in surprise, only to see the goblin flying away with over 700,000 HP damage. Over here, the guild master landed with difficulty and cried out in disbelief. It hid this move until now. The goblin was blown away by the explosion, but a second later returned as usual and leaped forward to attack again. The guild master activated Eternal Flame, growling, still not satisfied. "Fine, I'll finish this now." But just as he was about to unleash it, the system announced insufficient MP. The guild master panicked. "What?" The goblin then charged straight at him. The guild master hurriedly dropped his sword, and just as the goblin's hand was about to seize him, Yeeman's skill recovered in time, teleporting him away. Yeeman couldn't take it any longer and yelled loudly, "What the hell are you doing? You said you'd win. You always win like it's nothing. If you can't win, then fight to the end. Win like you always do. If you can't win, at least don't die. Sometimes I look like a coward, don't I? But we should run now. Who actually risks their life in a game?" The guild master was momentarily stunned by those words, then grabbed Yeeman's head and shouted, "Shut up, kid, I told you." Shouting like that only exposes your own failure. "Hey lone soldier, we're retreating. You can stay, but if you die, don't blame me." Horace Philliver smirked, "No, I should end it here too. These are more troublesome than fun. The guild master blankly, what do they mean? No sooner had he finished than someone was seen running in from afar, followed by a whole swarm of goblins heading this way. A few minutes earlier, Kim Chulsu watched the goblin get blown away with his mouth agape. The goblin's injured, and it took over 700,000 damage. Damn, that's dangerous. If it dies, my life will sink to the bottom of society. First I have to save it, I have to use the summon command. Irene was surprised. Summon it, don't call it back, it'll recklessly attack you again. Calm its rage first, no need to dismiss the summon. Kim Chulsu astonished, is there another option? Irene explained, that explosion just now only the Black Fire Guild Master in this town could cause. When minions are damaged down to almost no HP, they automatically dismiss. Status effects like Berserk also disappear. Kim Chulsu couldn't believe it and turned, you mean I should just let Blackfire kill it? What if it really dies? Irene affirmed, my minions cannot die, they just sleep and then wake up. They have no concept of life and death. That's usually true, but you said your goblin couldn't recover. The usual rules might not apply. While hesitating, Kim Chulsu shouted, so you're telling me to stake my life on your word? Irene blinked, what, your life? Kim Chulsu clenched his hands helplessly and screamed, that goblin is my life. I can't imagine returning to reality without it. I'd rather die than live without it. Her words snapped Irene awake. She recalled the time with her cat. And looking at Kim Chulsu before her, she couldn't help but be astonished, wondering, how can this be? How could someone hold such deep feelings that they'd cry over an entity? She couldn't help stepping forward to take his hand and sincerely say, I'm sorry, Kim Chulsu. No matter what, I won't let what you cherish most lose its life. Let's do everything we can together. Impatient, Kim Chulsu yelled, don't intervene if you don't have a way to call it back. I don't have time. Irene replied quietly, dejected. After analysis, your goblin isn't a normal summoned goblin, but a real living being. It only lives once, so we do have an approach. Monsters driven berserk are like long-abandoned wild animals. The easiest way to open their closed hearts is to give them food. It's not easy, but I think it will definitely work. Kim Chulsu, your compassion. As she said this, Kim Chulsu mentally analyzed, what the hell is she saying? I just want to beat my goblin up. Wait, I've enticed it before with a feed goblin skill and it wildly followed. Hold on, have I never actually fed it before? Thinking that, he activated summoner skill, feed goblin, looked at the sausage in his hand and thought to himself, maybe this will wake it up, this is the only way, wait for me you bastard. With that he sprinted away. Irene panicked and shouted, wait, if you have food, why not call it back? Before she finished, a horde of goblins rushed past. Irene looked down in confusion. Are the goblins targeting Kim Chulsu? Kim Chulsu ran ahead, the goblins running behind him. At first he didn't notice and turned back to look, but when he saw the ravenous look on one goblin's face, and then glanced at the sausage in his hand, along with the system message. Special sausage for goblins. Legend says it can even bring back a goblin's divorced wife, can be summoned once per day. He realized the situation. Kim Chulsu sped up and shouted, get lost, you bastards. So the scene had Kim Chulsu running ahead with a sea of goblins chasing after him. The guild master watched, sweating profusely. What the? Why are they charging toward us? Horace Philliver hurriedly logged out, waving it off. They must have smelled something tasty. If we don't get out fast, this will be a real nuisance. Before Horace Philliver finished speaking, Kim Chulsu dashed between the two men. The guild master quickly grabbed Yeeman's hand and flung him far away. Gritting his teeth, he forced a smile. See you later, Vice Captain. At once, the sea of goblins surged forward. The system announced, Espaz has died. The goblins barely cared and kept charging. On this side, Kim Chulsu found his goblin and scolded. You were going to leave without asking me. This is your favorite kind of sausage. I don't have time, eat it quickly. The goblin was berserk but still drooling with desire. Kim Chulsu hesitated. Damn, it's a berserk effect. It's going crazy, this feels terrible. But he still stuck his hand out and called. There you are, it's you. No, good boy. There you are, it's you. No, good boy. Here comes the tasty sausage. Eat up. Good, very good, let's go. The goblin had just taken a bite when that sea of goblins rushed in, flinging the sausage away and burying the berserk goblin underneath them. They were all fixated on the sausage hovering in the air, trampling Kim Chulsu underfoot. He endured the pain and cursed it under his breath. Damn it, these hateful goblins are useless trash, greedy and selfish, and there are so damn many of them. That guy was right, them bastards are too numerous. If some of them die, so what? By now the goblins had piled into a mountain, and one that climbed to the top grabbed the sausage. Suddenly the ground shook and the goblin mountain collapsed, sending Kim Chulsu flying up as well. It turned out to be because of the rare armor he was wearing, which has a 1% chance to trigger the skill Heaven and Earth Rupture when hit. Kim Chulsu couldn't help but be surprised. Heaven and Earth Rupture, this armor can have that option. A system message followed. All goblins that trusted and followed you have been annihilated. The Goblin King is extremely pleased and received 1 goblin point. Kim Chulsu had nothing to brace against and fell straight down. Suddenly a goblin appeared. bounding across the stones, and leapt down below. Just as Kim Cholsu was about to land like a meat pancake, this goblin caught him. Kim Cholsu, astonished, said, "Goblin, you're conscious, you came back. This bastard is starving, I tell you." The sausage had now fallen down too. The goblin immediately threw Kim Cholsu aside and leaped to snatch it. He sulked and muttered, "What a piece of shit." System update: Goblin Village Extermination Quest completed 18,783.30, reward 350 gold. At that moment, Irene jumped down beside Kim Cholsu, exhaling. The berserk seems to have been lifted. "Thank goodness, did you clear out all those goblins?" Kim Cholsu sprang up angrily and snapped, "What are you yammering about now? Are you my mother?" Irene was annoyed by this and snapped, "What whining? I'm just worried about you." "Fine, I'll be blunt. This goblin raid was caused by you, wasn't it?" Kim Cholsu protested immediately. "What? No way." Irene, exasperated, spat into her hand before saying, "Goblins are basically small monsters. Whether it's a few hundred or tens of thousands, they can't really harm players in this village. Even if HP drops to 0, you can still resurrect without penalty. But regardless, them attacking innocent people is your fault, so give all these to them." Kim Cholsu had no choice and complied. "Oh fine, I know, I was going to do that anyway." A while later, someone logged into the game and shouted, "I heard an explosion over here." They went over curious, "What is this?" All they saw at the bottom of the pit was a wooden sign. "Compensation fund for civilian sacrifices, take what you need," along with numerous gold, jewels, and valuables lost by the goblins. At the same time, in a closed room, a few people gathered to discuss. This time it seems to have a pretty positive outcome. "I've heard the same. Oh, finally, report the results to G67 quickly." G67 damage 99.99 confirmed. Damage reached the maximum limit. Oh, even the worst criminals have never hit that number. There's always some goodness buried in people. Ultimately, that's what weakens summoned beasts or sometimes causes them to lose control. In G67, there's no such thing as a human heart. You mean it's a perfect vessel? In any case, this is a great achievement. We don't even know how many people were sacrificed for this. After dozens of resets, finally a savior appeared. But summoning such a perfect goblin means G67, the summoner among summoners, resembles a goblin more than anyone before. If someone like that carelessly waved that absurd power around, everything would surely go wrong. That absolutely cannot be allowed. We must do everything to keep him under our control. We must succeed. It's for that purpose we exist as Iscariot. Sometime later in the real world, a series of news articles reported on the goblin raid at Phoenix El Basar. Fortunately, the goblins were low level, so damages were minimal. Kim Cholsu read and silently prayed, "God bless, this incident passed without major issues. It seems no one knows I'm the culprit." He thought following the cat girl had been the right choice. "The compensation fund, take what you need. I can skim some off myself, but it's better than letting these players get angry and hunt down the culprit." Switching to the article about the compensation event at Phoenix El Basar, Wind Mage Magician level 35 commented, "That bastard th letter 1EA5T long. Before getting paid, I wanted to kill him. Now I just want to beat him up." Kim Cholsu helplessly held his forehead. "Who the hell is this guy? I lost 10 years of lifespan already. Damn, being deceived by a monster and suffering like this. Kind goblin my ass. This damn goblin went berserk because I didn't feed it. I really have become its master. I know nothing about summoning beasts. I've never even kept a pet. Next time I meet that cat's owner, I have to ask. She's high level and can even summon some bird. She really gives off the vibe of an expert. Wait, why would such a capable girl help me? It was odd from the start." He remembered that before leaving she said, "So cute." He wondered, "She already called me cute." Irene then asked, "Can you tell me your name?" Kim Cholsu became wary again. She insisted on knowing his name. After thinking it over, he decided, "She's so pretty, maybe I'll try flirting." Suddenly, Seung Ryul's face loomed into view. Without thinking, Kim Cholsu barked, "Get lost, you dog," he muttered. "It's Seung Ryul, still not pleased, huh? I know, you lunatic. Who the hell are you? Why are you here? Are you stalking me?" Seung Ryul sat down solemnly and said, "You've looked worried for a while now." Kim Cholsu ignored him and shouted, "Answer me, have you been following me?" But only got a vague reply. It was bound to come to this. Kim Cholsu started to bristle. "You wanna get your ass kicked? What do you know about me to be acting all-knowing?" Seung Ryul answered mysteriously, "Probably because of the goblin." Kim Cholsu broke into a sweat. "Yeah, that's true, but how did you know?" He looked up and explained, "Of course I know. Your summoned beast is about to lose the power it has now, that's why you're worried." Kim Cholsu grew more astonished. "Lose its power? What nonsense are you talking about? What's wrong with the goblin? Because it wasn't fed." Seung Ryul turned dangerous and countered, "Don't tell me you don't know. They found a critical game bug related to summoners' summoned beasts. There's going to be a bug fix process soon. I hope I'm just worrying for nothing. But the fact your goblin is abnormally strong, couldn't that be due to that bug?" Those words drained the color from Kim Cholsu's face. He lost his composure, jumped up and yelled, "Are you serious? Is that bug fix real? Where did you hear that?" Before he could answer, several nearby players were already whispering, there's a new announcement from heaven. Any update? Oh, nothing big. I think there's a patch to fix bugs in a week. A while later, Kim Chulsu logged into the game, stunned and sat on the grass for a long time. Then finally, helpless, threw a stone and shouted, "Damn it, why does it have to be now? My goblin is acting extremely strange right now. If the so-called critical bug the company discovered affects summoners, it's gotta be this goblin. There's 1 week until the patch. I can't go back to that miserable life. In that time, I have to earn 2 billion by any means." Moments later, he appeared before the NPC god. As usual, the NPC sneered arrogantly, "Don't get cocky just because you killed 30 goblins. Pathetic." Kim Chulsu couldn't help showing off his achievements, but the NPC ignored it entirely. He lost his patience and shouted, "Stop nagging and give me the next quest. I don't have time. Who do I need to smash this time?" But the god merely smirked and presented a notice board. "To accept the next quest, you must reach level 40. Kim Chulsu cursed it out loud. "Damn it, I'm only level 38 right now, just leveled up from 37. Looking at his current level, he frowned and curled his lip, thinking, damn, who knew level would be an issue? Killed 10 goblins and only gained 1 level. Thinking that, Kim Chulsu walked to the Adventurers Guild, looked at the quest board, and mused. Instead of mindlessly slaughtering monsters, better to take a quest and get extra reward. It even saves time. All the good quests had already been taken. The Demon Mask quest offered a whopping 10,000 gold, truly the best of the remaining ones. Then he reached for the quest slip, only to find another hand grabbing it as well. Turning, Kim Chulsu came face to face with Hai One Nim, a level 36 fighter. Hai One Nim, recognizing him, was shocked and stumbled back, shouting, "What? It's that perverted lunatic." Seeing her panicked state, Kim Chulsu was a bit taken aback. "Isn't she the one I rode before? What kind of pervert are they calling me? Damn, what do they think I am hearing that?" As he feared, the people behind her immediately looked at him with accusing eyes. That perverted lunatic, he was just ogling that quest like he was picking who to play with first. He's really crazy, his face matches his nature. They spoke and aggressively moved to surround Kim Chulsu. Honestly, I always thought he was a lunatic. What a nutcase. Just as he didn't know what to do, the quest slip on the board was pulled down. "Okay, Ray," a level 32 mage spoke in a low voice, cutting through the group. "Stop arguing. Why don't you go with this old lady?" The unexpected proposal from her made Kim Chulsu angry. He shouted, "Who do you think you are to snatch my quest, old hag? I called dibs on this." Okay, Ray remained calm and pointed to the quest slip. "No way a young man like you wouldn't see what this old woman sees. Seems you missed the line below." Only then did he notice the small note below, minimum requirement of 3 players. That note shocked him and he widened his eyes. 3 players? Why is one of me not enough? Why should I carry 2 extra burdens? But he quickly turned and pointed at Hai One Nim, catching her off guard. "You look somewhat useful. As for you, you're just an old woman." Okay, Ray smiled faintly and calmly said, "If you don't want this old woman tagging along, I won't force you, but are you sure you're up for it?" At her reminder, Kim Chulsu confidently turned to the others. "Besides me, this old lady here has plenty of people asking to join." The group looked at him with suspicion and contempt. "Team up with this guy? Wait a minute, isn't he the lunatic who got involved with Hai One Nim's daughter?" Seeing their attitude, he grew angry. No time to argue. "Fine, I'll take this old woman on the quest, in the last spot." As he spoke, he looked at Hai One Nim. Nim, frightened, clutched her head and stammered, "No, please don't." But she had no chance to object. The quest was quickly accepted. Hai One Nim, level 36 fighter. Kim Chulsu, level 38 goblin summoner. OK Ray, level 32 maid. Upon entering the quest, Hai One Nim was greeted by a large, ferocious bear. She panicked, swung her fists at it, and ran. "Why do I always end up stuck with this damned guy?" Beside her, he grumbled in annoyance, "If you run like that, we'll be working on this quest until forever. This quest will probably only be done next year." Hai One Nim ran while sobbing, shouting, "I can't run any faster. Open your eyes and look at their levels. Do you think I can take all of them out in 1 move?" Looking at the shaggy bears ahead, he sneered and said, "Come on, they're just those freak beasts. Screw it, even if I get reported for a summoning bug now, I don't care." At that moment, the goblin came up from behind and let out a loud cry. Hai One Nim, puzzled, muttered, "Goblin huh," just as the goblin sped toward the shaggy bears. Before it could attack, OK Ray's flames took it by surprise. She said in a low voice, "Leave these freak beasts to this old woman." Mage skill, Fireball. Seeing her use a skill that blocked him, he shouted, "Old woman, don't block my way." The shaggy bear growled, but before it could do anything, it took a punch from the goblin. That single blow sent it collapsing to the ground in pain. Hai One Nim looked at the scene and screamed in horror, "It's the goblin from before. Why is that goblin here?" Seeing her trembling, he replied calmly, "Because it's my summoned pet. Understand?" She stared at him in surprise. "A summoned monster." He said nonchalantly, "I'm the summoner of this ultimate beast. It can wipe them all in 1 move, so don't get in the way, stand aside and watch." With that, Kim Chulsu led the way forward. Hai One Nim and OK Ray followed behind, chatting. "Hey ma'am, how did you end up playing Heaven Door?" She, a bit surprised, replied, "What, this PC game I started because of my husband." Hai One Nim, astonished, said, "You started playing because your husband dragged you in? That's romantic." She asked lightly, "Romantic? What do you mean?" Hai One Nim smiled and answered, "Tell me more. What kind of person is your husband? What character does he play?" Hearing this, she fell into thought. He. At that moment, the goblin's cry rang out, cutting their conversation short. Kim Cholsu looked ahead and sneered, "What do you think, demon mask?" Hai One Nim immediately became alert. "I thought it was just a mask. Where does it lead?" "Ma'am, don't go near it." Okay, Ray stepped forward, ignoring Hai One Nim's warning. A scene from her past now appeared in her eyes. "Having fun? You used to complain all the time about it taking up space, about harmful electromagnetic waves, and now you're stuck in the game all day." Her husband, lying in bed, croaked, "I'm bored to death, can't even go outside, might as well play this." She gently fed him a slice of apple. "I peeled the apple for you, eat. Also, thanks to the government giving us seniors this machine, we play to pass the time." Hearing her, he said, "All right, be quiet and go somewhere else." Then she remembered his surprised reaction. Warrior level 17. "Oh my Mo, what are you doing here?" Okay, Ray was level 1. She smiled and replied, "I borrowed a friend's machine to join. I admit this place looks so real." At times like that, the warrior pointed at her name and said, "Look at that nasty name, can't set it right, you can tell she's an old woman at a glance." She was a bit surprised. "Is it that obvious?" He said, "Your display name is right above your head, who wouldn't see it?" She squinted at his display name, blushed, and said, "What's with your name? It sounds tacky and you're so sensitive about it." Back in the present, she stood before the demon mask, level 36, and Love Park, a level 39 warrior. The demon mask stared silently. Hai One Nim stood to one side and shouted anxiously, "That's dangerous, ma'am." The demon mask said nothing and swung the blade in its hand. Okay, Ray spoke up, "Sorry kids, you're about to help out a bunch of old folks." With that, she used a mage skill combined with a dark bomb and struck toward the demon mask. Kim Cholsu watched her attack and couldn't help but exclaim, "That skill is badass, this old woman's hits pack a punch." No sooner had he finished the compliment than her figure took off, darting past the two of them and surprising him. The demon mask suddenly pressed down over Kim Cholsu's face. The goblin, seeing this, broke out in a cold sweat and watched her direction. Hai One Nim looked at the scene in amazement. "What the? She just took that monster down. Ma'am, who is that person?" She followed the path they ran. Okay, Ray, level 32 mage, Love Park, level 39 warrior. The demon mask's display name surprised her. Love Park, okay, Ray. Are these two acquainted? The woman's earlier words echoed in her ear. "Sorry kids, you're about to help out a bunch of old folks." She wondered aloud, what did she mean by offering help? At that moment, the goblin approached and tugged at Hai One Nim, making her confused. "What's wrong, goblin?" Before her stood Kim Cholsu, but in the form of the demon mask level 36, Kim Cholsu level 38. That sight unnerved her and she shouted, "I hate this so much." Along the long path, the tiny figure of Hai One Nim ran wildly forward. She screamed in terror, nearly losing her mind. "Ah, I really hate this game." Just as Kim Cholsu's arm was about to reach Hai One Nim, she immediately arched forward, then swung her leg and delivered a kick straight to his face. "I told you to throw that stupid mask away already, segment." The mask flew off quickly. She ground her teeth as she looked at him, thinking, the mask fell off, just dealing a bit of damage is enough. There's no need to wipe the place clean, right? And that mask always targets whoever's nearest the poor guy who just fell. Kim Cholsu, please understand this for once. After Hai One Nim's kick, he knelt on the ground, dazed. "Damn, I feel nauseous. Damn demon mask, you dare mess with me, you bastard. I see everything. Why did you run off instead of helping me? And you're so fast and strong, damn it." He turned and saw that Hai One Nim had been controlled by the demon mask. Kim Cholsu moved closer to her, but she pressed him against the wall. He said, "Don't do this, we're on the same side." She said nothing and swung a fist into his gut, causing him to spit blood in pain. The goblin immediately charged, summon Goblin Rally. Hai One Nim now brutally threw punch after punch at him. As Kim Cholsu blocked each blow, he thought, "Damn, this cursed mask is controlling whoever wears it. No wonder I couldn't do anything earlier. Goblin, that mask is targeting you." Hearing that, the goblin immediately drew its weapon, ready to fight. But at that moment, the mask detached from Hai One Nim. Before she could even understand what happened, the goblin knocked her away. Seeing the demon mask before him, he fearfully hid behind the goblin. "That damned contraption is coming again, do something." The demon mask tried to latch onto the goblin's face, but failed. It then switched to Kim Cholsu, causing him to flee in terror. "Now it's aiming at me. Damn it, what kind of damn monsters are these? Don't block my way, get out of the way." Okay, Ray, seeing Kim Cholsu, shouted, Don't get near that bastard." He gritted his teeth. "That old hag just insulted me, huh? Wait, this nickname looks familiar. Demon Mask. That earlier name, the demon mask that put it on its head. It must be Love Park. Okay, are these two siblings?" At his skeptical remark, she retorted, "We're husband and wife, you idiot." He angrily snapped back, face dark, "I don't care what you two are. The point is you old hags tricked me, didn't you? So that's why you stuck to me on the quest. Get out of here, consider yourself warned." The demon mask behind kept drawing nearer, and OK Ray was gradually running out of energy. At that moment, the old man on her shoulders murmured, "I'm feeling dizzy." She looked at him and softly said, "Are you awake? Oh my goodness." Before she could say more, the demon mask took control of her. He weakly spoke, "What are you planning to do?" "Oh god, I'm fatting. I think I'm going to die." After running far enough, Kim Chol-soo stopped and turned to look back. "Wait, what the hell? The demon mask didn't latch onto me." On this side, he was stunned when he saw her condition. "Okay, Ray. That damned young man can handle it, but old folks like us would be finished right away." Kim Chol-soo replied to that, "Wait, you think a young man can handle it? Sounds like you want me to put the mask on myself, huh? Don't be ridiculous, old man. Who gave you the right to jump into this game at your age? It's just a bit of control from the mask. It's not like the apocalypse is coming. Do you realize that in this game, monsters can spawn anytime, anywhere? If you have a heart attack, who are you going to blame? What resilience do you expect from a youngster? If it's dangerous for the elderly, why did you even come into heaven door?" Just then, Hae-won-nim and the goblin ran up from afar, shouting, "Kim Chol-soo." He looked over in surprise. "Aren't those my number 1 and 2 subordinates? Wait, how are you still alive after taking that goblin hit?" She, panting, replied, "In a party, members don't lose health unless PK is on." "You idiot, how are you so fast? Did you put all your points into agility?" He said, "You didn't know. Turns out that old woman tricked us. She meant for someone else to wear the mask, not her husband. I was planning to bail and get revenge later." Unexpectedly, the demon mask latched onto the old woman too. She was startled by the words. "Kim Chol-soo, have you ever secretly wanted to become a goblin?" Hearing that, he looked at Hae-won-nim suspiciously. "What the hell? Why would I want to become a goblin?" She replied, "Not that lame goblin, I mean the goblin you summon. It's ridiculously strong. Don't tell me you've never wanted to be it." Kim Chol-soo fell into thought. Lately it won't even listen to me. Whatever, the point is it's strong, but I can't always control it. So sometimes I think it might be easier if I were the goblin. But why are you asking all of a sudden? She said, "Hey, when I put the mask on, what did I look like?" He answered calmly like a total idiot. She immediately snapped, "No, I mean my appearance." He answered coolly, "You suddenly got huge and muscular, looked awesome." She seemed to realize something and said, "I knew it. I guess the mask transforms you into the version you desire. I like lifting weights, but my body never really gains much muscle, so I often think it'd be great to have more muscle without the effort. And that old man is so short. If he's insecure about his height, it makes sense the mask makes him towering when he wears it." Hearing that, he looked toward OK Ray. "So if your theory is right," she replied, "probably." On the other side, the old man looked at her trembling, but his voice was resolute. "Wait a moment, I'll save you right away." Looking at her current state, she said, "It seems she wished for a child." A scene from OK Ray's memory appeared. The young couple were on their way to see a doctor. The doctor said, "Still not pregnant this time. Have you considered giving up?" After leaving the clinic, the young couple walked out into the park. Love Park bent down, plucked a flower, and turned to encourage his wife. "Come on, cheer up." Then he saw his wife wiping her eyes and asked, "Again, some people are just born with difficulty conceiving. It's not your fault. Why cry? It's okay." He leaned in, placed a hand on her shoulder, and continued to comfort her. "We can still be happy without children. I'll be your mischievous son every day. Then another day you'll be my daughter. Isn't that fun? Don't worry anymore. You're just being childish for crying like that, aren't you? Let's see if you're really a child. Don't cry, I'll take care of you forever like my treasure." Back in the present, looking at the wife in front of him, Love Park gritted his teeth in anger. Kim Chol-soo, watching from behind, spoke up, "Let's take this chance to get out of here. That thing's too fast, we can't kill it." Hae-won-nim cut in, "Wait, we can't leave those two here. I felt like when that mask latched onto me, I was trapped in a dungeon, couldn't log out, like sleep paralysis. I couldn't do anything and worried it would never end. That old man has endured it all until now." Her voice grew firm. "Kim Chol-soo, we have to save them." But when she turned, he was gone. He had left without her noticing. She wondered where did he go? She shouted after his retreating back, "Hey, Kim Chol-soo." He scratched his ear, pretending not to hear, and said, "Don't tell me you intentionally put that mask on for them. Don't tell me you put that mask on for them on purpose." "Yeah, I get it, then stay out of this." She shouted again, "I never said that, destroy it." He asked suspiciously, "Why should I do that? It's hard to catch and I'd level up faster hunting other monsters." She suddenly changed her tone, "Oh yeah, fine, goodbye then. I'll take every reward including the unique monster drop." Upon hearing unique reward, Kim Chol-soo froze for a few seconds. She clenched her fist and continued, "It's rare for a reason. Look closely. Have you ever seen a monster with a name colored like that? The XP and loot will be insane because it's ridiculously hard to kill." Thinking of the enticing reward, Kim Chol-soo turned his head and stammered, "The reward too." Then he looked at his little companion and shouted, "Goblin." He took out the bloodworm whip, coldly advanced toward the goblin and said, "Let's do it." Seeing the whip in his hand, she asked, "Hey, what's that whip? That goblin looks like it's trembling." Ignoring her, he shouted, "Watch closely. This is the only way to kill that damn mask. The bloodworm whip will cause a frenzy state, boosting all the summoned creature stats. It'll go insane, but feed it a sausage and it's fine. I'm a bit worried about random negative effects, but they're just random. So what? I'm not always safe. I'm Kim Chol-soo. I always all in on bets." Watching him spur into action, the goblin's eyes flashed brightly and Hae-won-nim was stunned for a few seconds. System notification, debuff weakened, increased damage taken for a duration. After it was done, he grinned with delight, hit the jackpot this time. He pointed at OK Ray and ordered, "Hey Goblin, see that old woman wearing the mask? Kill her and I'll give you a sausage. Go on, you demon." At that command, the goblin didn't comply, but stood there pondering for a moment. Then it turned back, opened its mouth wide, and tried to bite him. Seeing that, Kim Chulsu angrily shouted, "What the hell's wrong with you? It's over there, over there." He used Goblin Toss, hurled it far away, and shouted, "That direction, there you bastard." The goblin flew high into the air, then gently landed right in front of the elderly couple. As soon as it touched down, it lunged forward, performing a double strike, and kicked the old woman square in the face, sending her flying backward. The mask also fell off at that moment. Witnessing this, Love Park in the back gasped and shouted, "Okay, Ray." He dropped his weapon and ran to his wife's side. After breaking free from the mask's control, the old woman regained sensation and said, "Oh God, I'm dizzy." It turned out to be Kim Chulsu's plan, since attacks from party members did no damage. She looked at her husband and shouted, "I'm fine, don't come near me. If you come close, that thing will." As soon as she finished speaking, the mask flew toward the old man's face, making him open his mouth and scream in terror. Just as the mask was about to latch onto his face, Hai-One Nim ran up from a distance and shouted, "Pull him away." She took his wife's hand and said, "Get out of here now, we'll handle this." Then the mask latched onto her face once more. Seeing that, the old man ran to his wife, lifted her up, and urged, "Stay conscious, we have to leave right away." Staring at the masked creature before him, Kim Chulsu clenched his fists and shouted, "You mask, your resistance is the real deal, sure enough a unique monster, but this time you won't escape my hands." No sooner had he finished speaking than the goblin appeared before Hai-One Nim in a frenzied state. It charged like a moth to a flame, preparing to unleash a divine strike, when suddenly it froze in place, because Hai-One Nim had grabbed hold of its leg. Immediately, she drove her knee up with full force, bending the goblin's body at a right angle. Still, the blow dealt no damage. This left Kim Chulsu outside with his mouth agape, shouting, "Impossible." She not only dodged the goblin but counterattacked. The goblin now struggled on the ground, letting out a few wheezy cries, then turned its brutal gaze forward once more. Hai-One Nim stepped in, raised her leg high, preparing to stomp down with a devastating strike. Without hesitation, at the peak of her lift, she braced and drove her foot down, aiming straight for the top of the goblin's head. The blow looked ferocious, yet still caused no damage to the goblin. Seeing the goblin unharmed, Kim Chulsu outside breathed out, "Thank goodness, number 3 isn't hurt. Damn, I thought she'd become a super monster, but something's off." The enraged goblin couldn't land a single hit. Though it inflicted no damage, her movements after dodging the goblin's countless attacks. Hai-One Nim clenched her fist and delivered another punch to the goblin. This time she struck its face, sending it smashing into the wall, but again it took no damage. Kim Chulsu's expression outside turned to utter fear, not because she was weak, but because the goblin was ridiculously tough. The goblin crawled out from the rubble, its face still wearing that usual mad look. The impact had been so strong that the cavern began to register aftershocks. This startled Kim Chulsu, who shouted, "What the hell? Why is this happening?" The elderly couple, still unable to get out, also felt the tremors. The old man turned and said, "The cave's about to collapse." He wrapped his arm around the old woman's shoulders, shielding his wife. At this strange action, OK Ray shouted, "Good heavens, are you crazy? What the hell are you doing?" The old man suddenly remembered something and said, "I remember now. I once promised I'd care for you like my treasure all my life, but I forgot that promise as I grew older. Were you so lonely you followed me into places like this? I'm sorry." At his words, countless rocks began to rain down, starting to bury the elderly couple. Kim Chulsu turned toward them. He too was crushed under numerous stones, his face distorted. He cursed, "God damn it." Hai-One Nim beside him in a similar state called out, "Kim Chulsu, can you hear me?" He called back, "Where are you? It's all your fault." She saw a small hand in the rubble and said, "I see your hand. Can you still move?" Not only could he move, he even raised his middle finger defiantly. This made her furious. She shouted, "What the hell is wrong with you? Anyway, the mask is under your hand. I'm stuck and can't move. Try killing it then." Seeing someone else in the same situation, he cried with joy, "Oh, so I'm not the only one trapped." He clenched his fist, grabbed the mask, and said coldly, "This time you're dead for sure. I'm 100% landing this punch, you bastard." His hand came down, dealing only 18 damage to the mask, but that was enough. The mask began to show cracks and a blinding glow. A few seconds later, it shattered into countless fragments. What? It turned out to be just a monster for playing tag. After this quest, she also leveled up from 36 to 39. Kim Chulsu on his side received the same reward. He reached level 41. Still unsure if he'd killed it, he asked, "Is it dead?" "It's dead, right? So where's my mega reward?" His hand started groping as he shouted, "Where is it? Damn it." After the monster was defeated, a mask fell to the ground. System notification, exclusive item, ghost mask, unsellable, summoning item. He tried to reach for the mask but couldn't, his face twisted as he cursed inwardly, Shit, I have to pick it up before she or someone else does. Suddenly, the surrounding rubble shook violently, making him gasp and shout, "Wait, what's that sound? Is it coming closer?" No sooner had he thought that than his little companion appeared, its face crazed as it looked toward him, letting out a few cries. In just a few minutes he swore 3 times in a row, "Damn it, I forgot about this bastard, it's still in its frenzy state." Cholsu used the summoner skill to feed the goblin. He had to feed it the sausage quickly. Yet his body wouldn't move, damn it my hand. But the goblin's behavior was odd compared to usual. Why wasn't it charging? Maybe it's too dark for it to see me. Then he looked more closely at one bulging eye. Wait, this thing, Suru, what's wrong with its eye? Is it also affected by the frenzy? That eye began to elongate slowly toward him. It stopped right in front of his right eye. Looking closer, it wasn't like a normal goblin at all, but a toothed tube with 2 tentacles like blades. Cholsu screamed in terror at the top of his lungs. Damn. The goblin's grotesque grin made him so scared he nearly pissed himself. Oh my god, help. His blood-curdling scream made Hai-1 Nim anxious. Kim Cholsu, what's wrong? What's happening? Suddenly the trapped person was struck and flung away. In an instant there was no one to be seen. Cholsu was flung far away, carving out a new path. A black wind-sucking hole flashed into existence. The elderly couple dazedly lifted their heads from the rubble. The warrior emotionally hugged the old woman. "We're alive, Akri, maybe heaven helped us." Hai-1 Nim left there was in utter confusion. She looked back at the items left behind. The goblin had returned to normal, its face craving the ghost mask. She reluctantly said, "Go out first." After hearing her story, Cholsu confirmed, "You mean you couldn't leave it behind, so you took it with you?" He screamed in disbelief, "Holy shit, you expect me to believe that? You're dead for sure, get me out of here now." Hai-1 Nim was flustered, wondering how to pull him out. She held the mask like a hot potato. I didn't know it was a unique, untradeable item. The unique item, the demon mask, a summoning item that can't be traded. I really just wanted to take it out to give back to you, otherwise someone else would pick it up. Cholsu sank into the wall, ranting crazily. "You heard that? You're dead for sure. Once the goblin's frenzy ends, I'll call it over and make you eat boiled chicken right away." Then the warrior stepped forward a few paces. "Sir, this is everything my wife and I own here." Cholsu mid-tirade suddenly froze. "What?" The old man continued. "Sorry and thank you for helping us. Urge Akri to apologize too. Please say sorry." His face turned smug. "Ah, you mean use the money to atone for messing with us? Fine, but I'll have to see how much it is before I decide whether to forgive you." Hearing that, Hai-1 Nim bristled. "Hey Kim Cholsu, do you really want to take all this money? This is their entire estate." The old man moved closer to comfort them. "It's okay, we've decided to quit this game." They reconciled in a brief instant. "You're right, this dangerous game could kill us anytime, so we'll stop. I'll sell the computer and spend more time with my wife so that money isn't necessary for us anymore." Hai-1 Nim still looked uneasy, but he sneered with satisfaction. "Heard that? This is the price for the lives I saved them, and since they said they'd quit the game, the money is useless if not cashed out anyway." Those nearby huddled and whispered, "Wait, you can really convert in-game stuff to real money? What the hell? Yeah, you just go to the bank and they exchange it all. That's a shame." Finally, she patted his shoulder and urged, "Just log out and go." The warrior hesitated slightly, but she pressed firmly. "They've already apologized. Hurry while he's still trapped." Cholsu lost his patience and shouted, "Hey, what are you standing there for?" Hai-1 Nim giggled, "What are we doing?" They stuck out their tongues and vaguely agreed, "Let's get out of here." At the peak of his fury, before leaving, she added lightly, "Oh, by the way, your goblin's frenzy ended a while ago." The golden NPC appeared, exclaiming, "Level 40 already? Looks like you've become a somewhat capable adventurer now." He stepped closer and stared into the mad eyes. "Just from looking I can tell, Kim Cholsu's Goblin Summoner LV41, you've grown stronger and aren't far behind me, or at least you're on par." He exhaled and spoke softly. "All right, perhaps it's time to reveal a secret to you." The rogue turned away with a flourish. "Take a stroll with me for a bit." But the man beside him was impatient. "What the hell are you doing? Hurry up and give me the quest." The gold NPC mused, "I've long searched for someone like you." Meanwhile, Cholsu, crazed, spun the goblin in his hand. "This crazy guy, the one ahead, remained lost in his own world. Someone who shares my ambition. I really want to teach him a lesson. Why won't he listen?" Gold began to lead into the main storyline. You probably know of it. The 1,000-year war between humans and demons, right? The cry thundered on as if forever. As you know, that great war ended with humanity victorious. His narration recalled old times nostalgically. The demons were defeated and driven into dungeons, and from then on the human world entered a long era of peace. The scene suddenly shifted to a blazing red, but the peace only lasted briefly. Without a common enemy, humans began turning on each other. Gold led him into a room lit only by light streaming through the door. Cholsu evaluated indifferently. "Sounds intense, but so what? How does this relate to the quest?" Gold produced a blazing torch from somewhere. Thus, what humanity needed was a target to focus their hatred on. He shone the light into a large prison cage where a massive beast lay. As a result, the existence of demons became indispensable. His face turned grave. Jesus, even the village has monsters like this. If it got loose, it'd be catastrophic. Gold recounted that humanity could only unite when facing a common enemy, the demons. Therefore, to preserve peace for humans, demons absolutely must not disappear. His expression grew severe as he forecasted the future. War will flare up again soon, and to prevent that war we are forced to make a choice. He bowed his head slightly and spoke solemnly. Even if many must die because of it, it's to save even more lives, an unavoidable choice. Cholsu sneered with contempt, spouting heavy-duty philosophy. What's with that? Strangely, this time it even won't skip the dialogue. Gold didn't seem to be joking at all. Listen carefully, Kim Cholsu. He ignored Cholsu's trivial remarks. I will reenact that human-demon great war, just give me the quest, got it? His determined voice rose. The road ahead will be full of hardship. Do you want to accompany me? A system panel appeared with two options. Accompany, do not accompany, make your choice. Cholsu's face showed scorn. Oh ho, you have to choose accompany for the quest to proceed, huh? His finger pressed the red text. What if I choose not to accompany? Accompany, do not accompany. Let's try not going with him, hee. Program Gold reached out. Reconsider, I need you. No matter how many times he pressed, the NPC only repeated. Reconsider, I need you, so it's designed to force the accompany choice. Then Cholsu started messing around. The NPC kept repeating reconsider, and he kept answering, yeah, nah, not doing it, what then, bye-bye. Suddenly Gold behaved oddly. He drew his sword into an attacking stance. Then there's no choice, I will force you to follow me. NPC God LV70. Now Cholsu panicked and begged, what the hell man, I was joking, I'll go, I said I'll go already. But his blade didn't hesitate as it swept past. Aw damn. His face twisted in pain as he felt the wound bleeding. Yet he realized something was off. What is this? Why doesn't it hurt? Getting hit by a level 70 guy and I feel nothing. Wait. Then Cholsu thought it through. This quest requires level 40 to accept. Normally a player this level couldn't fight a level 70 god. A forced loss fight like the stage 5 relic golem LV170, so it's the same as that golem battle, a scripted loss. So that's the game's ending, lose, and the choice is forcibly set to accompany. He bent down to taunt, is that it? I'm still as strong as an ox. Suddenly a goblin leaped out nearby. Cholsu shouted to stop it. Hey, wait, don't kill it, me and it are just acting out a fight. But it was too late, the goblin used its rock-throwing skill. He went berserk and yelled, I told you not to kill it, you son of a. But it did no good, the blow was too painful. Oh god, are you okay? He looked back to find a clean hole in his body. NPC God LV70, Jesus fucking Christ. He panted and conceded, you're really strong, one hit outstanding. His body was wrapped in blue light, indicating he was about to be teleported out. It's over. He muttered in despair, now how do I get the next quest? Once outside, Cholsu frantically commanded, Goblin, use everything you've got, attack at full force. Suddenly, a flash of golden light blinked, and monsters appeared en masse near the desert by the relic electro-scorpions. A mage with a blinding blonde head warned, this spot's mine. His face was stubborn, damn trash mobs fiercely competing, I haven't even killed one yet. Cholsu began to get annoyed with these people. Give way, hell no, it's a dungeon area but outdoors, there's no one spot here. All the electro-scorpions around had been wiped out and he sank into despair. The quest was ruined and a bug fix patch was about to be released. He knew that time was coming. The period to enjoy goblin power was almost over. The HKT leader was pointing his staff at the monsters. Lightning. He had just finished the incantation when something streaked overhead. Bolt. A single max damage strike made the scorpion explode. He stamped his foot angrily, ready to settle it. Who the hell dares? He shouted again, this is my spot. Only Cholsu with a devilish face wouldn't yield. He activated PK mode. What I mean is, I got here first. After a while, Kim Cholsu's goblin summoner LV41 jumped to LV44. Damn. He stared at the number on the screen, grinding this area for days and still couldn't earn even 1,000,000 won. Despair after despair drained his will to live. Damn, this money is nothing. Killing random mobs only yields pocket change. He needed a jackpot of billions like when he killed Jiger. Countless questions rose in his head. That's why he risked the high-tier dungeon. With a goblin in hand, my life should have been turned around, so why am I still like this? The publisher's stern words and tone echoed, even to progress to stronger dungeons, everything must follow order. But even owning a summon that can one-shot everything, I'm still stuck in this trash mob area wasting time. Until one fine day, there was an announcement detecting a critical bug in the summoner's summon. Just when things were good, they patched it, and before I could do anything, I lost it all. That's clearly unfair, like the whole world conspired to drown me. Cholsu raked his hair and groaned, someone must have prayed for my ruin, damn, how could I be this unlucky, fucking hell, damn it. Suddenly the system displayed a notice. PK mode, PK, what the hell is this? Right after, someone slammed hard into the back of his neck. A while later, Cholsu snapped out of his daze. He let out a loud shout but was immediately cut off by old man Seung Ryul. What are you doing? I'm not your babysitter. Hearing the familiar voice, Cholsu turned in surprise and asked, Huh, it's you again. Seung Ryul scolded, Hey, I went through trouble and saved your life, and you dare be cold now? You should be grateful I happened to be nearby, but why did you pass out in a place like that? Were you fighting someone? His reminder made Cholsu start to recall a bit. Did I get killed? Thinking back, he remembered someone had actually PK'd him then. At the thought, Cholsu went furious. God damn it, that bastard attacked me. How dare he do that to me? Let's go, Goblin, I will settle this debt. He said it with a face full of bitterness. However, immediately after, Seung Ryul's words were like a bucket of cold water poured on him. How do you plan to find them? You don't even know who attacked you. Have you made enemies? Otherwise, why would someone attack you for no reason? This game doesn't let you steal money or items from others. What would they gain from attacking you unless they hold a deep grudge against you? Hearing that, Cholsu stroked his chin and thought for a moment. A grudge? Could it be Han Gimun? No sooner had he spoken than Seung Ryul immediately retorted. Nonsense. Someone of his status wouldn't bother attacking you for fun. I'm certain it's not CEO Han Gimun. If you can't come up with anyone, drop this revenge idea. Sometimes you get bumped on the shoulder, sometimes a bird craps on your head. That's life. His words did not calm Cholsu, they only made him angrier. God damn it, why is everyone out to get me? The old man stood up and slowly reminded him, think about what you need to do. Don't you still have tasks to complete? The update deadline isn't far off. Hearing that, the protagonist broke out in a cold sweat. Update day, right. Goblin won't exist for much longer. I don't care who hates that, I'll deal with that debt later. Right now I need money and I have to do quests to earn it. He seemed to remember something and turned to Seung Ryul awkwardly. I already dealt with that bastard Shin. Seung Ryul replied calmly, don't worry. If you permanently kill an NPC, you'll be stuck there while he will simply respawn back where he was. Cholsu widened his eyes and yelled like a mad dog, you bastard. Why are you telling me this now? Seung Ryul shrugged and answered, we just met. Putting that aside, the protagonist suddenly softened his tone. Hey, you cunning old man, I need $2 million. Do you think I can earn that by doing quests before the update? To that question, Seung Ryul said straight, your subordinate is truly powerful. It's 100% the strongest creature in the game. But there are dungeon elements that can't be solved by strength alone. I can clear the dungeon in a day. You can enter with that goal, but it will take several days, maybe even a week to finish. Honestly, I can't predict how long it'll take you to reach the high-level dungeon, the one you want to farm. Cholsu understood what he meant, so he could only grit his teeth and say helplessly, so that's it? I had this chance, but it's slipping away for no reason. God damn it, I knew it. When update notices come out, you can tell I'm doomed. If it's a game bug, I just need to run to the high-level dungeon and farm before it's fixed. I had a bugged monster. I thought I'd exploit it before the patch. But I only got this far. I'm still far from the high-level dungeons. I'm nothing without Goblin. It's really over. As he spoke, tears and snot streamed down his face. But before he could cry another sound, old man Seung Ryul enabled PK mode and slapped him across the face, stopping the young man from sobbing. Are you insane? What are you doing? Do you want to die? Seung Ryul shouted straight into his face. Calm down. If you give up like this, what will happen to the Everton Guild? Even now, only Everton is doing their best not to lose. To prove that victory in the Ngu Yu Letter 1 EA9 end dungeon doesn't require you, that they can do it without depending on you. They've been gritting their teeth to win. You're someone everyone pays attention to because everyone wants to surpass you. That's what people call a rival. It's not the Goblin, it's you. You're the rival of the Everton Guild. After everything, you still say you'll be useless without Goblin. Saying that, the old man gave the protagonist another slap to even things out. This action began to make Cholsu furious. Stop hitting me, you bastard. Your body flies back toward the wall. Cholsu said, hey, Seung Ryul. Seung Ryul replied, not Seung Ryul, but then suddenly he realized something. Wait a moment, did you just call me Seung Ryul? The protagonist mumbled with an embarrassed face, thanks. Seeing Cholsu able to say that, Seung Ryul was at first surprised. But then he broke into a faint smile. He reached out and pulled him up. Don't regret saying that. Shut up, Cholsu shouted, mortified. In another scene, the view shifted to Catherine's location. She was cheerfully live streaming to everyone. Hello everyone, it's Catherine. Today we're doing a don't get hit by monsters challenge in Heaven Door. How do you avoid getting hit as a pro mage, not like those damned assassins? Her unusual attitude and words immediately drew viewers' attention. Huh, did she just swear? That's my reward for reading it like I always do. Catherine instantly reverted to her princess persona. Oh, what are you talking about? Catherine never curses. But anyway, we'll try the not get hit challenge against that famous speedster. We have 10,000 donate points for this, I must succeed. She then angled the camera forward toward nothing but desert where not even a hair of a monster was visible. Wow, not a single monster. How peaceful is this world? My 10,000 donate points. She said this while gripping the screen in her hands. At the same time, a voice rang out beside her. If you want to hunt monsters, you're in the wrong place. This is a dead zone, so there are no monsters and no players either. This used to be a peaceful hunting ground frequented by many players. People would share and cooperate in hunting together. Those were really fun times. But one day, that bastard appeared. He came from somewhere and wiped out all the monsters here. Of course, the monsters will respawn after a while. No sooner had he finished speaking than the huge silhouette of a giant scorpion appeared in the sky, making Catherine turn pale. But then, suddenly a rock flew from nowhere and pierced through the giant scorpion's body, cutting it in two. The scene shocked the white-haired girl. However, the blonde guy didn't look very surprised. See, any monster that respawns here immediately becomes his prey. If there's a problem, go talk to him. He won't hide or run. As he spoke, he pointed in a direction. Catherine immediately looked in that direction. From the distance, two figures gradually appeared, and Catherine immediately recognized who they were. Is that Kim Chulsu? From her view, old man Seung Ryul, who had been lying in wait on the ground, stood up and smashed the brick in his hand into the back of the protagonist's neck, making him only manage a miserable scream. This sight left Catherine quite confused. What's going on? Why did he attack Kim Chulsu from behind? As Seung Ryul slowly turned his face, Catherine also seemed to realize something. Wait's that man? I feel like I've met him before, somewhere. Bald old man. Her eyes widened as she finally remembered. I remember now, he's the one who sold information about the hidden dungeon to us. But why did he attack Kim Chulsu? Or rather, why are those two together? There was no time to question it further. When she saw Seung Ryul carry Chulsu and run off, she hurried after them. Kim Chulsu, no, they're getting away. At that moment, Butler No 7 contacted her with a panicked face. Miss, what's happening? The stream cut out. I'll contact the police and the task force immediately. Catherine hurriedly reassured him. Hey, don't panic, okay? While you're here, do me a favor. Find me a private detective. I don't care how much it costs. Find someone who can get the job done. Time passed quickly. Meanwhile, old man Seung Ryul began stroking his beard and lecturing Chulsu. Hurry up and make money. Hearing that, Chulsu screamed. Do you think I don't want to? What the hell am I supposed to do to come up with $2 million now? The game's updating in 3 days, damn it. At these words, Seung Ryul quietly raised his hand. However, seconds later, he was punched to the ground by Chulsu. Fuck, I'm so badass. Was that because I let you hit me earlier? Seung Ryul looked up and spoke resentfully. Let me finish a sentence first. Next time you raise your hand, don't slap me first, okay? Chulsu retorted, and Seung Ryul had no comeback. So he focused on the main point. You can't possibly earn $2 million in that short time. At best, you'll get maybe 2,000. At that remark, Chulsu began shouting again. Are you kidding me? What can I do with 2,000? I'd rather use that money to cook a stew and feel better. Seung Ryul, of course, knew this, so he offered a suggestion. That small sum is just to get you started. To win the lottery, you have to buy a ticket, right? You're short on time and money, so isn't this the moment to bet on luck? He said with a sly smile. Time passed quickly, cut to a street in the city center crowded with people. At that moment, Chulsu held up a sign reading, Save time, dungeon clear services, 1,000 gold, speedrun players ready. Seeing his foolish posture, a few people began to take notice. Who is that? He even says speedrun players are available. Which player is that hairy kid? Let me see him. A purple-haired guy spoke. Chulsu admitted, it's me. The purple-haired guy said incredulously, don't bullshit me. Chulsu wasn't angry, he even taunted back. What's wrong? Is your life all lies? If you don't believe me, run a dungeon with me once. If I don't clear it, I'll refund your money. His confident words made the purple-haired youth wear a mocking expression. Oh my god, so confident, huh? Then can you clear the Count's Grand Library dungeon? How could Chulsu refuse that challenge? The Count's what? I don't even know what that is, but I'll definitely win. Once again, his look of certainty left the group of three barely able to contain their laughter. Haha, you think you'll win? Haha, look at this guy, did you hear what he just said? Haha. Oh my god, do you even know what the Count's Grand Library is? A level 44 like you hasn't even set foot inside. By now, even a bodhisattva would be 3 parts angry, let alone the protagonist. He ground his teeth to stay calm. You trying to be funny, old man? Get lost. Use it then. Booty wiped his tears and gave Chulsu a chance. All right, I have a dungeon I want to run. I'll hire you to clear it, okay? If you can't clear it, you refund all the gold. Agreed. Chulsu gritted his teeth like he was still annoyed. Fine, fine, hurry up, I don't have time. And so the two of them made the deal. After finishing, Booty continued, this dungeon recommends level 46, ridiculously high, but since I want to level up fast. He thought to himself, thrilled, a level 44 soloing a level 46 dungeon will die for sure. Just sitting here watching him fight and steal XP will be fun. If he can't clear it, we'll demand the refund as agreed. That's how I get stronger without breaking a sweat. Just then Booty realized Chulsu had vanished. That bastard. Where'd he go? Booty said blankly. Elsewhere, Chulsu was holding bundles of cash, laughing like mad. Haha. These idiots actually give money to someone they've never met just because he offers dungeon clearing. Haha. Level 31 getting into a high-level dungeon. If he could do it, I'd have done it ages ago. Brain-dead fools. He silently admired Seung Ryul inwardly. I didn't expect that guy to come up with such a scam. Seung Ryul is cunning. I'm about to make $4,000 in 2 days. How is it not more than the $2,000, he said. What idiots. At the same time, a notification appeared before Cholsu. The Goblin Lord is very excited by your trickery. You have gained 1 goblin point. The notification surprised the protagonist a little. I forgot this existed. The Goblin Lord. Is this bastard kidding me? The goblin's about to be useless. What can I do with 1 point? Get lost, nobody needs it, he said as he brushed that window aside. Then he caught sight of the goblin's stupid face again. This made the protagonist a bit annoyed, so he kicked it to the side. Get lost. Time shifted to evening. In some corner of the city, a brown-haired guy stormed out of a house angrily. Damn it, today is so unlucky, he complained. At the same time, he collided with the protagonist. This made the already unlucky man instantly furious. Hey you, if you bump into someone, apologize properly. Cholsu said nothing. He whistled cheerfully and walked on. Now the brown-haired guy was puzzled. What's wrong with him? Is this guy insane? Is he like this because of gambling? Turning to Cholsu, he set the bags on the table and said to the person opposite, sell everything to me. Beniro, seeing the stranger's face, was a bit curious. I've never seen you before. Beniro, gacha, 100 gold per spin. Now let me show off today's stock. The grand prize is a legendary item that was once a dangerous foe in the Great War between humans and monsters. It is revered for its courage and extraordinary strength, almost like a real monster. Vega's weapon glove, the Lion King gauntlet. Second prize is the legendary shooting star boots. These let the wearer blink a short distance instantly. The name shooting star is apt. And third prize is the guardian ring of the divine guardian. Wear it and you're as tough as steel. Hearing him describe each item's function, the protagonist got so excited he kept slapping the table. Spin it already. I have plenty of money to spend. I'll blow all 34,000 gold, not leaving a single coin. At his words, the others in the shop took notice. What? How much? Hee, this'll be fun to watch. Are you really going to burn through your money right now? 34,000 gold. You're going all in, the big guy hurriedly asked. Cholsu turned to him and asked, why the 360-degree change in attitude? The big guy didn't explain and asked again, are you seriously playing? On the other side, Beniro, not giving Cholsu a chance to rethink, said, 1000 gold, fine then. Saying that, he produced a card from somewhere, and immediately placed it in front of the protagonist. The card instantly emitted a dazzling light, and Cholsu, buzzing with excitement, said, whoa, what's this? Before Cholsu were 10 cards, the 10-spin combo from Beniro. All the cards were face down for the protagonist to choose. Anxious and excited, Cholsu thought, I'm spinning now. Please heavens, let me pull something rare in these 10 cards. As he thought this, he reached out to pick a card. But before he could flip it, a hand stopped him. Wait. The other man shouted. Irritated, Cholsu turned back. What is it? Don't block me, it's my money. The big guy calmly explained, relax, look at the crowd staring at you. Don't flip it carelessly and spoil the mood, okay? Look at Beniro, that's his signature narcissistic pose. Another big guy cut in to explain. You're a noob, so you probably don't know. That pose is to hide his face. Watch, whichever card you touch he twitches along with it. He's already flipped them all before, so he knows the results and will definitely know what you pick. The rarer the item, the more that guy trembles. This is the second time I've seen Beniro shake like that. The card you're touching is hot, man. Everyone here could feel it. It's the ultimate tense moment. As the crowd's anticipation peaked, Cholsu flipped the card. However, the item it yielded was nothing more than a stick. Embarrassed, Cholsu turned to the big guy beside him and asked, hey, is this the twitching trick you were talking about? The big guy jumped and whistled. Fuck, beat him, I did that just for fun. Meanwhile, the extras, seeing Cholsu still had money, started taunting. Come on, this is just warm-up. You only spent 1,000 of 34,000 gold. Their taunts calmed Cholsu a bit. Yeah, they're right, I still have plenty of gold. Keep going. Spurred on by them, Cholsu continued flipping cards but only got trash, cursing loudly. Damn it, 10 more times, he said as he took out a bag of money. But this round's results were no better. And so 10 times, then another 10. Countless sets of 10 passed by. To the point he went insane and lunged to grab Beniro by the hair. Luckily, a group of people around stepped in to stop him. After a few seconds of breathing to calm down, he began reanalyzing the situation. Now I only have 10,000 gold left. Does this thing even let you win, or are those guys scamming? Just as Cholsu's thoughts wavered, the big guy's hand landed on his shoulder. Remember what I said earlier? Superstitions can be pitiful sometimes. If you're unlucky, let someone else pick for you, he said as he reached toward the cards. But Cholsu immediately brushed his hand away, though he felt a bit more confident. He's got a point. What if my hands are really cursed? Gotta break this shitty streak. Saying that, he summoned his goblin, causing the onlookers to chatter nonstop. What is that? That's gacha trash, right? No way, how can a goblin be a prize? Ignoring them, Cholsu brought the goblin up to the cards and asked, well, see anything you like you want to try picking? The goblin seemed not to understand its master's intent. It flailed its hands wildly, scattering the cards. Cholsu snapped, you idiot, crazy thing, if I'd known I'd never have called you up. At the same time, one card fell to the floor from the goblin's flail. The bald guy immediately realized something and shouted, wait, what's in that card that made Baniro make that face? Baniro's face was now dripping with sweat. The protagonist seemed to sense something. He turned to look at the card and murmured, could it be? Over here, the extras kept whispering excitedly, Baniro looks like he got electrocuted, and he pretends to be calm, even whistling. Seeing that, the big brown-haired guy chimed in, my god, looks like it's on your side. In my life, I've only seen Baniro make that face 3 times. Cholsu wasn't about to trust that remark. He immediately shouted, shut up, you idiot. Then he looked back at the card before him, constantly calculating in his head. Seung Ryul said, if I pull the Lion King gauntlet, I'll not only pay off my debt, but get filthy rich. All those second and third place prizes are worthless. What I want is the grand prize, the Lion King gauntlet. With that thought, he quickly raised the card overhead for everyone to see. Someone immediately shouted, hey, that's the Lion King gauntlet. Those words made Cholsu's expression change at once. He hurriedly looked again and blurted, damn it, what the hell is Lion King? The extras crowded around, murmuring, didn't expect this fake item to drop. It might even be rarer than the grand prize, right? I've lived my whole life and this is the first time I've seen one. Unlike the curious crowd, Cholsu was furious. Damn it, why are you all whispering like you're bragging? Are you kidding me? This is just a useless decorative item. Contrary to his belief, the bald guy explained, you think a decorative item is useless, that's just ignorant. There are games where a tiny bag with no stats or bonuses can sell for billions of won, you know? Simply because it's cute. This information dropped Cholsu's jaw in shock. A billion won, it has no effects, no buffs, what kind of idiot would buy that? The bald guy chuckled and said, people spend huge sums just to look good. Cosmetic surgery is insanely expensive, but it's become commonplace now. Adding to yourself is human nature. For the sake of looking cool, people are willing to burn billions in an instant. On this side, Cholsu seemed to believe the words. He hurriedly inspected the card in his hand. Wait, so this is the jackpot, right? You mean this decoration is worth a ton of money? Say something, Baniro scratched his head awkwardly. I didn't mention it beforehand. I didn't think you'd pull a special item with the same drop rate as the grand prize. Cholsu, sweating, asked again, so this really is. Before he could finish, Baniro poured cold water on him. That's a non-tradable item. It's an ultra-rare item. Even with heaps of money, you can't buy it. Some people burn hundreds of thousands of gold and still can't get it. It's reasonable for you to be proud. The more he heard, the more Cholsu's face twisted with anger. Finally, he couldn't hold back and screamed like a madman. Damn that bastard! I'll blow the remaining 9,000 gold and choke you with it. And so, with an endless all-in, Cholsu now sat holding his head in despair. This is insane, no way, how is my luck this rotten? Can't hit a single win, at least get third place, damn it. So wasteful, 4 million won could buy how much fried chicken? I'm crazy, I was stingy over a few thousand for boneless chicken and now what the hell am I doing? No way, the 34,000 gold was for a ritual. Think logically. I've spun 340 times with nothing, so now it has to come. Just 1,000 gold, one more 1,000 and it'll drop. Thinking that, he trembled and reached toward the armor inside his inventory. A few people nearby, realizing what he intended, hurriedly said, Hey, you already pulled the special prize, no need to bankrupt yourself. Unfortunately for them, that plea couldn't calm a madman like Cholsu. The protagonist immediately sold the armor, selling rare armor, everblue steel plate, urgent sale. People turned to each other and said, huh, that's a rare item. Interesting, I wonder how much. If it's an urgent sale, it should be cheap. Ask him. Hearing that, the black-haired guy asked right away, looks nice. Why is he selling it in a rush? Hey, how much for that? Cholsu crazily shouted a price himself. Go, his rude attitude made people uncomfortable. He wants others to name a price for his item. At that moment, a voice from behind everyone called out, 1 million gold. People hurriedly looked to the bidder. 1 million, who is that? Not to mention them, even Cholsu was shocked by the number. 1 million gold. This armor is worth that much. You already forced the price and it's still a million, so it must be even pricier, right? Kim Joo-ho calmly approached the protagonist. Why so tense? 1 million gold deal. Actually, it's not even a million. Just sell, you're selling fast and I want to buy fast, that's why I offered high. Hearing that, Cholsu was a bit confused but nodded. Okay, I'll sell. And so the two proceeded with the transaction. However, when the trade window appeared, the guy named Joo-ho tossed another item in, causing Cholsu to exclaim, hey, that's not money, are you trying to cheat me? I'm busy. Joo-ho looked at Cholsu disdainfully and said, you're blind to rare items. This is a rare material, the beating dragon heart, my friend. When that name was mentioned, the extras erupted into chatter. What's a beating dragon heart? Is that a rare material dropped by the vermilion dragon? but how did that guy get such a treasure? All eyes turned to Cholsu, making his reactions seem slower. He thought to himself, a vermilion dragon rare material, judging by their reactions, it must really be compensation. On the other side, Juho pressed, honestly, trading this for the armor is a loss for me too, but my time is worth gold. Consider it selling for gold to avoid the hassle of converting. Provoked, the protagonist got heated and accepted. Fine then, make the trade, click accept. Suddenly a notification popped up, trade cancelled. Cholsu looked at him in confusion. Juho smiled and explained, sorry I misclicked, let's do it again. And so the trade window appeared once more. Cholsu kept urging inwardly, hurry up, sell that thing for 1 million gold and start over. Without hesitation, he quickly pressed finalize on the trade. Haha, thanks for the trade, Mr. Tai. Juho shouted as he teleported away, adding, who's thanking who? I'm the one who should be grateful. His behavior struck the protagonist as odd. How busy do you have to be to log out immediately? Whatever, focus on yourself. Why care about others? He then looked down at the item in his hand. At that moment, the protagonist's face fell like a pot of burnt stew. Wait, what the hell is this? It's a strawberry. The crowd mocked him, got scammed. Haha, losing money and acting dumb is common here. No wonder scammers treat this place like a gold mine. You have to check trades carefully before clicking. That armor was never worth 1 million gold. A crazy price like that was suspicious from the start. Tusk tusk. At the same time, the bald guy stepped up beside the protagonist, patted his shoulder and offered some blunt words, including me. How many people in that whole bunch actually win when they egg you on? No one wins for real. They just join in to shake you up so you lose everything like I did. They're all stuck here and shout to vent. Earlier it looked like you were about to get lucky. They were all thinking the same thing, please be junk. Only when they found out it was non-tradable did they breathe easy. Predictable. No one wanted to congratulate you from the start. Look around, anyone sticking around, consider this a tuition fee. From now on, stay away from this place. After saying that, he left as well, leaving Cholsu alone in the room. The goblin, oblivious to the mood, padded up and clung to its master's leg. Cholsu's face contorted with rage. He screamed, let go, damn it. Scene cuts to his room. No sooner had he taken off the VR headset than Cholsu couldn't help swearing, those bastards, I'll kill them all right now. A taunting voice immediately rang out, oh how dramatic, hey, killing people gets you jailed. If you're in prison, how will you pay your debts? The voice belonged to a blonde guy who looked like a thug. Seeing the two of them, Cholsu started sweating profusely. Wait a minute, no, I already replied. The blonde guy grabbed him by the hair and pulled him off the bed. What the hell, you dog? 2 billion times over and you still haven't paid the rest. Do you want to ruin your life? Cholsu kept pleading, no, I'll pay, I really will pay. Can we go outside and talk about this? So the two of them dragged each other into a quiet alley. While the burly black-haired guy stood guard, the blonde started teaching Cholsu how to box. You trying to ruin your life or what? Cholsu raised his hands to placate them. Wait, don't hit me, I'll pay, I promise I'll pay. His promise almost made the blonde burst out laughing. Ha, this kid is ridiculous. Of course you're tired of debt. If you say that I'll just call, why come all the way here? As he spoke, he threw a punch straight into Cholsu's stomach, making him cough up blood. His body curled like a shrimp. The thug continued, you get to be punched because you didn't pay up enough. Got it. Don't hit like that, huh? Move again and I'll break your bones right now. As he said this, he lifted his leg. Cholsu could only clutch his head and endure the blows. Suddenly a familiar voice rang out. Oh my god, you're dead. Cholsu looked up and saw a familiar figure block that kick for him. The blonde was a bit surprised. What the didn't you see clearly or what, old man? The black-haired youth behind was also surprised. That old guy actually interferes. The blonde on the bench shouted, can't read the situation, you idiot. Turning to Seung Ryle, he somehow produced a brick in his hand and said coldly, all right, then whoever tormented my friend has to pay a little, right? But before the old man's cool moment lasted a few seconds, the blonde youth drew his leg and kicked straight into his stomach, sending him flying backward as he yelled, what payback, you old man. Nearby seeing this, Cholsu hurriedly shouted, Seung Ryle, are you okay? Ignoring them, the youth kept jabbering, this old man likes sticking his nose in, huh? How dare he press a brick against someone? He reached to pick up the so-called brick. But unexpectedly it was a bundle of cash. What? This is money? Oh, so you're here to pay the debt, he said, dumbfounded. Old Seung Ryle scolded a bit. At least let people finish speaking. Oh my back. Turning to Cholsu, who didn't understand why Seung Ryle had paid his debt. What are you doing? Why are you suddenly paying my debt for me? He asked. Seung Ryle didn't answer. He only looked at the debt collectors and explained, each installment was 1,000, a full 1,000,001 in total. You're not here to collect the principal today, right? If you're only here for the interest, take this money and go. Hearing that, the blonde wasn't foolish enough to accept at once. He handed the money back to his crew and ordered, count it. Then he turned back to Seung Ryle and asked, who are you, old man? Is he your friend? We don't just know each other. I've already figured you don't have any friends. Old Seung Ryle brushed dust from his pants and urged them on. But the money's settled, right? I don't think I owe you an explanation about my relationship with Mr. Kim. To this, the blonde shrugged and admitted, right, we only want the money. Whether he's a close friend or his lover, we don't care. In the back, the black-haired guy mumbled for a moment then nodded. 100, a full 100 bills. Hearing that, the blonde practically spat blood and shouted, 101,000 bills is short, you idiot. That's only 100,001. Collecting debt and you can't even count right. The burly black-haired guy forced a smile and quickly recounted. Oh right, that's correct. The blonde, unwilling to waste more time, cut him off. You planning to count until the end of the day, dumbass? Let's go. Then he turned to the protagonist with a mocking reminder. Hey Kim Cholsu, know how to treat your friend right, got it. Time passed quickly. Scene shifts to a tea house. Old Seung Ryul asked Cholsu about the debt. That money, 100 million you borrowed 10 years ago, has now become 2.3 billion won. Compound interest at 33%. That's insane. But if that's true, what's this thing you said about the debt being left by your parents? At this point, the protagonist couldn't hide it anymore. Covering his face, he admitted, how did you know that? Did I ever tell you? Actually, what I told you was a lie. If I said the truth, that it's a loan from loan sharks, everyone would look down on me. The old man asked again, so have you asked your parents for help? At the word parents, Cholsu immediately snapped and slammed his hand down on the table. What parents? I'm an orphan. Do you know how badly I'm bullied because I have no parents? They literally left me a debt that can't be erased. Seung Ryul seemed to sense Cholsu's despair. He gently comforted him. I understand your situation, but that borrowed sum is huge. If it was just to get by, what did you spend 100 million on that required that amount? Did you gamble? To that question, Cholsu fell silent. After a few seconds he said, the only thing I can put up as collateral is probably my own life. After hearing this, Seung Ryul closed his eyes as if he'd understood everything. Let's see. Now I understand why you risked your life in those high-level dungeons. The goblin's power can vanish at any time, so you got even crazier. So what are you going to do now? You still have to repay the money. Cholsu replied helplessly, what else can I do? I'll have to take manual labor at construction sites. I live day to day. I'll never escape those low-level dungeons. Goblin summoner, it sounds like a joke because that goblin is literally me. After saying that, he picked up a can of beer and drank continuously, as if trying to ease his frustration. Seung Ryul tried to encourage him. It's still too early to give up. You've become much stronger. Cholsu put the can down and looked at him with gratitude. Thank you. Without you, I'd have been beaten to pieces. I'll pay you back no matter the cost. Seung Ryul immediately cautioned him. Don't say no matter the cost. That sounds scary. Now drink up, my friend. He said this as he pushed a beer can forward. Cholsu clinked cans with him. I'm finished. Buy another one. Time passed quickly and update day arrived. Now Cholsu was about to log into the game. He thought to himself, Seung Ryul was right. I'm already level 44. I'm nothing like when I was just mining. If I give up because the goblin lost power, it's too soon. I'm strong enough now. As soon as he logged in, he was met by the goblin's stupid face. It still looks the same. What's so funny? Now you're only as strong as a level 1 monster and you still laugh. Around him, the group began to burst into laughter. Look at that guy, haha, I can't stop laughing. What's wrong with him? He's probably insane. In front of them stood Cholsu wearing only his shorts. He'd lost all his equipment in that gacha. Cholsu of course understood. He thought to himself, they have every right to laugh. Damn it. Not long after, Cholsu re-equipped his starter gear. Good thing I didn't sell this set or I'd be done for. From now on I can't leech off the goblin anymore. This is my fight. I have to show them all the power I've got. To do that, first open the stat sheet and allocate points here. Before, the goblin did the fighting for me, so I didn't need to spend points on anything. Now I have to calculate my outgoing and incoming damage myself. Only 2 points in stamina, seriously? Now I see that all my overconfidence was entirely thanks to the goblin. A level 44 character and still like this. Fine, increase stamina first, then add strength for melee. Just like that, Cholsu quickly finished allocating all his points and balanced them out. This looks pretty decent, feels like a mobile assassin build. Agility is high too. Now I just need to buy a weapon that fits these stats. At that moment, Cholsu noticed his balance, only 20 gold left. Cold sweat broke out on his face again. Oh right, I burned all my money on that gacha. Crazy, I can't even afford a shabby stick. Then suddenly he seemed to remember something. Wait, gacha. A while later, scene shifts to the Adventurers Guild. Boisterous laughter rang out. Haha, we've been playing Heaven Door for ages and this is the first time we've seen something like this. It's an honor to be invited to team up with someone famous like Revenant. The mage Roy smiled and said, you're exactly as rumored, so silent. A man who hit level 47 just by normal fighting. Today's hunt will be intense. We accepted a commission from someone today and need one more player. At that moment, Cholsu's voice sounded behind them. Are you two looking for teammates? Maybe I can help. I'm the owner of the Lion King gloves, you know. Roy, seeming to know the item's value, asked, the Lion King of Vega. Cholsu flashed the glove in front of him and boasted. Oh, you know what, haha, I'm not trying to brag. Seeing Cholsu had such nice gear, Roy naturally declined to refuse. Then I'll save myself the trouble of finding another teammate. Rare to see Vega gear in the wild. Come with us. Cholsu cracked his knuckles contemptuously. Revenant. What are you staring at, you cheap NPC? As soon as he said that, Roy hurriedly explained, this is our captain, Revenant. Cholsu quickly switched tone. Hello. A while later, scene shifts to the Red Gorge. The 3 main characters were now present. Revenant the mage saw Cholsu's tension and laughed. No need to be on such high alert. this area is quite outleveled for us. If we don't attack first, they won't rush us. As he said, the area was filled with level 33 lizard men. Hearing that, Cholsu relaxed his posture, but inside he was still tense. Do I look reassuring? This glove is useless. It's just decoration with no stats. I only pretended to boast to get invited to the party. It's my first dungeon without the goblin. My armor is only level 3, so being extra cautious is justified, he thought. Meanwhile, Roy tried to make conversation. By the way, I noticed you still haven't changed class, Cholsu. Cholsu pointed to his head curiously. How am I not promoted? Can't you see the text above my head? Roy replied, no, yours only shows the level. This explanation made Cholsu realize something. Oh, so my class appears unpromoted to others. Literally hidden, huh? But he said you also haven't promoted, Cholsu. What? Could Revenant be the same? Thinking that, the protagonist scratched his head and explained, actually it's not that I haven't promoted. At that moment, something whooshed past Cholsu. Then an arrow embedded itself right in front of him, making the golden-haired god look back. What the hell? He said the monsters wouldn't attack first, didn't he? Then right before Cholsu's eyes, his goblin had taken the initiative and attacked first. This made the protagonist furious as he shouted, what the hell are you doing again, you idiot? The system displayed an explanatory message. Summoned pets will attack detected monsters unless given a stop command. Seeing that, Cholsu hurriedly recalled his goblin and scolded it. Good grief. You started trouble after only a glance. Now you're weak after the patch, so stop acting reckless. Roy stepped forward curiously. That goblin is, Cholsu didn't hide it and explained, oh that one, I meant to say earlier but forgot. This is my summoned pet. This explanation made the mage even more curious. You happen to switch to a hidden class, but you can only summon a single goblin. Cholsu replied, its absurd power is actually its advantage, but it's probably a bug. No wonder this goblin was ridiculously strong. But there was apparently an update today, right? I heard they fixed issues on summoners. The golden days are over, huh? The mage frowned and thought, I see. Sorry, but where did you hear about that patch? The protagonist answered, I heard it from a reliable friend. But why do you ask? Roy took the chance to explain. Then your friend probably misunderstood. There's nothing related to summoners in today's patch notes. To prove Roy right, after taking countless hits from the lizard men, the damage the goblin received remained 0. As for Cholsu himself, although an arrow struck his forehead, he seemed not to feel it. He only cursed inwardly, speechless. At that moment, Seung Ryul hurriedly said, sorry, I really was wrong. Kim Cholsu waved his hand awkwardly and said, hey, you don't have to apologize that much. Your rope was hanging upside down over the cliff just now, he continued. You were about to die anyway. Seung Ryul shouted in panic, I was wrong. Looking at the terrified scene below, I must have misread the planned patch notes, so the goblin is fine, right? Please spare me. Kim Cholsu looked down at Seung Ryul with disdain. Look at this shameless guy. Did you think I'd let you die so easily? What do I get out of that? He added, considering how much time I lost fixing your mistake, even tossing you off 100 times wouldn't ease my anger. Immediately after, a strong force pulled him abruptly back up. Once seated back on the cliff edge, Seung Ryul rubbed his back. Oh my god, my back. Then he panicked and stared forward, sweating bullets. A friendly hand suddenly reached out towards Seung Ryul. The boy bowed slightly and said, you probably didn't mean any harm, right? Kim Cholsu smiled and added, since my friend apologized, I have to accept it. What can you do? We're alive. Hearing that, Seung Ryul looked up blankly, still not understanding. Then he fell silent, bowed his head to think, and gave a small, wry smile. Seung Ryul, amused, said, who said I'm your friend? We're just players who happen to game together. Then he reached out and grabbed Cholsu's hand. People like you annoy me to death. Seeing that, Kim Cholsu said, Goblin, hang him up there. Seung Ryul hurriedly said, hey, I was only joking. A little later, he was tidy and took a sip of warm tea. Staring at the steaming cup, Seung Ryul said, Kim Cholsu. He looked through the window below and said, he's completely trusted me now, so let's start acting, shall we? At this time, Kim Cholsu was still walking slowly down the road. It was time to use the power of the goblin he owned, Heaven's Door. But then suddenly a car plowed straight into him walking below. Seung Ryul's expression changed instantly. His eyes widened in panic and his mouth fell open. After that, Kim Cholsu was taken to the nearest hospital. He anxiously asked the doctor, Doctor, how is he? Is he okay? The doctor replied, are you the patient's guardian? Seung Ryul answered solemnly, yes, I'm his guardian. The doctor then said he's lucky, despite being hit by a car, he only has minor scrapes. There was head impact, but the tests show nothing serious. At this time, Kim Cholsu was sleeping soundly in bed with his head bandaged. Once he wakes up, he can be discharged. After the doctor left, Seung Ryul sat on the bed feeling relieved. Seung Ryul exhaled, thinking it was his own carelessness, strong in the game, but in real life just an ordinary person. Then Kim Cholsu's arm twitched and he made a small sound. His eyes opened and he looked around in a daze. Here. Seeing that, Seung Ryul worriedly exclaimed, oh my god, you're awake. Kim Cholsu still stared blankly ahead, his lips moving as he murmured something. He softly asked someone. Upon hearing that, Seung Ryul's expression immediately changed. After a moment of explanation, sunlight streamed down from the sky eye into his eyes. Kim Chulsu smiled warmly and said, "So you mean we have a very close relationship, right?" He looked bewildered as he hugged the goblin and said, "And this cute monster is my summoned pet. Sorry, I don't remember anything." Kim Chulsu acted innocently. "Anyway, thank you so much for helping me." Seung Ryul whispered to himself, "This is troublesome. Amnesia, great, I'm helpless but there's nothing I can do." He looked at the boy playing with the creature, surprised that his personality had completely changed. Kim Chulsu gently held the pet and said, "It's nice here, isn't it, little one?" At that moment the goblin seemed to see something terrible and let out a pitiful wail, its reaction full of loathing. Seung Ryul squinted and sized him up for a while. Not only had his personality changed, but Kim Chulsu now. He kept watching as the goblin hopped off in a certain direction. By accident Kim Chulsu bumped into a burly man. "Aw damn, where are your eyes?" He looked up with an innocent smile. "I'm really sorry, are you hurt?" Seeing it was Kim Chulsu, the man said, "Ah, it's fine, be careful next time." At that moment Chulsu had completely become a good person. Then they started hunting monsters. Seung Ryul said, "Order the goblin to attack that monster." Hearing that, Kim Chulsu looked worried. "What? It has to face such a big monster." He patted Kim Chulsu's shoulder reassuringly. "Don't worry, you just don't remember. The pet has slain so many like that before." Chulsu looked stunned, "Really?" So Kim Chulsu panicked, "Goblin, attack it." The goblin immediately moved forward. Then it struck one of the monster's legs with a very weak hit. Seeing this, Seung Ryul couldn't hide his disappointment, stunned to the ground. He stared at the scene in bewilderment. Once the most powerful, perfect summon, Kim Chulsu. At this moment, the goblin seemed to offer no resistance to the monster about to strike. It would become the savior to help us fulfill Iscariot's greatest dream. The monster's huge claw came crashing down at once. Suddenly Kim Chulsu appeared, shielding the tiny goblin before him. The goblin stared up in surprise. He softly asked, "Are you okay?" Kim Chulsu smiled warmly and said, "My friend." At the sight of this, the goblin immediately retched up a foul heap of blue-green bile. He still worried, "So you were hurt too, sorry for forcing you to fight." Seung Ryul, having no other choice, grabbed his weapon and activated his warrior skill. He quickly launched a powerful counterattack at the monster. The monster immediately collapsed to the ground. He was astonished, took down that giant with a single blow. Seung Ryul cautioned, "No need to panic." Then he added, "Lightning-type enemies have high power and speed but extremely weak defense. So they become prime targets for experienced players. This place is famous as an ideal leveling spot for that reason. So many people come that battles crowd into every small square." He continued, holding the goblin in his arms, bewildered. "So many battles indeed. It would be great to hunt together." Right then, a cold snort sounded. "Didn't expect you to say that one day." Another man appeared and laughed. "So it's you, the one who used to monopolize all the monsters in this area." Kim Chulsu looked back dumbfounded. "You dare look me in the face and say that exactly?" He looked harmlessly at the newcomer and asked, "And who are you?" "He's the ultimate mage at level 41, Kim Chulsu said. "I feel like I've met him somewhere before, somewhere." He immediately panicked and clutched his head. "Somewhere? I've seen you somewhere." A figure sprang to mind, the resurrected ultimate dwarf, exactly. The man grew angry. "Who are you, huh? Don't you see my title says Ultimate Mage?" Seung Ryul pondered. "Wait, if it's the ultimate dwarf, then he must have been one of those idiots back then." He calculated silently, though somewhat confused. Chulsu still remembered. Perhaps he'll recall his memories more easily if. Meanwhile, Kim Chulsu kept pointing at the other and saying, "Yes, the ultimate mage, no, I clearly remember it that way." Seung Ryul thought to himself, recreating the scene when Kim Chulsu was thrown into the hidden dungeon and nearly died. He smiled slightly. Whether he wants to remember or not, he must not forget. "Don't blame me, I did it all for you." Seung Ryul cleared his throat to stop them. Ahem. He called back from behind, "I have some urgent business, see you at the village tonight." Hearing that, Chulsu asked, "Urgent business, ultimate? No, do you mean you have urgent business?" Seung Ryul didn't answer and turned to leave. "See you later." He walked forward slowly when a voice rang out, "Come with me." Kim Chulsu grabbed his hand and said, "Take me with you." Seung Ryul turned back to remind him, "What are you saying? I told you I have urgent business and it doesn't involve you." Kim Chulsu smiled affectionately, "Not unrelated, but your expression didn't look good. Something troublesome is going on, right?" He held his hand tightly and continued, "You saved my life, so this time it's my turn to help you." He couldn't help stammering out something else. Seung Ryul immediately shouted, "Don't joke around. What the hell are you doing? Don't you know what I'm planning?" Then he kept wriggling. Let go, why is that guy clinging to me?" Kim Chulsu smiled and replied, "I absolutely won't let go. I'm sure I did this before I lost my memory. I did the same back then." Seung Ryul kept wanting to kick Kim Chulsu off. "Let go, you idiot." Chulsu insisted, "No way, I won't let go. Don't leave me like this, take me with you." The ultimate mage over there looked baffled and said, "Hey." He ground his teeth and thought to himself, "Damn, I still have to contact Iscariot to get information on the hidden dungeon." Looking at this guy irritated Seung Ryul. This had to be done to restore his memories before it was too late. this bloodsucker doesn't understand anything. The mage over there said dumbfounded, hey, this person is, then someone else cut in, all right. Then a voice called out Seung Ryul. He startled and turned around at the sound, this voice. Who arrived was Yoon Hyuk, the Dark Knight Assassin level 56. He said, hey you, why didn't you pick up my call, want to die? Seung Ryul quickly pushed Kim Chulsu away and said, Yoon Hyuk the Dark, you came yourself, that's unusual. He came over and continued asking, what have you been doing to level up so much? Was it so bad you couldn't report or contact anyone? Seung Ryul replied, you forgot, I use my brain more than my brawn. Seung Ryul added, Night Hunter already completed the second job change. The dungeon experience back then must have been brutal. Yoon Hyuk looked annoyed, don't poke at other people's wounds. Unfortunately, I don't have time to reminisce with you now. Yoon Hyuk's face grew fierce. Patton the Destroyer and the life of Jihyun the Deathbringer are under threat. Hearing this seemed to trigger something in him. Patton the Destroyer and Jai Hyun of Nudjian Chilgi. Then Kim Chulsu looked toward Yoon Hyuk. Those names sound familiar. The other guy looks really strong. Probably not a match for me, huh? I wonder if he's noticed me until now. Seung Ryul's expression turned grave. Aren't they some of the strongest in his team? If they hadn't risked the hidden dungeon, their lives would have been less threatened. He continued, I don't know the details. They only relayed 3 things and then cut communication. Yoon Hyuk began to recount. 1. Quickly gather the entire Everton team, including the guild masters. Well, maybe not the guild masters, but the other guild members can be included. 2. There are level 100 monsters, so be careful when entering. Hearing that he panicked, level 100, seriously. His hand clenched, those idiots. Why did they set foot in such an unreasonable place? Seung Ryul's voice dropped, and the last thing, what is it? Could it be their will? He pointed toward Kim Chulsu lying on the ground. Take that idiot with you. If possible, prioritize him above everything else. That was Jai Hyun's message. Yoon Hyuk sneered, what use is that, weakling? Seung Ryul whispered to himself, no, she made the right call. Jai Hyun saw firsthand what kind of power he has. He calculated inwardly, though Yoon Hyuk spoke like that, there must still be expectations for Kim Chulsu. The reason they came all the way here is none other than him, but Kim Chulsu right now. Chulsu dazedly raised his head and asked me. At this point, he was completely useless. Footsteps drew ever closer. Patton and Jihyun hid behind a wall, not daring to breathe heavily. The living armor cust trudged on ironclad feet through the mist. As its footsteps receded, Jihyun let out a quiet sigh of relief and murmured, it's past. Patton gripped his sword tightly on edge. He was sick of this situation. Hearing her, he lost faith and retorted, we've been trapped here for 2 days. Do you really think we can survive? Look at those corpses and you still have hope. Indeed, bodies littered the area around them like salt sold to the wind. Saying that, Patton complained again, we shouldn't have reported it on your say-so. You rushed saying there were level 100 monsters, so nobody came to rescue us. Jihyun disagreed with his tone and argued, what if we hadn't said anything? If they arrived without a plan, they'd all die anyway. You know Yoon Hyuk isn't that kind of person. Patton lost patience and couldn't be reasoned with. He shouted, no, that's not it. Jihyun, afraid his shout would attract the living armor cust, signaled quietly, shut up or we'll be discovered. Patton, realizing his blunder, clutched his head to steady himself, his face pale and desperate. This time it's different. I've never felt my life so threatened. Even Yoon Hyuk couldn't save us. Though trembling all over with fear, he stubbornly declared, I'd rather charge once than sit and wait to die. Let's fight it, maybe one of us can escape. Hearing that, Jihyun fell silent, then said with feeling, but one of us will surely die. I won't accept one of us having to be sacrificed. She stubbornly reassured them as if comforting herself and Patton, it's not time to give up. Wait, we'll definitely get him here. Once he arrives, everything will be resolved. Meanwhile, elsewhere, Kim Chulsu lay on the scorching desert sand, looked up at the person before him, and asked in bewilderment, me. Yoon Hyuk didn't answer the point. Instead, he focused on something else and suspiciously asked back, that guy used honorifics. Seung Ryul beside him understood the doubt and swore under his breath, damn. He hurried over to Kim Chulsu, leaned in and whispered, you're his friend. Using formal speech suddenly would surprise him, right? Hearing that, Kim Chulsu incredulously asked the man, a friend? Me and someone who looks that scary, friends. Seung Ryul didn't want to explain much. He simply said, it's been a while, act natural and greet him like old friends. Kim Chulsu, puzzled but going along, asked like normal friends. Still, he followed the man's cue, stood up and casually greeted Yoon Hyuk, long time no see, you dog. Seung Ryul gaped, thinking to himself incredulously, this is too much, man. Surprisingly, Yoon Hyuk approved, now that's more like you. Seung Ryul thought in disbelief, he's accepted it. At that moment the goblin crept out quietly, drawing his attention. Yoon Hyuk stiffened, his face darkened, and he stammered, Goblin. Seung Ryul was startled again and had to think quickly, the goblin was still there. This was bad. He couldn't let Yoonhyuk learn about the relationship between Cholsu and the Goblin. Recovering his composure, Yoonhyuk drew his sharp sword and coldly asked Seung Ryul, this Goblin, is it the same one we saw before? Seung Ryul forced a smile and made an excuse. What? Compared to the last one, this one's pathetic. Look at its face, it looks like it's about to die. But Yoonhyuk, sharp as he was, half joked and half serious, you mean we once lost to a weak thing like this? Seung Ryul, knowing he couldn't hide it, just laughed it off. Are you kidding me? Although Yoonhyuk spoke boldly, he wasn't fully certain. He squinted to appraise the Goblin and muttered to himself, maybe I'm hallucinating. Scene change. Once everyone needed had gathered, Yoonhyuk addressed them gravely and gratefully. Thank you all for assembling here. Minseong crossed his arms and asked in a low voice, no guild masters joining this time? In a crisis they should show up. Yoonhyuk replied indifferently, I've already contacted them, but don't expect too much. This time we have to handle it ourselves. Then he got straight to the point, outlining the situation. Jai Hyun the Deathbringer and Patton the Destroyer were trapped. After hunting monsters, they triggered a trap and fell to a lower level. Hearing this, someone quickly blamed Patton's carelessness. Someone else chimed in that with their skills, the trap would be easy to escape. While everyone buzzed, Kim Chol-soo stood still clutching the Goblin, listening intently. Yoonhyuk cut through the noise and continued, but there are level 100 monsters guarding that place. At that, everyone fell silent to hear him. Yoonhyuk once again offered sincere thanks. This mission is dangerous, one of us could die. Thank you for coming. Despite hearing that, I repeat myself. Until now this has been just a game, but this time it's completely different. He paused, then warned seriously, if anyone wants out, back out now. At that moment, someone completely cloaked head to toe spoke firmly, Jai Hyun Patton. They are friends who need our help, Suji said as she removed her hooded cloak. Minsu and Hyunsu also took off their hoods. Minsu smiled, Patton. Hyunsu teased Yoonhyuk, if needed you have to say so, Yoonhyuk, you'd be a half-hearted commander without us. Seung Ryul finally spoke reasonably, that's right, even if you're strong, the opponent is a level 100 monster. From the start, this isn't a fight we can treat lightly. Our goal is rescue. The more of us to draw the monster's attention, the better. He stroked his beard pensively as he spoke. Seung Ryul glanced at Kim Chol-soo beside him and thought quietly, luckily, if chased by a level 100 monster, his memories might come back. Suddenly, Kim Chol-soo loudly asked, why do I have to go? Hearing him, Seung Ryul froze and stared, incredulous and unsettled. Why would he refuse now when he's been docile before? Could he be about to remember something? Kim Chol-soo looked straight at Yoonhyuk and declared boldly, I don't know why I should risk my life for your guild. Does someone in there need my help? If you think that's reason enough for me to jump into death, he paused. Seung Ryul twisted his long beard, listening tensely to every word, thinking inwardly, good, he's coming back, the revival of Demon King Kim Chol-soo. Kim Chol-soo stepped close to Yoonhyuk, smiled slyly and said, that's exactly right, I'm ready. Let's go in. His words deflated Seung Ryul and the Goblin, who had been hopping for a dramatic turnabout. Yoonhyuk smirked and muttered, idiot, then sincerely thanked everyone. Thank you for not giving up and for standing with us in battle. He then slowly said, all right then, Everton Guild. They set out, Yoonhyuk leading the way with a determined army marching behind him. Elsewhere, Jiho held his phone and murmured, is this true? Then he told the person on the line, understood, continue surveillance. Jiho looked at the darkened screen and whispered to himself, is Kim Chol-soo acting strange? Wasn't he fine before? Then no need to report this time, Missy's overreacting. He mumbled as he habitually picked his nose. At that moment elsewhere, Yoonhyuk deftly thrust his twin swords, slicing through the foes before him. He single-handedly dealt with 4 strangers without tiring, grumbling that the little monsters kept popping out non-stop. Watching the scene, Kim Chol-soo gaped in awe and thought to himself, amazing, that Yoonhyuk. Although they fought without a defensive stance, no weakness showed. Could it be their absolute trust in one another? Thinking this, he looked at the followers who were also busy, constantly battling different monsters. Looking them over, Kim Chol-soo wondered inwardly if that was why they could abandon defense and focus solely on offense. Could he find someone trustworthy to watch his back? Just then, as his thoughts drifted, a monster leaped out from behind and attacked him. Startled, he turned around as he sensed it. Seung Ryul already rushed in with his weapon. He struck the monster hard, pounding it to a pulp to protect him. When it was over, he clicked his tongue and grumbled, now you probably only needed 1 hit to go down before this old man. So many people yet such poor defense. Surprised by Seung Ryul's sudden protection, Kim Chol-soo couldn't hold back tears of gratitude and choked out, sir. He hugged the Goblin and clung to Seung Ryul, making the two of them squeal in protest. Get off me, gross. What are you doing? Kim Chol-soo not only wouldn't let go but hugged tighter, babbling loudly, 2 people care about me like this. I'm certain I lived well before I lost my memories, right? I tried my best, didn't I? Seung Ryul struggled to break free while half-heartedly replying, yes, yes, though inwardly he was annoyed, thinking, get this clingy thing tossed as bait to a strong monster quickly. Suddenly someone called loudly, hey, Yoon Hyuk. He glanced over and asked, what is it? Having just escaped Kim Chul-soo's monstrous embrace, Seung Ryul was out of breath and, catching himself, suggested, from here, let's split up, what do you think? After regaining his breath, wiping sweat, he outlined his suggestion. The monsters here are so weak they're basically grunts. We don't need to advance in this formation. Better to split up and find the traps they fell into. Taking his point under consideration, Yoon Hyuk thought for a moment, then said seriously, in an emergency this makes sense. I only worried we'd run into a strong monster somewhere. I've been overly cautious. He then loudly commanded everyone from now on split into 3 groups to search. If you find anything suspicious or a trap, report immediately. Do not enter until everyone has gathered. ZL stood rooted, unwilling to move. Watching Yoon Hyuk's groups depart, he couldn't help but grumble, they're pretty good, there's no chance for me to show off. As if on cue, a monster suddenly lunged out. As if his wish were granted, a monster suddenly charged. ZL simply pointed his staff at it, praising himself inwardly. If I used full power, they'd surely feel superior strength and maybe feel intimidated. With just his staff, ZL effortlessly took care of the monster. Suddenly, his burst of power struck a gem embedded in the wall. The gem quickly lit up. A blue light spread throughout the room. The light reached Yoon Hyuk's group. He muttered, what's this? A matrix appeared, trapping them within a fixed circle. Everyone fell silent, watching the strange light shift from one form to another. The ground then cracked open. Seung Ryul peered into the fissures and pondered, is this the trap those two fell into? In the tense moment, Kim Chul-soo stood frozen, clutching the Goblin, unable to do anything. Suddenly, the ground beneath them gave way. Kim Chul-soo and the Goblin screamed in panic. The whole group fell into the trap, leaving only XL standing above, staring dumbfounded at the deep pit. He muttered, terrified out of his wits, it's over. At that moment, someone approached and cheerfully asked, a bit late, aren't you? She babbled, our Yoon Hyuk is in for a rough time. ZL turned at her voice to see who it was. The girl sitting on the ground calmly remarked, oh no, I heard there are level 100 monsters down there. At that, Lami suddenly burst into loud sobs, snot and tears streaming as she wailed, what are we going to do? Are we all going to die?